Chat group, I obtained the Saiyan Bloodline from the start. Hey, Fanfic family. So glad to see you here again to continue this incredible adventure. As always, kindly remember, this story is 100% fiction, so don't go looking for dimensional portals in your closet. All rights to this fantastic novel belong to the original author. We're just your humble narrators of epic tales. Are you enjoying the fanfic? Show it by subscribing to our YouTube channel and dropping us a like. And if you're impatient for more exclusive content, our Patreon is your happy place. Chapter 101 Feng Bao Bao, I thought about it, you should attack me from the front. The second match of the elimination rounds was equally disappointing. Takisuke Kirumi conceded the moment the match began. Zhang Jiulin breathed a sigh of relief. That was a close call. I finally managed to save my life. From the third match onward, the competition returned to normal. Zhang Linglong, Wang Yi, Zhu Zhuqing, and other strong players in the top half of the bracket, along with Linglong, defeated their opponents and advanced to the next round. Meanwhile, in the bottom half, Zhang Jiulin, Feng Bao Bao, Zhi Jinhua, Feng Xian, and Feng Xingtuang, all but one of them defeated their opponents and advanced to the next round. To Xiaoqi's surprise, Zhang Jiulin, the last to play, didn't resort to stunts but instead simply outperformed his opponent. Facing Xiaoqi's quizzical gaze, Zhang Jiulin smiled and said, "Brother, what's there to hide from you guys about my limited strength?" With the first round of eliminations concluded, the second round match schedule was immediately revealed. Sakata Gintoki looked at the battle table and said angrily, "Swallow, beat that Jia's Hanglian hard for me later, and it would be best if you could break his balls." Feng Xian looked at the other party with a puzzled look and said, "Do you have a grudge against him, Pucci?" Several people on Xiaoqi's side laughed at the same time. There was no grudge between the two before, but now the hatred is huge. After Sakata Gintoki and Feng Xian chatted for a while, he came to Feng Xingtuang, hooked his shoulder and said, "Brother-in-law, don't be too sad. I will help you deal with that stupid brother-in-law Wenbing." Feng Xingtuang nodded and said, "I know, brother-in-law." Feng Bao Bao said lightly at this time, "My next opponent is him. Do you need me to bury him?" Sakata Gintoki said with disgust, "Go away, this is our family affair. We don't need an outsider like you to get involved." The one that worried Xiaoqi the most in all the matches in the second round of eliminations was the one with Zhi Jinhua. His opponent was Hu Ji, who had accepted the loan sharking ability of Shen Chong, one of the four madmen of Kwangsing. Xiaoqi looked at Zhi Jinhua and said, "Hooer, why don't you give up later, or I'll go and help you kill him first." Linglong nodded and said, "Yes, that man is too dangerous now. He killed his opponent in the first round." Zhi Jinhua looked at Xiaoqi and Linglong and smiled and said, "I want to change myself through this game. Don't worry, if I find that something is wrong, I will admit defeat immediately. Hooer, I think you should still consider it." However, before Linglong could finish her words, the referee's voice rang out again. "Please invite the first contestants of the second round of the elimination match, Linglong and Zhu Zhuqing, to enter." Xiaoqi looked at Linglong and said, "You two go first, I'll persuade Hooer again." Zhi Jinhua looked at Linglong's back and said to herself, "Linglong has changed, and I can't be the same as before. Besides, didn't you tell me yesterday that I should change?" Xiaoqi nodded. "Okay, if that guy dares to attack you after you admit defeat, I will kill him on the spot." Zhi Jinhua looked at Xiaoqi and smiled. "Thank you." The match between Linglong and Zhu Zhuqing ended as expected. It was another drawn match. Zhang Linglong, who entered the match later, also won easily, and would face Linglong in the third round. Linglong, in tomorrow's match between you and me, it won't be as easy as the first two rounds. Facing the harsh words from Zhang Linglong, Linglong snorted coldly and said, "Sister is in a bad mood now. I advise you not to provoke me. If anything happens to Hooer later, I will let Xiaoqi blow up this broken Longhu mountain." Zhang Linglong said angrily, "Are you sick? You really put yourself in the role of Xiaoqi's wife?" Zhang Jiulin, who was standing aside, shuddered after hearing this. He quickly reached out to cover Zhang Linglong's mouth, looked at Linglong and smiled embarrassedly. "Sister Linglong, my junior uncle grew up in the mountains and doesn't understand the ways of the world. You don't have to be angry with him, let alone blow up Longhu Mountain. You and my eldest brother are now a recognized couple in our world of extraordinary people." Linglong snorted, looked at Zhang Linglong unhappily and said, "In this world, only that woman will want you, otherwise you will only be a virgin for the rest of your life. What? Zhang Qiulin's reaction to this was even more intense than Zhang Lingyu's. He looked at Lu Linglong and asked with a trembling voice, "Is my junior uncle already a virgin?" Lu Linglong said with a smile, "Yes, so you need to work harder, little brother." "Damn, is there any justice in this world?" Zhang Qiulin shouted, silently shedding tears once again. With the second round of the upper half of the bracket concluded, the other quarter-final matchup was decided, Wang Yi vs Zhu Zhuqing. "Please invite Zhi Jinhua and Hu Ji to enter the arena." Lu Linglong grabbed Zhi Jinhua's hand and said with a worried look on her face, "Hooer, don't force yourself. There's nothing shameful in admitting defeat. I will make you stronger in the future, I understand." Zhi Jinhua smiled at Lu Linglong, then looked at Su Xiaoqi and said, "I'm going to play." Su Xiaoqi nodded, "I'll watch from here." Come on. The match between Zhi Jinhua and Hu Ji was one-sided from the beginning. No matter how smart Zhi Jinhua was or how good she was at calculating, it was useless in the face of the absolute gap in strength. Lu Linglong looked at Zhi Jinhua, who was already covered in bruises, and shouted anxiously, "Hooer, stop fighting, admit defeat." However, Zhi Jinhua continued to persist on the court as if she hadn't heard. Lu Linglong was completely furious and yelled at Hu Ji, "If you dare touch Hooer again, I'll kill you." Hearing this, Lu Jin shouted at her, "Linglong, stop messing around. This was her choice. If you attack now, you'll be disqualified." Zhi Jinhua then cried out, "Linglong, I haven't lost yet." However, Hu Ji, already furious, didn't care. He swung his fists wildly at Zhi Jinhua's face and body. Su Xiaoqi, watching Zhi Jinhua fall to the ground again, shouted, "Hooer, admit defeat." "You've done well." Zhi Jinhua managed to raise her head and smile at Su Xiaoqi, then shook her head. Just then, Hu Ji grabbed Zhi Jinhua's neck with his right hand and lifted her off the ground, preparing to absorb her ki. "Hooer," Lu Linglong cried out in shock. She couldn't care less. She had to save her sister. Just as she took a step forward, Su Xiaoqi appeared in front of Hu Ji, snapping his right hand and holding Zhi Jinhua in her arms. Zhi Jinhua looked up at Su Xiaoqi and smiled. "I persevered. I didn't cry." Su Xiaoqi looked at the girl bleeding in his arms, gently ruffled her hair, and said tenderly, "I saw it all. Leave it to me. You take a break, okay? Thank you for that." Zhi Jinhua said this and fell asleep. Su Xiaoqi glanced coldly at Hu Ji, who was wailing on the ground, and suddenly a white aura erupted around her body. The next second, everyone in the audience felt the ground beneath their feet tremble, as if it would collapse at any moment. Zhang Qiulin panicked, his voice trembling as he asked, "Big brother, is he going to transform? Wasn't it agreed that he would only transform if Zhu Zhuqing was injured?" Sakata Gintoki held his nose and said calmly, "It's okay. As long as he doesn't have any colorful ki, it's not a big deal." Under everyone's gaze, Su Xiaoqi flung Hu Ji into the air and launched 5 Kigen bombs, 4 small and 1 large, at his body. Zhang Qiulin asked, puzzled, "Why so many of these? Would one be enough?" Sakata Gintoki raised his head and said, "The 4 small ones blew off 1 arm, 2 legs, and the head of that idiot, and the last large one blew off his body." Gulp. Zhang Qiulin swallowed hard. He absolutely couldn't let Sister Baoer attack Su Xiaoqi, not from the front, back, or side. Under everyone's astonishment, Su Xiaoqi, holding Zhi Jinhua, suddenly disappeared from the center of the arena and reappeared in her original position. "Zhuqing, please give me a senzu bean." Zhu Zhuqing nodded, took out a senzu bean, and handed it to Su Xiaoqi. Takisaki Kurumi, who was standing by, murmured, "Could it be that darling has taken a fancy to Zhi Jinhua? He's willing to give her something as precious as a senzu bean." Su Xiaoqi tapped her head lightly and said unhappily, "Senzu beans are indeed precious, but whoever's performance today deserves them." After Zhi Jinhua woke up, Su Xiaoqi let her eat the senzu bean. The next second, a magical scene occurred in the eyes of Zhang Qiulin and other outsiders. In just a moment, all the injuries on Zhi Jinhua's body were healed, leaving not even a scar. Thanks to fellow reader Shen Yui for voting. Thanks to fellow reader Xianzhen Greek letter Psi Wang Yin for voting. Dear readers, I must give you my all. I hope you will continue to support me. If the results are better, I will add more chapters. Chapter 102 Blushing Gintoki, Serious Gintama. Contestant Zhi Jinho has violated the rules of this tournament and is therefore disqualified. The winner of this round is Hu Ji, the referee's voice echoed, and the crowd erupted in a clamor. You could argue this result was illogical, but it was perfectly reasonable. Zhi Jinho's hiring of foreign players was undoubtedly a violation. The problem was, Hu Ji was already completely shattered, so even if you were declared the winner, what would it matter? But even more intriguing than the result was the question of whether the Big Boss and Lu Linglong were a couple, and why did Zhi Jinho suddenly appear? Could Feng Xian and Feng Bao, the two women about to take the stage, also be related to him? Seeing how familiar they all seemed, it seemed plausible. So, some brave people shouted at Xiaoqi, "Boss, besides Goddess Linglong and Goddess Jinho, do you have any other wives here? Give us here a heads up. Yeah, we were scared to death just now. We're just watching a game and don't want to risk our lives." "Yeah, right, boss. Just tell us first, so we can get away before you lose our temper." Faced with these people's inquiries, Lu Linglong, who had already experienced it once, was more resilient. She didn't bother to explain to them now, as it would be pointless anyway. But Zhi Jinho was different. She hadn't expected to eat the melon and eat her own. Her face flushed instantly. Unable to react, she could only look at Xiaoqi. "I won't fight again in the next game," Xiaoqi said simply. Whether these people believed her or not was none of her business. At this moment, the referee's voice rang out again. "Please invite contestants Feng Xian and Jia Zhanglian to enter the arena." Sakata Gintoki immediately became excited, looking at Feng Xian and said, "Swallow, remember what Jin-san said to you just now, and beat up the Jia Zhanglian for me later." Got it. Feng Xian said perfunctorily with some impatience, then looked directly at Sakata Gintoki and said with a smile, "Actually, it's quite funny to see you nervous about me. I'm leaving now, and you can just stay here and watch your woman's performance." Sakata Gintoki shouted at Feng Xian's back, Who is nervous about you, Jin-san? I'm just annoyed with that red-haired guy." Xiaoqi looked at the other person's blushing face and said with a smile, Tisk, I didn't expect that our white Yasha would blush. This is really rare," Sakata Gintoki said proudly. "Xiaoqi, Jin-san, I just have a cold due to the unfamiliar climate." "Jin-san, I've never known what blushing is since I was a child." As the match began, Jia Zhanglian, just like in the original novel, chatted on the phone with his elderly mother. However, this time, Feng Xian didn't indulge him and directly engaged in a fight. Although Sakata Gintoki had informed Feng Xian of Jia Zhanglian's abilities before the match, it was clear that Jia Zhanglian had some skills. With his dedication, he managed to hold the match to a 40-60 draw, leaving both sides bruised and battered. This situation made Sakata Gintoki, who was watching from the sidelines, extremely anxious. Just then, Feng Xian's father, Feng Xinghao, approached them. Feng Xingtong hurried over. "Dad, let me introduce them to you. These are my and my sister's friends." As for this one, Feng Xingtong smiled at Sakata Gintoki, who was cheering his sister on. "He's my sister's man and my brother-in-law." Feng Xinghao nodded. He had already noticed these people and had asked the old Taoist priest about their backgrounds, but he hadn't gotten any useful information. He had no objection to his daughter dating this white-haired man. On the contrary, he was very supportive. Although his ideal candidate was Xiaoqi, the current situation was not bad either. At this moment, a cry of surprise came from the audience. In the center of the field, Jia Zhanglian unleashed a powerful move, controlling his 12 flying knives and beating Feng Xian back repeatedly. "Damn it, Jin-san can't stand it anymore. Jin-san is going to teach that damn red-haired guy a lesson." Just as Sakata Gintoki drew the wooden sword from his waist and prepared to rush into the venue, Feng Xinghao called out to him, "If you do that, Xian will be disqualified." At this moment, Sakata Gintoki's face no longer had the lazy expression of the past. He said in a stern voice, "What does Jin-san need you to teach him? If you keep pushing Jin-san, I'll beat you up too." Xiaoqi looked at Sakata Gintoki's back as he rushed out and said, "You, the spectator, just watch quietly from the side. What's coming is our Jin-san's highlight moment." Lu Linglong nodded and said, "That's right. It's rare for us to see Jin-san being serious. If you dare to talk nonsense again, I'll let Xiaoqi blow up your Xiangsha club." Feng Xingtong looked at his father, who had instantly become the target of everyone's criticism, and quickly advised, "Dad, let's just watch from here. I also want to see what my brother-in-law looks like when he takes action." Feng Zhanghao smiled bitterly and said, I didn't say I couldn't let him take action. I was just kindly reminding him. Elsewhere, just as the 12 flying knives were about to strike Feng Xian, Sakata Gintoki, who had rushed into the arena, wielded his wooden sword, blocking them one by one. Again, the crowd in the stands turned their gazes to Xiaoqi. Hadn't they agreed not to attack? What was going on now? Facing the crowd's gaze, Xiaoqi said helplessly, this is none of my business. Those two are a couple. Feng Xian has violated the rules of this tournament and is therefore disqualified. The winner of this round is Jia Zhanglian. The referee quickly announced the result. Had he been any slower, who knows where things would have gone from here. Are you? Feng Xian, who was about to scold Sakata Gintoki, swallowed the next few words after seeing the expression on the other's face, and said instead, give me the knife and carry me back. Feng Xian, who was held in Sakata Gintoki's arms, looked at the other's face and suddenly raised a smile. So this is the expression of this man when he is serious. However, the smile on her face did not last for 3 seconds, and a voice came to her ear, swallow, Jin-san, I don't have senzu beans. Jin-san, I will do a full body check for you later, and the effect will definitely be better than senzu beans. Feng Xian looked at Sakata Gintoki, who had become a mean person again, and said unhappily, I don't need to think about this full body check you mentioned to know that it is definitely not serious. But, Feng Xian couldn't help laughing when she said this, hooked her hands around the other's neck and whispered, then I'll trouble you for a while, my Jin-san. On the other side, Jia Zhanglian looked at the two people who left with a confused look on his face. A good game ended inexplicably like this. What kind of thing is this? Forget it, let me call mom first to let her know I'm safe. With the conclusion of the final 2 elimination matches, the 8 finalists for the Luotian Grand Ceremony and tomorrow's match schedule were revealed. The first match was Lu Linglong vs Zhang Lingayu. The second was Wang Yi vs Zhu Zhuqing. The third was Jia Zhanglian vs Hu Ji. Since Hu Ji had died, Jia Zhanglian automatically advanced to the next round. The fourth was Feng Baobao vs Zhang Qiulin. Zhang Qiulin looked at Feng Baobao and said, Sister Baoer, I'll leave Jia Zhanglian in your care. Feng Baobao nodded and said, no problem, I'll find a place to bury him. Xiaoqi and the others twitched their lips when they heard this, and Zhang Lingayu said unhappily, Zhang Qiulin, can you have some shame? You have brought shame to Longhu Mountain, Zhang Qiulin said indifferently, Junior Master, this is called strategy. Sister Linglong also has her man to help her, and her is even more exaggerated. Her man got angry and just blew up the other party. I'm considered lucky, you? Zhang Lingayu was so angry that he couldn't speak. Lu Linglong and Zhi Jinhu blushed and gave unconvincing explanations to Zhang Qiulin. I understand. We'll only talk about these things in private from now on. Zhang Qiulin smiled at the two of them, then looked at Xiaoqi and said, brother, why don't we find a place to get together later? As soon as he finished speaking, a voice came from behind him, Zhang Qiulin's suggestion is good. Can I also join in? Taoist priest. Zhang Qiulin turned around and saw the people who came and said with joy, Taoist priest Wang, Zhu Zhuqing, and the small fish and shrimps. Zhang Qiulin, who do you say are the small fish and shrimps? Zhang Qiulin, do you want to compete now? Don't think you're great just because you made it to the top 8. It's just that you got lucky. After playing with a group for a while, Zhang Qiulin came to Xiaoqi again and said, brother, anyway, this Luotian Grand Ceremony is over. Let's get together, have a bonfire party, watch the moon and drink some wine, and get to know each other. How about it? Okay, then let's have a good time tonight, and take a walk under the moon, Xiaoqi added silently in her heart. Chapter 103, Birdwatching Under the Moon. Come on, Big Brother has come here today for my sake, let's all toast him first. Zhang Qiulin, can you have a bit of shame? This has nothing to do with you, that's right, get out of our way, we will toast the Big Brother ourselves. Big Brother, thank you for your kindness, let's toast you together. Xiaoqi picked up the wine glass and said with a smile, what Big Brother or not, just call me by my name in the future. I'm just an ordinary person like you. Zhang Qiulin, see, this is the Big Brother's pattern, no more words, let's go first. Cheers. The boys' side was very lively under the leadership of Zhang Qiulin, and the girls' side was also very lively at this time, but all the topics revolved around Lu Linglong and Zhi Jinhu. Linglong, tell us quickly, who is the first wife and who is the second wife between you two? I think it's Linglong. The boss is too good to her. He just threatened her to take first place in this Luotian Grand Ceremony. I think Huer is more like it. The boss killed Huji in front of everyone for her. It was so cool. I was so excited when I saw it. Go away, you Fujoshi. None of us cares whether you are excited or not. We only care about who is the first wife between these two. Lu Linglong looked at the people who were making a fuss in front of her, pulled Zhu Zhuqing in front of everyone and introduced her. This is Xiaoqi's wife. Huer and I are just friends with him. After hearing this, everyone turned their eyes to Zhu Zhuqing. Where did this person come from? Seeing everyone's disbelief, Lu Linglong continued to explain, Huer and I are truly just friends with him. Stop your nonsense, or Zhuqing will get angry. Zhu Zhuqing looked at Lu Linglong and said with amusement, am I that stingy? Tokisaki Kurumi nodded, I'm just that stingy with me. These past 2 days, I haven't even given me a chance to get close to darling. Another one. Everyone was startled, their eyes turning back to Tokisaki Kurumi. Just then, someone suddenly said, I understand. Actually, all of you are the boss's wives, but only this one can be publicly announced. That's right, that's for sure. This clever explanation was unanimously agreed with the others present. After all, polygamy was forbidden in this world. Seeing these people's increasingly distorted ideas, Lu Linglong simply gave up. Think what you will. Not long after, Sakata Gintoki and Fusayan arrived. Everyone knew what they had been up to. With the addition of Sakata Gintoki, the atmosphere here instantly became more lively and more people drank. But when it comes to drinking, you have to look to Feng Baobao. She came to Sakata Gintoki with 2 bottles of white wine and said lightly, what's the point of pretending with them? Drink this with me, Jin-san. Fuck her, we support you. That's right, are you a grown man afraid of a woman like her? Faced with a booing of the crowd, Sakata Gintoki's heart was hardened. He took the bottle and said, come on, Jin-san will never be a coward when it comes to drinking. Oh, Feng Baobao nodded lightly, then took out a straw and inserted it into the bottle. After drinking a bottle in one breath, he looked at the other party and said, it's your turn. Sister Bao is awesome. Zhang Chulin, who is a little drunk, shouted, and then looked at Sakata Gintoki, whose body was shaking, and teased, Jin-san, you are not a coward, are you? But it doesn't matter. If you really are a coward, Zhang Chulin, will drink this wine for you. What a joke. How could Jin-san be a coward? Jin-san, I was just preparing my prostate first. After Sakata Gintoki finished speaking, he picked up the bottle of wine and gulped it down his mouth. Jin-san is awesome. When it comes to drinking, Wang Ergao, only admire you, Jin-san. Faced with everyone's praise, Sakata Gintoki was completely intoxicated by the stimulation of alcohol. He hooked his arm around Zhang Chulin's shoulder and said, Chulin, do you dare to compete with Jin-san? Whoever loses will let the other person bounce his own bird. Zhang Chulin, if you can still tolerate this, don't blame us for looking down on you in the future. Zhang Chulin, go ahead, we support you spiritually. Zhang Chulin, be quiet. Zhang Chulin shouted, picked up the bottle of wine and looked at Sakata Gintoki and said, Zhang Chulin, I'm going to pop your bird today. Sakata Gintoki said angrily, Jin-san's is the big bird, and you are the small bird. Don't talk nonsense with Jin-san here, drink. Xiaoqi watched all this silently from the side. He felt that there was a high probability that 2 people would walk their birds tonight. On the other side, Lu Linglong turned her head and looked at Feng Xian and said, aren't you going to take care of your Yinsang? Feng Xian smiled and said, it's okay, he likes this kind of atmosphere. On the contrary, you too, don't you plan to get your husbands drunk and do something with such a good opportunity today? Lu Linglong and Zhi Jinho's faces turned red instantly when they heard this. Feng Xian smiled at the 2 shy people, then looked at Zhu Zhuqing and said, you won't be angry when I say this, right? Of course not. Zhu Zhuqing smiled and shook her head. Feng Xian nodded and continued, you should know the saying that truth comes out when drunk. Do you want to see what your husband will say after he gets drunk? Upon hearing this, Tokisaki Kurumi's eyes suddenly lit up, and she looked at Zhu Zhuqing and said, Zhuqing, I think this is a good idea. Zhu Zhuqing said unhappily, what you think is already written on your face. Tokisaki Kurumi took the other's arm and said flatteringly, Zhuqing, I just want to know what darling really thinks of me. Not only me, Linglong and Huer must have a questions to ask darling too. Zhu Zhuqing looked at Lu Linglong and Zhi Jinho with a smile and said, do you two want it too? Lu Linglong and Zhi Jinho looked at each other, then nodded. Zhu Zhuqing looked at the three women before her and said, I don't object, but I won't help you. If you can find a way to get him drunk, go ahead and try. Feng Xian smiled and said, leave it to me. I have a plan. As they made the preparations, Zhang Qiulin and Sakata Gintoki, on the other side, were completely intoxicated. Jin-san, I, Zhang Qiulin, have chosen you as my brother. Even Xiaoqi's presence won't help. Qiulin, Jin-san, I think we're very compatible. Don't worry about Xiaoqi. Jin-san will take care of him for you. Woohoo, Jin-san, you're my big brother from now on. I'm feeling a bit suffocated right now. Let me take care of it so we can continue drinking. Qiulin, look at you, you're such a loser. Why don't you just take care of it here? I'll join you, and we can compare our range. Okay, since you said so, I'll do it, with the others watching. Zhang Qiulin unzipped his pants and began his moonlit night walk. Sakata Gintoki glanced at them disdainfully and said, Chulan, you little caterpillar are no match for me. Look up to me. Immediately afterwards, the second person walking their bird under the moonlight appeared. Xiaoqi then started to make a noise. Chulan, Jin-san, it's too dark in here. We can't tell which of you has the longer range. Can't see. Zhang Qiulin sneered at the words. He mobilized his ki, cast a golden light curse, and shouted, now I'll show you clearly. Come on. Oh, everyone was excited at this moment, except Zhang Linglong, who had a sullen face the whole time, wishing he could beat this idiot to death on the spot. Taking advantage of this gap, Xiaoqi quickly ran to Linglong and Zhi Jinhu and said, Linglong, go and guard the palace sand. This time, the happiness is doubled. Linglong and Zhi Jinhu shook their heads and said at the same time, we don't want to guard the palace sand. We want to drink with you. Feng Xian then took a beer bottle and handed it to Xiaoqi and said, you and them drink first. I'll go and catch that idiot. After she finished speaking, she walked towards Sakata Gintoki cursing, you dead white-haired man, put it away quickly, or don't even think about getting into my bed in the future. Linglong picked up the bottle of wine and looked at Xiaoqi and said, thank you for your help this time. I'll toast you a glass. I'm fine. You drink it. Then, Zhi Jinhu said, I also want to thank you for your help. I'm fine. You drink it. Xiaoqi looked at the two women and said with a smile, you two are really cunning. Okay, it's just a bottle of wine. I'll drink one with you. However, halfway through his drink, Xiaoqi suddenly realized something was amiss. The beer Feng Xian had given him was problematic. Soon, Xiaoqi felt his head spinning. After stumbling a few steps, he looked at Linglong and Zhi Jinhu and asked, what the hell did Feng Xian give me to drink? Linglong and Zhi Jinhu supported Xiaoqi on either side, smiling, of course we gave you beer. It's just that this beer was mixed with some baijiu and vodka. Holy crap, he could only handle a few bottles of beer, but what he had just drunk was more powerful than a depth charge. He couldn't handle it. Takisaki Kirumi looked at Xiaoqi with a dazed look and said with a smile, darling, do you still know who I am? Xiaoqi said angrily, I know shit. Where's Zhuqing? Quickly send me back to sleep. Takisaki Kirumi licked her lips and said, Allah, this won't do. The next step is our interrogation of you. You have to answer us obediently, darling. Chapter 104 High School in Akino Himejima. The next morning, when Xiaoqi woke up, he felt as if his head was cracking. He was completely groggy and couldn't remember anything he had said or done the night before. Just then, the door opened from outside. Zhu Zhuqing, Linglong, Takisaki Kirumi, and Zhi Jinhu walked up to him with cold faces and stared at him blankly without saying a word. Facing the four women's gazes, Xiaoqi was extremely panicked. He could probably guess that he had said something the night before. But the problem was, he couldn't remember what he had said to them last night. Takisaki Kirumi was the first to lose her temper. She snorted at Xiaoqi and said, Xiaoqi, I call you darling every day, but I didn't expect you to be such a person. I'm so disappointed in you. Xiaoqi stared blankly at Takisaki Kirumi, who was full of anger in front of her, and said cautiously, what's wrong with me? Takisaki Kirumi sneered and said slowly, is High School DxD good? Is the book by that dead big cat good? Linglong on the side added, and that department head named Riaz, you must have enjoyed reading it. Zhu Zhuqing said coldly, I really didn't see it. Your lying level is even worse than that white-haired guy. Xiaoqi's heart skipped a beat when she heard this. It's over, all exposed. However, before Suzuki could think of what to say, Zhu Zhuqing's cold voice came to her ears again. Although I have some opinions about Kurumi, compared to those indecent women who always do that, Kurumi is much better. Linglong nodded and said, it's the same for me. Sanson keeps killing people and absorbing their time just to have enough spiritual power to launch her 12 bullets to go back 30 years for revenge. But that Himejima Akino, all she does is sell flesh all day long, and what else? And the same goes for that crappy high school DxD. This kind of anime shouldn't appear. Apart from corrupting kids and satisfying you men, what else can it do? Suzuki looked at the angry people and said weakly, Can you guys listen to my excuses first? No, listen to my explanation first. I admit that I have read High School DxD and Himejima Akino's books. At that time, I was just an ordinary person. It's okay to have some thoughts that all men have, but I definitely haven't done those messy things. I haven't watched these similar anime after joining the chat group. I didn't tell you about Akajima Akino because I was afraid you would misunderstand. I didn't expect that you would get drunk and trick me into revealing it in the end. When Suzuki said this, she looked at Takesaki Kurumi and said, San, I originally wanted to wait until before you compete with Himejima Akino to tell you her abilities. I definitely like you more than her, really. Takesaki Kurumi looked at Suzuki and asked half doubtfully. Suzuki nodded and said, of course, you can also see that I don't talk to her very often. It seems so. Takesaki Kurumi nodded, then looked at Suzuki and said, then you will draw a clear line with her in the group later, and then I will forgive you. Suzuki nodded and said, okay, I really have no interest in her at all. After hearing this, Takesaki Kurumi smiled, darling, if you want to read books in the future, you can read mine. My figure is not as good as hers, but I have the Kwangsan 4 Heavenly Kings, which are better than hers in variety and variety, Zhu Zhuqing said with a dark face. You are not allowed to look at yours either. If you have nothing to do here, go and cool off. There are others coming next. What the hell? There's still one more. Suzuki was numb. How much did he say yesterday? Isn't he just digging his own grave? Linglong sneered and looked at Suzuki and said, explain to me why you call me a silly girl? I'm such a cute girl, but Linglong, who is a goddess in the eyes of others, is a silly girl in your eyes? Jinho followed closely and said, me too. What do you mean Hooer is an nymphomaniac? I admit that I was indeed interested in Xiaoqi at the beginning, but I was in a learning attitude, and I have no interest in it now. You scared me to death. I thought it was something else. Suzuki breathed a sigh of relief, and after coaxing Linglong and Jinho in no time, he looked at Zhu Zhuqing and said, what about you here? Is there anything else you need to interrogate me? As soon as he finished speaking, Linglong, Jinho and Takesaki Kurumi covered their mouths and laughed at the same time. Zhu Zhuqing's face turned red with shame, and she looked at Suzuki unhappily and said, even if you drink too much in the future, you are not allowed to talk about our affairs outside. You are not ashamed, but I still have to be a human being. Hurry up and get up, we'll wait for you outside. Suzuki smiled as she watched the four of them leave. Luckily, they had gotten him drunk this time and he hadn't caused any more trouble, otherwise it would have been a mess. But what Suzuki didn't know was that he had said more than just that last night, but some of the things they had kept hidden deep in their hearts. Outside the room, Zhu Zhuqing looked at Linglong and the other two girls and said, are you three happy now? Linglong smiled and said, Zhuqing, we will always be good sisters in the future. Takesaki Kwangsan laughed and said, Zhuqing, you won't watch me so closely now, will you? Our enemy is that dead cow? Jinho smiled and said, I didn't expect that I would have a place in his heart. Linglong looked at Jinho's infatuated look and smiled. Hooer, the way you smile now really looks like a nympho. What Zhuqi said is absolutely right, Jinho said unhappily. Linglong, Zhuqi also said that you are an idiot. Sometimes you really look like one when you are infatuated. Zhu Zhuqing looked at the two of them and said with a smile, you two and Kwangsan, although Zhuqi said that last night, it was only when he was drunk. If you want him to truly accept you, you still have a long way to go. However, that Himejima Akino really surprised me. I didn't expect that she would be such a character. I couldn't stand it after watching only a little bit of her last night. Her clothes were lost at the slightest provocation. Doesn't she have any sense of shame? Takesaki Kurumi suddenly said with a cold face. Zhuqing, Linglong, and Hooer, she and I didn't get along in the first place, and it's better for me now. Lu Linglong said, San, the rest of us will definitely stand on your side. Then I will talk to Nami, and of course Wei Wei, and we will isolate her together, Zhi Jinho said. Speaking of Nami, I really want to meet her if I have the chance. What kind of hatred or grudge can make Xiaoqi complain about her like this after getting drunk? The other three laughed when they heard this. In a sense, Nami is the most pitiful person, because Xiaoqi really hates her. At this moment, Tokisaki Kurumi suddenly said, no, the more I think about it, the angrier I get. I need to go and scold that damn cow, or I'll feel so bad I'll want to kill someone. Zhu Zhuqing said, you can scold her all you want, but you still have to be careful. After all, she hasn't done anything out of line yet. Got it, Tokisaki Kurumi, at Zudeoheim. From today on, you are not allowed to talk to Darling about anything unrelated to the chat group. It's best to speak less in the group from now on. Zudeoheim, what are you crazy about? Lu Linglong, what's with all that? I think Sanson said it well. Nami, what's wrong with you two all of a sudden? Zhu Zhuqing, nothing, just discussing the matter. Kashiwazaki Sina, why is even Zhuqing suddenly like this? Kuroba Kato, at Zudeoheim, big sister, did you accidentally offend them somewhere? Zhuqing rarely picks on one person. Zudeoheim, I think I roughly understand. At Tokisaki Kurumi, it seems that you have been getting along well with them these days. Tokisaki Kurumi, none of your business, you shameless woman. Sakata Gintoki, what's going on so early in the morning? Give me some face, Jin-sen, and don't quarrel. Zudeoheim, I don't want to quarrel, it's just that someone wants to take advantage of the situation. Sakata Gintoki, San, be good, did Xiaoqi bully you? Jin-san will help you beat him up later. Lu Linglong, go to sleep with your Feng Shan, you have nothing to do here. What's coming next is a war between us women. Namikaze Minato, trembling, Zudeoheim, at Xiaoqi, as an administrator, shouldn't you say a few words at this time, or are you going to favor your girlfriend, Xiaoqi? In that case, just come clean and solve it all once and for all today. Chapter 105 Namikaze Minato, let's come to Konoha to cause trouble after I'm resurrected. Xiaoqi, before I say anything, I want to apologize to everyone. I previously concealed the matter about Imejima Akino, Sakata Gintoki, Xiaoqi, this is unkind of you. You actually hide under the covers every night, watching the cutie secretly fight. Hint, Sakata Gintoki is muted for 10 minutes, Kashiwazaki Sina, but why would she do that? Aizen Sosuke, it means her identity is quite special. I guess it has nothing to do with her strength, but something else. Tokisaki Kurumi, more than special, it's simply unbearable to look at. Lu Linglong, anyway, I can't accept it. This is too. I'm embarrassed to even say it, Himejima Akino, so that's how it is. My identity has been discovered, Xiaoqi, it has nothing to do with your identity. Being a fallen angel and a human hybrid is nothing special, even if you add the identity of a demon servant. Kashiwazaki Sina, I know about demons, but what is a fallen angel? Xiaoqi, the demons she has are a little different from the usual demons you know. Simply put, they look like humans, but they have a pair of wings on their backs. Fallen angels are pretty much the same. Kashiwazaki Sina, at Himejima Akino, could you let me see them if there is a chance? Himejima Akino, oh, of course. Kuroba Kato, I want to see them. Sakuragi Hanamichi, +1. Namikaze Minato, +2. Aizen Sosuke, I'm a little curious too. Lu Linglong, none of you men are allowed to look at them. Sakuragi Hanamichi, big sister, why is that? Tokisaki Kurumi, because looking at them will give you hemorrhoids. Kuroba Kato, is it that scary? Then I'd rather not look at them. Himejima Akino, at Tokisaki Kurumi, do you really think I don't have a temper? I advise you not to provoke me. Tokisaki Kurumi, so what if I provoke you? If you don't agree, let's fight. Hint, Tokisaki Kurumi is muted for 1 minute. Zhu Zhuqing, let Xiaoqi finish what she's saying first. Xiaoqi, at Imejima's Huno, let me be frank. The reason they can't accept you isn't because of your identity, but because of your usual behavior, including the world you live in. Xiaoqi, because you're an 18+ character. Kashiwazaki Sina, huh? 18+? This, Kuroba Kato, oh, no wonder. Sakuragi Hanamichi, big brother, what is 18+? Xiaoqi, it's those erotic books you usually read in the bathroom. Sakuragi Hanamichi, So that's it. No, I don't read these books secretly under the covers at night. Kuroba Kato, Sakuragi, you've already confessed everything. Takisaki Kurumi, humph, what's with the 18 plus? That's even more disgusting than that. Clothes are just decorations on a woman like her. It doesn't matter whether she wears them or not. Himejima Akino, these things don't seem to be your place to speak, a woman whose mind is solely focused on kissing. How many times have you kissed that Itsuka Shido, 100 or 200? Takisaki Kurumi, excuse me, there's no Itsuka Shido in my current world, and I still have my first kiss, which I'm saving for darling. Himejima Akino, then how do you know what my current world is like? Takisaki Kurumi, I don't need to know, because I've already seen every part of your body. Not only me, but Linglong and Takakitayo have too, you indecent woman. Kuroba Kato, is this so exciting? Sakata Gintoki, Hashidao Sak. What's the name of this anime? Tell Jin-san now, I'm going to watch it right now. Hint, Sakata Gintoki has been muted for 9,999 minutes, Lu Linglong, at Imejima's Hino. The three of us have already watched the anime about you last night. As women, we can't accept such a big scale of yours, Himejima's Hino, at Xiaoqi. It seems a bit unreasonable to tell other people about my anime without my permission. Zhu Zhuqing, this matter has nothing to do with him. We got him drunk last night and accidentally heard it from him. Nami, have you guys gone so far now? Remember to bring me with you next time so I can take the opportunity to punch him a few times. Hint, Nami has been muted for 10 minutes. Xiaoqi, at Imejima's Hino, no matter what the reason, I want to say sorry to you about this matter. In addition, I have sent you a private message about your anime Azuma Himino, at Lu Linglong, at Zhu Zhuqing. Don't you two think what you're saying is contradictory? That Miss Nami seems to have done this more than once in One Piece, yet you can still be friends with her. Lu Linglong, you might think I'm hypocritical. Nami doesn't have any frontal shots, but you're different. You show everything, and it's all close-ups. And then there's the method you use to seduce the male protagonist. Hayao say Zhu Zhuqing, it's normal for you to like Hayao say, and it's normal to pursue someone. I was also pursuing Xiaoqi back then, but the methods you used were a bit. Anyway, I wouldn't do such a thing as Azuma Himino. Hayao say? I see. Takisaki Kurumi, what? Don't tell us that in your world, Hayao say is also a woman. Azuma Himino, it has nothing to do with you. Azuma Himino, at Xiaoqi. What about you? Xiaoqi, as a modern man, I really enjoy watching your anime, and I even enjoy reading your novels. Xiaoqi, I admit I'm a bit of a hypocrite. Deep down I want to watch those things, but mentally I can't accept a girl as open-minded as you. But you can rest assured about one thing. Xiaoqi, everyone has their own way of doing things, it's just that some people can accept that, and some can't. Since you've already joined the chat group, as long as you don't do anything malicious, I won't ban you, let alone kick you out. Xiaoqi, as for the conflict between you and Takisaki Kurumi, I still say the same thing. Find a chance to have a fight at Takisaki Kurumi. Stop maliciously slandering Akashima Himino. Do you hear me? Takisaki Kurumi, humph. Xiaoqi, at Zhu Zhuqing, at Lu Linglong, at Takisaki Kurumi, none of you three are allowed to talk about that anime. Also, if anyone else actually finds that anime, they're not allowed to tell anyone. Hint, Sakata Gintoki has been unbanned. Azuma Himino, one last question. If I trigger a quest in the future and need your help, will you come? Takisaki Kurumi, why come? I'll earn darling's points. After this quest is over, I'll go back and capture all those Pokemon. Xiaoqi, after all, you're a member of the chat group. If you're really in danger, I'll come to save you. As for the rest of the time, I'll give up your quests and you can find other people in the group. Azuma Himino, oh, I thought I'd be completely isolated from you. Now I feel relieved. Sakata Gintoki, at Azuma Himino, you still have me, Jin-san. Jin-san now has points to Azuma Himino. Thank you in advance, Jin-san. Sakata Gintoki, then could you tell Jin-san the name of your anime? Lu Linglong, I think I need to have a good chat with Feng Xian later. Sakata Gintoki, ahoho, the weather is nice today. When are you guys leaving? Lu Linglong, I can't be bothered with you. Sakuragi Hanamichi, big brother, I've already chosen jersey numbers for you and Kato. Who do you think will get the remaining 2 spots? Sakata Gintoki, asshole, don't you see how old Jin-san is? Jin-san, I used to be known as the Edo basketball player. Xiaoqi, ask Minato for one. Namikaze Minato, can a dead person like me do a mission? Xiaoqi, Sakuragi's mission this time only requires 4 male members. It doesn't specify whether they're dead or alive, unless you're not a man. Namikaze Minato, I already have a child with Naruto, so of course I'm a man. Aizen Sosuke, 4th team, maybe you can try to revive yourself after you go to Sakuragi Hanamichi. Namikaze Minato, if I can really go to Sakuragi, I'll try. After I'm resurrected, I'll personally go and settle the score with Sarutobi Hiruzen and Danzo. Xiaoqi, Minato, wait until you're resurrected. Namikaze Minato, I understand. Let's do something together, right? Xiaoqi, I understand, but it depends on which timeline you're in. Sakata Gintoki, at Namikaze Minato, 4th Hokage, Jin-san's greatest wish in life is to go do something with you. You must bring Jin-san with you. Linglong, I think you went there to do something to someone. Doesn't your Feng Xian care about you? Sakata Gintoki, what a joke. If Xiaoqi can have a harem, why can't Jin-san? There are thousands of beauties in Naruto, but Jin-san only has one goal. Namikaze Minato, you won't do anything to my son's wife, Hinata, will you? Sakata Gintoki, Jin-san is not Xiaoqi. He has no interest in little brats. Xiaoqi, damn it, when did I ever look for little brats? Besides, how do you know Hinata is a little brat now? Sakata Gintoki, regardless of whether she's older or younger, Jin-san's target this time isn't her, Kuroba Kato, it can't be Tsunade, can it? She'll beat you to death, Sakata Gintoki, of course not that violent old woman, but you've already guessed half right. Xiaoqi, awesome, you really know how to choose? Namikaze Minato, hey, I guessed who Jin-san was talking about, Kashiwazaki Sina, so who are you talking about? I haven't watched much of Naruto yet. Aizen Sosuke, Land of Lightning, Jounin of the Hidden Cloud Village, Samu, Linglong, I knew it would be like this, Zhu Zhuqing, speechless, Takisaki Kurumi, another big cow, your taste is still as bad as ever, Himejima Akino, at Sakata Gintoki, I think you have great taste, that Samu suits you very well, keep it up Takisaki Kurumi, shut up, you don't even know who Samu is. Sakuragi Hanamichi, then can you tell me who the last spot will be given to? Chapter 106 Don't Want Billion Zhang Chulin. In the pirate world, on the Mary, inside the girl's room. Wei Wei looked at Nami, whose face still had traces of tears, and comforted her, Nami, don't be sad. The original is the original, and now is now. You haven't done that kind of thing now. Husband, no, Xiaoqi will change his opinion of you over time, besides, Linglong and Zhu Zhuqing have also explained it for you in disguise, Nami said with a sad face. Wei Wei, I really hate myself in the original book now. I said before that I could offer sacrifices to the gods to make him become a Super Saiyan, but he didn't believe me at all. Wei Wei sighed softly. Nami, you can't have such an idea. Xiaoqi was just joking at the time. What you have to do now is to trigger the task as soon as possible so that you have an excuse to ask him to come over, Robin said at this time. I think next time we should just call that Himejima Akino over as well. Did she just mention your name in person? You can do that too. Wei Wei nodded and said, I think it's okay. Then so many of us will isolate her together and see how she can mix in the chat group in the future. It's just a better figure. What's so great about it? Robin smiled and said, our navigator will not give up so easily. This is not like your style. Nami gritted her teeth and said angrily, let's do it. That hateful woman actually dared to call my name in person. I want to let her know that Nami, am not so easy to mess with. Vivi smiled and said, that's right, and your biggest advantage is that there are many plots. In Xiaoqi's words, there's nothing to be afraid of, just do it. Nami looked at Vivi with a weird expression and said, you are the princess of Alabasta. Is it really okay to say such things? Vivi laughed and said, what's wrong with it? I am also Xiaoqi's wife. This is called marrying whoever you want. You look like the person you want. Well, little girl, you are showing off in front of me again, right? Let me see how I deal with you. The world under one person. After last night's bonfire party, when Xiaoqi and her group arrived at the competition venue, someone called out, boss, come sit with us today. Yeah, that bastard Zhang Chulin is too shy to sit with us right now. Ha ha ha. Xiaoqi smiled and walked towards the group. She also felt that more people would make the competition more lively. As the start time for the first match approached, The referee's voice echoed from the competition venue below. Please invite contestants Lu Linglong and Zhang Lingyu to enter. Lu Linglong stood up and smiled. Everyone, I'll be right back. The others smiled slightly at this, understanding that it was just a formality. However, things didn't turn out as they expected. Zhang Lingyu, who had arrived at the center of the venue, threatened Lu Linglong. Lu Linglong, I'll defeat you head-on in the next match. Everyone was anxious, their eyes turning to Xiaoqi, wondering if another big mess was about to break out. Xiaoqi said jokingly, "You don't have to look at me like that. Linglong's future matches will depend entirely on her own. You can also take advantage of this opportunity to see her current strength." They wouldn't see Lu Linglong's true strength until the match began, but everyone had already heard her arrogant attitude. Zhang Lingyu, I'm in a good mood today. I'll only use one hand to beat you. If you can make me use both, I'll automatically surrender. Zhang Lingyu's face darkened instantly. And she said coldly, even if you ask Xiaoqi to blow up Longhu Mountain today, I will defeat you. Despite Zhang Lingyu's bold words, he was completely stunned after the match began. Lu Linglong, standing across from him one moment, vanished from his sight the next. The audience in the stands were equally bewildered by Zhang Lingyu's bewildered expression. You just said such harsh words, and we all believed them, and yet in the end, we still didn't dare to attack Lu Linglong. However, some people noticed something was amiss. Old Lu, what kind of martial arts did your granddaughter learn? Judging from Lingyu's confused look, she seems unable to locate her, but we can clearly see her, Lu Jin said angrily. Do you think I would know? This girl won't tell me anything now, and only around that man does she retain her old personality. The old Taoist priest smiled and said, it seems that soon, an old man like me will be attending your Lu family's wedding. On the competition field, Zhang Lingyu was at a loss, unable to find Lu Linglong. Recklessly releasing Yin Wu Lei would only deplete his ki. All he could do now was wait. If Lu Linglong attacked him, he could determine her current location by the location of the attack. Zhang Lingyu's idea was indeed a good one, and he did indeed wait for Lu Linglong's attack. However, he didn't know that Lu Linglong had other abilities besides her current defect invisibility ability, such as the strange force she was now unleashing on him. Xiaoqi found it amusing to watch Lu Linglong knock Zhang Lingyu unconscious with a single punch. The contrast between this adorable girl and her incredible strength was truly remarkable. Hiss! The others gasped at the sight of Lu Linglong's ferocity, but they were even more curious about why Zhang Lingyu stood there like an idiot while being sent flying. Even if he was just pretending, there was no need to take a punch that hurt just looking at him. With these questions in mind, when Zhang Lingyu and Lu Linglong returned, they surrounded him and questioned him. Zhang Lingyu looked at Lu Linglong with a complex expression, as she took credit for her performance in front of Xiaoqi. He wanted to know more than anyone what had just happened. The second match that followed was far more exciting than Lu Linglong's, at least everyone could see clearly. Wang Yi and Zhu Zhuqing, two masters, neither held back, unleashed their strongest moves. However, the result was somewhat unexpected, and even more so, Zhu Zhuqing lost a match. The third match was skipped, and for the fourth, Zhang Chulin, after a quiet day, was back in action. His and Feng Baobao's poor performance drew a barrage of abuse from the audience. RNM, refund your tickets. I've seen shameless people, but never this shameless. How can someone like that have the nerve to stay here? He has absolutely no shame. He's completely shameless. From now on, we'll call him No-Binus Zhang Chulin. Xiaoqi was practically laughing her head off as Zhang Chulin and Feng Baobao, still happily playing a fake match, were still on the court. Watching the live broadcast was truly more entertaining than watching anime. With the final four confirmed, the first match of the afternoon would be between Zhang Chulin and Jia Zhanglian, and the second would be between Lu Linglong and Wang Yi. Let's go have lunch first. Just as Xiaoqi and the others were about to leave, Zhang Lingyu, who had been wondering, came to Lu Linglong and said, what move did you just use? Lu Linglong said with a teasing look, call me sister, and I'll tell you. Zhang Lingyu said angrily, you're dreaming. I would never call you that. Even if you didn't tell me, I can guess that it must be Xiaoqi who gave it to you. Xiaoqi patted her on the shoulder and said, if you watch Linglong's game carefully this afternoon, maybe you'll know the answer. As Lu Linglong passed by Zhang Lingyu, she whispered, let's not talk about who gave me my ability. Even if I rely on Xiaoqi, so what? I'm proud to rely on my own man. Zhang Lingyu's eyes widened when she heard this, and pointing at her, she said, "You and him, SHH." Linglong made a gesture to silence her and whispered, "Just because it wasn't there before doesn't mean it won't be there in the future. So, from now on, just recognize me as your sister. I'll protect you and Xiaoqi." Chapter 107. How about we play poker together first? Contestants Jia Zhanglian and Zhang Chulin, please enter. Zhang Chulin, upon hearing the referee's call, cheerfully walked toward the center of the field, waving toward the stands. Xiaoqi smiled at Zhang Chulin, who remained calm despite the booze, and said, "Sometimes I admire him. It's a state of mind, isn't it?" Zhang Lingayu said grumpily, "That's a shameful state of mind." Linglong then chuckled, "Do you think Feng Bao has buried Jia Zhanglian now?" Jia Zhanglian, somewhere in the Longhu Mountain Forest, said on the phone, "Mom, I ran into a crazy woman today. She took a shovel and knocked me unconscious without a word. You ask where I am now? I'm in a pit. That crazy woman buried me, but she still had a conscience and kept my phone." "What? You say she's interested in me? Don't be ridiculous. I can't afford to offend a woman like that." At the competition venue, everyone was furious when Feng Bao appeared and flashed an OK sign to Zhang Chulin. They all knew without hesitation that Jia Zhanglian must have been privately dealt with by this guy. Thus, the phrase "don't be a lecherous Zhang Chulin" resounded throughout the air. After the referee announced the result, Zhang Chulin, with a look of disdain on his face, would have rushed over and slapped his opponent if he hadn't been defeated. Returning to the stands, Zhang Chulin looked at Linglong with a coquettish smile and said, "Goddess Linglong, please go easy on me in tomorrow's match. I'm Big Brother's #1 henchman, after all." Zhang Lingayu scowled, "Linglong, I can call you sister from now on, but only if you give him a good beating tomorrow, the kind that'll put him in the hospital." Linglong smiled, "Okay, it's a deal." Ha ha ha. Everyone burst into laughter at Zhang Chulin's bitter face. Sure enough, Linglong was the best person to deal with this lecherous Zhang Chulin. Contestant Linglong and contestant Wang Yi, please enter the arena. As the second semifinal began, Zhang Lingayu closely watched the two players' every move, but the more he watched, the more puzzled he became. Wang Yi's expression now resembled his own from that morning, but Linglong hadn't done anything. She even had the audacity to make faces at Wang Yi. Couldn't he see? Can't see, Zhang Lingayu suddenly realized. Combining this with his own experience that morning, he seemed to understand what Linglong was currently using. He turned to Xiaoqi and said, "She can render her opponent invisible to her presence." Xiaoqi smiled. "That's about it," Zhang Lingayu chuckled bitterly. How could he possibly fight if he couldn't see her figure or sense her presence? His loss wasn't unfair. Zhang Chulin's face darkened as he heard this. With Linglong's abilities, there was no point in fighting her tomorrow. He might as well just admit defeat. Just when everyone thought Linglong was about to win easily again, Wang Yi didn't sit still. A strange magic circle suddenly appeared beneath his feet. As expected of Master Wang, "You're quite skilled," Xiaoqi praised Wang Yi, then suddenly changed the subject. "But that's not enough. Linglong is now more than just melee fighter." As Xiaoqi finished her words, there were exclamations from the crowd, and Zhang Lingayu and Zhang Chulin jumped to their feet in astonishment. Linglong had actually used a lightning technique like them, and the power was even greater than their yin-yang 5 thunders. Xiaoqi smiled at Linglong as she used the thunder fruit. This silly girl had truly been lucky. She'd drawn so many goodies that day. No wonder she was so excited she wanted to hug Zhi Jinhu. Suddenly, she remembered the bear and kitten costumes she'd seen them wearing that day. Little bear has become so strong now, but little kitten is a little weak and has no ability to protect herself. I can keep an eye on her from now on. Thinking of this, Xiaoqi turned her head and looked at Zhi Jinhu and said, "Little kitten, no, who or what kind of ability do you like?" Zhi Jinhu's face turned red instantly. She knew exactly what little kitten meant, but when she thought about the meaning of Xiaoqi's question to her, she felt a little happy in her heart. As long as it can help you, any ability will do. Xiaoqi thought for a while and said, "Then I'll keep an eye on it for you, and I'll let Linglong ask you then." Zhi Jinhu nodded shyly. Takisaki Kirumi looked at the other's shy face and said, "Zhu Zhuqing, there is a little kitten eating in front of you, a big cat. Do you want to catch her and interrogate her?" Zhu Zhuqing said with a smile, "If I have to catch someone, I'll catch you first." Zhang Chulin licked his face and walked forward and said, "Brother, I will give the first place to Sister Linglong tomorrow. Can you give me a random ability? Meow. Everyone looked at Zhang Chulin, who was imitating the movements of a lucky cat and didn't want to be ugly, and they couldn't help it at all. Zhang Chulin, can you please stop being so disgusting? Does Goddess Linglong need you to give in? You'll get a beating tomorrow. Yeah, meow. I'll meow your head. I'm warning you, if you dare do that again, we'll stuff you straight into the toilet. Boom. At that moment, a thunderclap drew everyone's attention. When they looked down at the field, Wang Yi had already collapsed to the ground, white smoke still rising from his body. The winner of this match is Lu Linglong. The final of this Lu Ocean Grand Ceremony will be held tomorrow at 1 p.m., with Lu Linglong facing Zhang Chulin. As the referee finished his words, chants of Goddess Linglong, beat Zhang Chulin to death, echoed throughout the field. Zhang Chulin said with a mournful face, "Brother, can I just concede tomorrow?" Zhu Zhuqing patted Zhang Chulin on the shoulder and said, "Chulin, I'm rooting for you tomorrow. Keep going." After parting with Zhang Chulin and the others, Zhu Zhuqing and the others did not rush back to their own residences but followed Zhang Lingayu to the Xianxi mansion. Tomorrow is the last day of the Luotian Grand Ceremony, and some things need to be confirmed with Xiaoqi. I have already used Guangqing's mobile phone to let them proceed according to the original plan. Tomorrow night, none of the three Zhang Kuwangs, Yuan Tao and others will be missing. Zhu Zhuqing nodded after listening, and looked at Zhang Lingayu and Xiaoqi and said, "Please organize another party tomorrow night and let everyone stay in your Xianxi mansion. I don't want anyone else to interfere. Xiaoqi, you lead them to the designated place tomorrow. I want all of them to never come back. In addition, I will take this opportunity to let you officially leave Guangxing." Zhang Lingayu nodded. "I see. I thank you on behalf of Xiaoqi," Zhu Zhuqing said unhappily. "Why are you here again? Sometimes you really should learn from Zhang Chulin. Tomorrow after we finish our business, we will come over to join in the fun, just as a farewell to you guys in advance." After Zhu Zhuqing and the others returned to their residence, Zhu Zhuqing, Lu Linglong, Takisaki Kirumi and Zhi Jinhu locked him in the room and kept him under strict watch, and did not allow him to leave here tonight. Zhu Zhuqing looked at the four girls who were on high alert and said with a smile, "I say, can you guys stop looking at me like a prisoner? Isn't tonight the night of the full moon? If things don't work out, I can go back to my own world and hide for a night," Lu Linglong said anxiously. "No, the mission of Lu Ocean Dajio is about to end, and it will take some time before the next plot point." Lu Linglong suddenly had an idea when she said this, and after pulling Zhi Jinhu to her, she continued, "You have such a good relationship with Huer now, don't you want to talk to her more?" Although Zhi Jinhu was very shy, what Lu Linglong said was indeed right. She and Zhu Zhuqing didn't have much time to spend together. "What I promised you before has not been completed yet. I will calculate your combat power tonight." Zhu Zhuqing smiled and said, "Okay, but this thing doesn't count as a whole night. Why don't the five of us play some poker first?" "Play poker?" Lu Linglong let out a strange cry when she heard this. She often read online articles and knew the other meaning of playing poker, but this was too fast, and there were 5 people. How could they play? Zhu Zhuqing looked at Lu Linglong, whose face was flushed, and asked puzzledly, "Why are you blushing when I asked you if you want to play poker? Hurry up, are you going to play or not?" After Lu Linglong made some preparations in her heart, she took a deep breath, looked at Zhu Zhuqing and said, "If it's you, then yes, but this is my first time playing poker, so you must be responsible for me after playing poker with me, otherwise I will hate you for the rest of my life." What a mess. Zhu Zhuqing was not the only one confused by Lu Linglong's words, even the other 3 women beside her were bewildered. The next second, Lu Linglong took off her outermost t-shirt in front of their shocked eyes. Zhu Zhuqing looked at Lu Linglong and swallowed, but when he saw the woman about to take off her pants, he instantly came to his senses and shouted, "Lu Linglong, what are you doing, you idiot, and you guys too, what are you looking at? Stop her quickly." Chapter 108 Lu Linglong's Confession. Zhu Zhuqing looked at Lu Linglong, whose face was now filled with shame, and was both angry and amused. He had just been talking about playing poker seriously, but this silly girl had actually thought of something less serious. "Linglong, you should read less of that nonsense online literature in the future. It's not good for your physical and mental health." Takisaki Kirumi laughed. I thought I was bold enough, but I didn't expect you, Linglong, to be so direct," Zhu Zhuqing said with a smile. "How about the 3 of us go out now, Zhi Jinho smiled and said, Linglong, I'll get you the cards now. Hearing these teasings, Lu Linglong lowered her head even more and whispered, stop talking. I'm embarrassed enough. After Lu Linglong's blunder, Su Xiaoqi no longer had any interest in playing poker. Now, whenever he saw Lu Linglong, his mind would involuntarily think of the words beautiful dealer, dealing cards online. After a series of calculations based on the data provided by Su Xiaoqi and comparing it with the situation in the original Dragon Ball, Zhi Jinho finally concluded that Su Xiaoqi's current normal combat power is 1,927,560. Lu Linglong praised, Hooer, you are so amazing. I feel dizzy just looking at these numbers. Zhi Jinho smiled, looked at Su Xiaoqi and said, you Saiyans grow too fast. The result I calculated now may be greatly improved after your next practice. Su Xiaoqi nodded and smiled, thank you, you are much better than a certain pink-haired girl with a mess in her head. Lu Linglong pouted and said with some dissatisfaction, I'm going for the cute and adorable route. Okay. At this moment, there was a rustling sound suddenly coming from outside the room. Lu Linglong's expression instantly became serious. She looked at Zhu Zhuqing and the other two girls and said, I'll go out and take a look. The three of you watch Su Xiaoqi. No matter what happens, you can't let him leave this room. Su Xiaoqi shook his head helplessly. He was almost becoming a national treasure in the eyes of these people. Not long after Lu Linglong left, Su Xiaoqi and the others heard the sounds of fighting outside. They weren't worried about Lu Linglong's safety at all. After all, without knowing the devil fruit's weakness, there were very few people in the world who could hurt her, almost none. Not long after, when Lu Linglong walked in carrying the now-bound Feng Bao, Su Xiaoqi and the others' faces turned strange. Su Xiaoqi looked at Feng Bao who was struggling on the ground and said with a smile, Zhang Qulin sent you to bury her. Feng Bao nodded first, then shook his head. I want to fight with you and bury her by the way, Lu Linglong said unhappily. Feng Bao, you can't even beat me now, let alone Su Xiaoqi. Feng Bao said excitedly, I have a special move that can kill with one blow. Hearing this, Su Xiaoqi was curious, what special move is so powerful? Could it be some messy thing like the 18 styles of Ai? Feng Bao looked at Su Xiaoqi and slowly spit out two words, seduction. Su Xiaoqi opened her mouth wide and couldn't speak. The faces of Lu Linglong, Zhu Zhuqing, Tokisaki Kirumi and Zhi Jinho turned dark at the same time. However, Feng Bao didn't care about their expressions, and continued, I've thought about it. You probably don't have much chance of winning in a head-on fight, but I noticed that you like women, so I thought of this trick. I even brought clothes this time. But I haven't had time to change. Feng Bao became proud when she said this. They all say I'm stupid, but I'm not stupid at all. Sometimes I think I'm very smart. Su Xiaoqi was stunned for a long time, then looked at Feng Bao in front of her and said unhappily, someone, drag this melon rind away and chop it off. No, fork this melon rind out for me. Feng Bao, who was dragged out by Lu Linglong and Zhi Jinho, shouted, can I change my clothes first? I think this wave is very stable. No, we won't let him see it. Lu Linglong and Zhi Jinho shouted in unison. Tokisaki Kirumi smiled and said, although Feng Bao was a bit silly, she gave me a new idea. I might try it next time. Zhu Zhuqing rolled her eyes and said angrily, just forget about it. After Feng Bao's farce, the four women discussed and decided to split into two groups to take turns keeping watch. Lu Linglong and Zhi Jinho, who were playing in the finals the next day, would take charge of the first half of the night, while Zhu Zhuqing and Tokisaki Kirumi would take charge of the second half. The next morning, Su Xiaoqi, having had a good sleep, emerged from the cage in high spirits. Zhu Zhuqing and Tokisaki Kirumi, who were on duty for the second half of the night, were now somewhat listless. Tokisaki Kirumi looked at Zhu Zhuqing with a look of resentment. She had finally gotten to spend the night with Su Xiaoqi last night, but Zhu Zhuqing hadn't given her a chance. In the first half of the night, when they slept together, Zhu Zhuqing had tied their hands together. In the second half of the night, it was more like she was watching her than watching Su Xiaoqi. Su Xiaoqi looked at the haggard woman and said, I'm going out to practice for a while. You two should catch up on some sleep now. Zhu Zhuqing looked at Tokisaki Kirumi and said with a smile, will you still sleep with me later? I won't tie you up this time. Tokisaki Kirumi snorted, I'll sleep alone. Around noon, Sakata Gintoki, Feng Xian, and Feng Xingtong arrived. The two of them were inseparable. Although Gintoki was usually a bit eccentric, this time was different. Last night, he brought Feng Xian with him to destroy the Wang family, earning them a lot of points and earning Feng Xian's complete devotion. After lunch, everyone set off for the competition venue. Barring any unexpected events, today would be their last time here. Linglong's arrival was greeted with cheers from everyone present. She had truly stolen a show at this Luotian Grand Ceremony, and legends about her were now circulating throughout the world of extraordinary people. With her iconic catchphrase, "Face me head-on," and her immense strength, she's most famous for her pairing with Xiaoqi. In contrast, her finals opponent, Zhang Julin, while equally captivated, is best remembered for his nickname, No Billion. Please invite contestants Linglong and Zhang Julin, who have entered the finals of this Luotian Grand Ceremony, to enter the arena. As the referee's voice fell, chants of Goddess Linglong and No Billion echoed once again. Linglong stood up, looked at Xiaoqi, and said, "Today I'll steal the show once more." Xiaoqi smiled and said, "Go." Zhang Julin, with a wry face, said, "Brother, even if you don't cheer for Miss Linglong, I can't beat her, okay, ha ha ha." Zhang Julin's words drew laughter from the crowd, reflecting the enormous disparity in skill between the two. The finals unfolded as everyone expected, with Linglong easily winning and taking first place in this Luotian Grand Ceremony. But this time, despite losing the match, Zhang Julin also earned everyone's respect. Despite the overwhelming disparity in skill, he refused to give up and gave his all. During the post-match awards ceremony, Lu Jin and the old Celestial Master presented Linglong with the Tongshan Scroll and the Celestial Master title, respectively. However, Linglong only accepted the Tongshan Scroll and dismissed the Celestial Master title with disdain, stating it wouldn't earn her any points. Just as everyone assumed the Luotian Grand Ceremony was over and were about to leave, Linglong's voice suddenly rang out from the center of the venue. "Everyone, I have a few words to say. Could you please listen to me?" Everyone sat back down and listened to Linglong's speech. Linglong looked at Xiaoqi above the audience stands, and suddenly a beautiful smile appeared on her face. She said slowly, "Everyone, I am very happy to win the first place in this Luotian Daijio, but compared to the first place, I want to thank someone here more. Maybe you all know who I am talking about. He brought me the most unforgettable and happiest memories in this Luotian Daijio. You must still remember what he said in front of everyone on the day of the preliminaries. This time I also have something to tell him." Linglong took a deep breath when she said this, and then shouted loudly, "Now I announce that I, Linglong, will be Xiaoqi's girlfriend. Does any one of you object?" Quiet. No one expected that what Linglong was going to say was a confession, and she chose this occasion. Everyone on Xiaoqi's side was equally surprised by Linglong's move. Just as they were still stunned, Linglong continued from the center of the venue, "Xiaoqi, I'm not as gentle as Zhu Zhuqing, nor as virtuous as Wei Wei. I'm usually a bit of a naivete, and you've even called me silly, but that's my specialty. I can go crazy with you and play with you, so, do you like this kind of Linglong girl?" If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 109 Sky Island Plot is coming. Do you like it? These 4 words echoed in every corner of the scene. After a brief silence, the whole place rang out 3 words in unison. "Promise her, promise her, promise her." At this moment, Sakata Gintoki shouted, "Jin-san, I don't agree to this marriage." However, his voice had just fallen when he was hit hard on the head. Feng Xian, who was standing beside him, said angrily, "Shut up right there, or I'll cut up your tools right now." Sakata Gintoki's outburst made everyone look at Xiaoqi. They were all waiting for the big boss's answer. Xiaoqi looked at Linglong in the center of the venue and suddenly laughed. She flew straight to Linglong and said with a smile, "I didn't expect you to play this trick on me. We agreed that our revolutionary friendship would last forever, but now you are setting your sights on me." Linglong laughed foolishly and said, "Usually I follow the script you wrote, but this time it's my turn to write the script." Xiaoqi said with a smile, "What will you do if I don't follow your script?" Linglong said with a sad face, "Then I will become a laughingstock in the alien world and the chat group." Can you bear to see such a cute girl Linglong being laughed at? You are such a clever little ghost. Xiaoqi pinched Lu Linglong's nose gently, then stretched out her hand to hold her waist and flew into the sky, looking at everyone and said, "From now on, your goddess Linglong belongs to me. Does anyone object?" The next second, Xiaoqi smiled slightly and said, "Even if you object, it's useless. Sister Linglong is still mine." Ha ha ha. Xiaoqi's words successfully amused everyone present, and the room erupted in applause and cheers. "Give me a kiss, give me a kiss, give me a kiss." Xiaoqi looked at Lu Linglong and smiled. "Linglong, where do you want me to kiss you?" Lu Linglong blushed and whispered, "Kiss wherever you want." Xiaoqi gave Lu Linglong a gentle kiss on the lips. "Linglong, please give me your guidance in the future." With Xiaoqi and Lu Linglong sealed their love with a kiss, the Lu Ocean Grand ceremony concluded successfully. Their story became a beloved tale among all the strangers. Lu Jin looked at Xiaoqi and his granddaughter and said with a smile, "You two young people really know how to have fun. I, an old man, am out of date, but Linglong, now that you are Xiaoqi's girlfriend, you must be sensible in the future. Be careful not to scare her away." Lu Linglong put her hands on her hips and said, "Grandpa, if you dare to talk nonsense again, I will let Xiaoqi blow up the earth. I may have been bragging before, but it's different now. I am Xiaoqi's girlfriend," announced in public. Lu Jin and Xiaoqi were both amused by Lu Linglong's words. Xiaoqi smiled and said, "Grandpa Lu, it seems that I can't be buddies with you in the future." Lu Jin was stunned for a moment, then laughed and said, "Ha ha ha, you are really naughty. Come and see me, an old man, more often when you have the chance." "Sure." After greeting Lu Jin and the old Taoist priest, Xiaoqi took Lu Linglong's hand and returned to the others. Zhu Zhuqing looked at Lu Linglong and smiled, "You're really good. You used a big move on all of us. I now think that what Feng Bao said yesterday is quite appropriate for you." Zhi Jinho smiled and said, "Others say that Lu Linglong is stupid, but in fact, Lu Linglong is not stupid at all. Sometimes we think you are very smart." Tokisaki Kurumi said with a sour tone, "Next time in my home court, I will definitely make a bigger scene than Linglong." Kid Sak. Just as everyone was teasing Lu Linglong, Sakata Gintoki walked up to Lu Linglong angrily and said, "Sister Linglong, how can you betray Jin-san? Jin-san admits that he was somewhat negligent in this mission, but Jin-san's feelings for you have never changed." Feng Xian grabbed the other's collar and said coldly, "White hair, I think you are still too energetic. Come on, while you still have time, let's have another fight." Sakata Gintoki shuddered and said, "Swallow, Jin-san was just joking. How about forget it? Jin-san is out of control now." Feng Xian sneered, "Don't you always say you can get one if you squeeze in? Come back with me." Everyone laughed as they watched Sakata Gintoki, looking hopeless, being dragged away by Feng Xian. Zhang Chulin then approached Xiaoqi and flattered her, "Big boss, how about you teach me some tips on picking up girls? I want to find a partner, too." Xiaoqi patted him on the shoulder and said seriously, "Chulin, you don't even have to look. Isn't there someone perfect right next to you? Go for it. I'm rooting for you." Zhang Chulin instinctively turned to look at Feng Bao and shuddered as well. He truly couldn't afford this one. After Xiaoqi and her group returned to their accommodations, Lu Linglong eagerly opened the group chat. Hint, Lu Linglong sent red envelopes to everyone. Lu Linglong, everyone, this is a little gift from me. Kurobakato, congratulations, Linglong. You were so cool just now. Kashiwazaki Sina, I was so moved by what I just saw. Namikaze Minato, bless you all. Lu Linglong, thank you everyone. Azoum Sosuke, at Lu Linglong, I'm so happy to see you grow. Kurobakato, Land-sama, why don't you change your words? Every time I see you say that, I can't help but feel uneasy. Sakuragi Hanamichi, hello, third sister-in-law, Tokisaki Kurumi. Sakuragi, I think this title suits me better. Himejima Akino, Tokisaki Kurumi, what the hell are you talking about? Who gave you permission to speak? Himejima Akino, oh, do I even have the right to speak in the group? At Xiaoqi, San, stop it, Tokisaki Kurumi, you won't be so proud for long. When I trigger the quest, we'll finally make a clean break. Himejima Akino, oh, maybe I'll trigger the quest before you. Tip, triggering a storyline mission. Group member Nami will soon enter the Sky Island storyline. Group member Nami can change the storyline to suit her needs. The greater the change, the more points she earns. This mission can be completed by inviting 5 group members together. Linglong, sign up. Sakata Gintoki, me, the lovely Kanis, Jin-san is here. Takisaki Kurumi, Nami, let's invite each other. Aizen Sosuke, Ainel, if you can, please take me with you. Namikaze Minato, I already have a mission for Sakuragi, so I won't compete with you. Kuroba Kato, same here. Kashiwazaki Sina, I want to go too, but I'm just an ordinary person. Going there would only hold you back. Nami, everyone, I've already thought about the spots for this time. Nami, Takakio, Linglong, Kurumi, Suzuki, and Himejima Akino. Takisaki Kurumi, Nami, why did you invite that woman? Might as well invite Blue, Himejima Akino. Oh, this really surprises me, Nami, Takisaki Kurumi. If you don't want to see her, you don't have to come. I'll leave the spot for Blue, the one you mentioned, Takisaki Kurumi. For darling's sake, I'll endure it, Nami, Himejima Akino. What about you? What do you say? If you don't dare to come, then forget it, Himejima Akino. Oh, I want to meet you group members too, Takisaki Kurumi, Himejima Akino. Then let's fight it out in the pirate world, Himejima Akino. Okay, I want to see your Geek Emperor too, Takisaki Kurumi. Let me warn you, don't act like a jerk once you get there. You'll embarrass our chat group, Himejima Akino. Oh, I think I only see you pestering our administrators and acting like a jerk every day, Takisaki Kurumi. Believe it or not, I'll kill you, Himejima Akino. If you can do it, just come on. Hint, Takisaki Kurumi has been muted for 1 hour. Hint, Himejima Akino has been muted for 1 hour. Suzuki, Nami, where are you guys now? Nami, just landed on Gaia Island. Suzuki, oh, is Wiwi okay? Nami, humph, she said congratulations on successfully winning Linglong. Linglong, Nami, Linglong, you're laughing, I didn't praise you. Suzuki, Linglong, baby, let's ignore her. This woman must be having her period. Nami, go to hell. Suzuki, Sakuragi, how long until the county tournament starts? Sakuragi Hanamichi, still 3 days. Suzuki, looks like I'm going to have to run both ways this time. Sakata Gintoki, Hashiamade, Jin-san is going to Sky Island too. Nami, go away and play basketball. Nami, Kashiwazaki Sina, I'll invite you over next time. Kashiwazaki Sina, okay, but I'm a little confused. I've already set up a neighbors club, so why can't I trigger the quest? Suzuki, who's in your club now? Kashiwazaki Sina, just me. Suzuki, where are all the others? Kashiwazaki Sina, that stinky bitch Mikazuki Yozora set up a friendship club, and they're all there. Suzuki, then what kind of neighbors club did you set up? Kashiwazaki Sina, crying JPG, Zhu Zhuqing, too much. Linglong, bad guy. Nami, scumbag. Hint, Nami has been muted for 1 hour. Suzuki, Nami, what's your business? Come on, keep scolding me, Kangman baby. Suzuki, you can't scold me anymore, I just want to ask if you feel uncomfortable now. Kuroba Kato, hiss, so cruel. Namikaze Minato, in a sense, the conflict between you two is more serious than that between Takisaki Kurumi and Himejima Akino. Chapter 110 The Blue Ocean Grand Ceremony ends. After Suzuki unbanned the other 3 people, she closed the chat group and looked at Takisaki Kurumi and said, can you please stop arguing with that woman in the group every time? Takisaki Kurumi snorted coldly and said, she provoked me first. Anyway, when I see her this time, I will kill her. Suzuki's expression suddenly became serious. Sanson, I won't interfere with you if you fight with her, but if you really want to kill her, I will stop you. Don't be so quick to glare at me. This kind of thing where group members kill each other must never happen. Otherwise, if others follow suit in the future, the group will be completely messed up, and the worst result may even be disbanding. Linglong pulled up to Takisaki Kurumi, gave Zhu Zhuqing and Zhi Jinhua a look, and said, the two of us go and persuade Sanson. Half an hour later, Takisaki Kurumi walked up to Suzuki and said, darling, I've thought about it. I cannot kill her, but you are not allowed to prevent me from teaching her a lesson. Suzuki nodded and said, okay, but you two must fight under my nose. Also, her lightning ability is not weak, so you better be careful when the time comes. Takisaki Kurumi smiled when she heard this. I knew darling must feel sorry for me. Hug you. Zhu Zhuqing grabbed the back of the other party's collar and said, why are you hugging me? Hurry up and get ready. Tonight, I ask you to kill a few more people from Kwangsing to get some points. If you lose to the other party, you will become a laughingstock in the entire chat group. I won't lose. When the time comes, I will go to draw a wave of prizes like Linglong, and that dead woman can just wait to be stepped on by me. Lu Linglong said at this time, I don't want those points from Kwangsing. Huer and I will wait for you to come back at the Xianxi mansion. Su Xiaoqi nodded, okay, then let's go to the Xianxi mansion to prepare now. After Su Xiaoqi and others arrived at the Xianxi mansion, they found Zhang Linggao and Xiaoqi directly. After confirming with Xiaoqi that everything was fine, they waited for the night to come. It's almost time. Linglong, we'll go with Xiaoqi first. If any of them slip through the net, we'll leave it to you. Lu Linglong smiled, don't worry, I've got you covered here, nothing's wrong. Led by Xiaoqi, Su Xiaoqi and the others arrived at the agreed location with Quanxing and hid in the shadows, waiting for them to emerge before rounding them up. As the appointed time approached, Quanxing's 3 arrogant men, along with some well-known characters like Yuan Tao, appeared one after another. However, from Xiaoqi's conversation with them, Su Xiaoqi heard that some of the underlings had acted without permission and hadn't gathered. Forget about those underlings, let's take action. When the Quanxing group realized their actions had been exposed and that Xiaoqi had betrayed them, they were furious. However, Su Xiaoqi and the others saw their resistance as a desperate struggle, and the only way out was their utter destruction. Su Xiaoqi and Zhu Zhuqing dealt with the 3 arrogant men, leaving the rest to Takesaki Kirumi. Seeing Zhu Zhuqing and Takesaki Kirumi in action for the first time, Xiaoqi was stunned by their abilities. Zhu Zhuqing was relatively okay, but Takesaki Kirumi's abilities were truly eye-opening. She was thankful she'd left Quanxing at Zhang Linggau's urging, otherwise she too would have been devoured today. Shortly after Su Xiaoqi's battle concluded, news arrived from Lu Linglong. Those who had escaped the attack on the Heavenly Master's mansion had been chopped to charcoal. Following Quanxing's failed attack on Longhu Mountain, a notification sounded in the chat group. Notice, the Luotian Dajio plot is about to end. Members of the non-Under-One World group participating in this mission must leave within 4 hours. Failure to do so will result in forced repatriation and punishment. So soon, Su Xiaoqi and the others were stunned by the notification, then hurried towards the Heavenly Master's mansion. Wow, our heroes are back. Su Xiaoqi and her 2 companions were greeted with a warm welcome upon their arrival at the Xianxi mansion, leaving them perplexed for a moment. Lu Linglong explained that the Quanxing minions' recent attack on the Xianxi mansion had been exposed, and everyone present was now aware of their actions. Su Xiaoqi seized this opportunity to fulfill her promise to Zhang Linggao, fabricating a lie and revealing to everyone present that Xiaoqi's true identity was an undercover agent planted within Quanxing. While Quanxing wasn't completely destroyed, it was already a shaky force, and her continued undercover work was no longer necessary. The old Xianxi then confirmed Su Xiaoqi's story and publicly revealed Zhang Linggao and Xiaoqi's relationship. With Su Xiaoqi and the old Xianxi's endorsements, Xiaoqi's identity was effectively cleared. Zhang Linggao walked up to Su Xiaoqi with a bottle of wine and said, although I know you don't like hearing this, I still want to say thank you. Su Xiaoqi smiled, picked up the bottle, sniffed it, and after confirming it was okay, said, no need for politeness, let's drink. Zhang Linggao smiled and said, okay. Xiaoqi looked at Lu Linglong and said, then one of us should go too? I'll finish my drink, you can do whatever you want. Lu Linglong said arrogantly, my man has finished his drink, I can't embarrass him. I'll finish my drink, you can do whatever you want. However, no one expected that Lu Linglong, who had just said such a harsh word, would get drunk after just 1 bottle of wine. Now, she was hugging Su Xiaoqi and acting crazy. Burp Xiaoqi, I love you so much. I'm so happy to be with you. I want you to kiss me again. Burp Hao. Lu Linglong's drunken appearance drew laughter from everyone. Lu Linglong, one hand on her hip, pointed at the crowd and said, what are you laughing at? I advise you not to make me angry, otherwise. Everyone responded in unison, otherwise, let your man blow up Longhu Mountain. We all understand. Lu Linglong looked up and smiled, you're smart. From now on, Lu Linglong, will be your sister. Is there anyone who objects? Everyone looked at Su Xiaoqi with a wry smile and said, boss, quickly take your goddess Linglong in. We can't afford to offend her, right? As the party ended, there was only 1 hour left before Xiaoqi and the others could leave. Xiaoqi had Zhu Zhuqing, Takisaki Kurumi, and Zhi Jinho take Lu Linglong back to her room to rest, while he went to the old Taoist priest, Lu Jin, and Bianjin's Hong. Lu Jin patted Xiaoqi's shoulder and said, "Xiaoqi, I'll leave my ignorant granddaughter in your care from now on." Xiaoqi nodded solemnly. "Grandpa Lu, I will." Lu Jin smiled and said, "Next time when you come over, I hope you can change the way you address me." "Sure." The old Taoist priest handed a stack of things to Xiaoqi and said, "Xiaoqi, this is what Mr. Yan and I copied for you these 2 days. In the future, our world will depend on people like you. I, an old man, will retire early and enjoy my old age." Xiaoqi looked at the skills in his hand and bowed to the old Taoist priest and Bianjin Song. "Old Taoist priest, Mr. Yan, thank you." The old Taoist priest smiled and said, "Okay, you should have other people to say goodbye to. Go quickly. You are welcome to visit Longhu Mountain next time." Xiaoqi looked at the 3 old men in front of him and said, "Old Taoist priest, Mr. Yan, great-grandfather, see you next time." "This kid," Lu Jin smiled at Xiaoqi's back. When Xiaoqi returned to the room again, only the sleeping Lu Linglong and Zhi Jinho were left in the room. Zhu Zhuqing and Takisaki Kurumi had already returned to their own world. Xiaoqi smiled at Lu Linglong, who was calling her name even in her sleep, then looked at Zhi Jinho and said, "Hooer, I have to go back too. When I draw any good abilities, I will let Linglong give them to you." "Xiaoqi, can I hug you?" Xiaoqi smiled and held Zhi Jinho in her arms. "Hooer, take care of yourself." Zhi Jinho nodded and said, "The same to you. When we meet next time, I will definitely be better than I am now. Also, my cat can do backflips. I will take you home to see it next time." Xiaoqi said with a smile, "Could the color of that kitten be the same as the one I saw last time?" Zhi Jinho raised her head and looked at her and smiled. "I won't tell you now. You'll know when you come next time." "Okay, then I'll wait. I will miss you, Hooer. I will always wait for you." Xiaoqi. Not long after Xiaoqi disappeared, Lu Linglong, who had fallen asleep, suddenly opened her eyes, sat up, looked at Zhi Jinho and said, "Hooer, why didn't you confess just now?" Zhi Jinho turned around and looked at her good sister and smiled, "Because we all hope to save the best moment for next time, rather than in this hasty situation now." Lu Linglong tilted her head in confusion. "What do you mean?" Zhi Jinho smiled and said, "You won't understand even if I tell you. Just continue to be your cute husky." "Well, you nymphomaniac dared to tease me, and said that your cat can do a backflip. I think you did it yourself to show him." "Yes, I did it for him. So what? If you are not convinced, you can perform a husky backflip for him next time." "But, can you do it? Damn it, you dare to look down on me. I'll do one for you now." Thanks to book friend 20230109010345743 for the monthly ticket. Thanks to book friend 1593522221275148288 for the monthly ticket. Thanks to book friend Iron Man Frank for the monthly ticket. Chapter 111. A psychopath came to the group, and the timid ones were scared to death. Xiaoqi. Good morning, everyone. How are you all starting this new day? Namikaze Minato. Poor me, I have no idea of day and night in the belly of the Grim Reaper. Xiaoqi. It's okay. You'll be able to see the sun in a few days. Lu Linglong. At Xiaoqi. Did you miss me? Xiaoqi. Did you? Lu Linglong. Angry JPG. Xiaoqi. Hug JPG. Lu Linglong. Hold me up high. Nami. That's almost enough. It's still daytime. Xiaoqi. At Zhu Zhuqing. Kiss JPG. Zhu Zhuqing. Heart JPG. Kuroba Kato. Eating your dog food so early in the morning? What the hell is that? Nami. At Xiaoqi. You're crazy. Takisaki Kurumi. At Xiaoqi. Darling, where's mine? I thought of you a total of 382 times last night. Xiaoqi. You didn't. Sakata Gintoki. At Takisaki Kurumi. Sanson. Jin-san thought of you a total of 832 times last night. Takisaki Kurumi. Thank you, but that's not necessary. Kashiwazaki Sina. Hey, Jin-san got up really early today. Sakata Gintoki. My little cutie. Jin-san gets up early every day. I'm a hard-working, good man. Lu Linglong. I think you're not used to not having Feng-san to hold you. Sakata Gintoki, Linglong, you've changed. You weren't like this before. It's all because of that evil Saiyan who led you astray. Linglong, I'm happy to do that. It's none of your business. Nami, okay, let's get down to business. When are you guys coming over? We're taking a day off today and leaving for Sky Island tomorrow. Xiaoqi, I'll come over tomorrow. I'm going to challenge 300 times gravity today. Linglong, woohoo, a Super Saiyan is about to be born. Nami, stop being so woohoo, why are the rest of you coming? Linglong, I'll come this afternoon. I need to say hello to Hua first. Xiaoqi, baby, say hello to Hua for me. Linglong, sure. Zhu Zhuqing, I'll be here this afternoon too. I've been out for a few days and have some things to take care of. Xiaoqi, is everything okay? Zhu Zhuqing, everything's fine here, don't worry. Takisaki Kurumi, then I'll come this afternoon too. I was planning to catch other Pokemon for experiments. Akino Himejima, oh, then I'll come with the administrator tomorrow morning. Takisaki Kurumi, I think you're really sick. Akino Himejima, that's better than some people's self-righteousness. Takisaki Kurumi, for darling's sake, I don't bother arguing with you. We'll have a good fight tomorrow. Himejima Akino, at your service anytime. Sakuragi Hanamichi, big brother, when will you come to my place? Xiaoqi, I'll go to the pirate world first to check out the situation, at the latest on the day of the tournament. I haven't asked you yet, are the opponents for this county tournament the same as in the original novel? Sakuragi Hanamichi, yes, and I've already agreed with the others. They'll play the first half of each game, and we'll play the second half. Kuroba Kato, Sakuragi, are you so powerful in the Xiaoqi team now? You get to call the shots? Sakuragi Hanamichi, of course I am the savior of the Xiaoqi basketball team, a superb basketball player, a genius Sakuragi Hanamichi. Kashiwazaki Sina, then I'll watch you all perform. Sakuragi Hanamichi, this genius will show you the most impressive slam dunk. Ding, Yuno Agatsuma has joined the chat group. Linglong, huh? A new member has joined the group so soon. Nami, only one this time? That's really rare. Kashiwazaki Hona, judging from the name, it should be a girl. Sakata Gintoki, a girl? Stop arguing. This new guy, Jin-sen, is here to lead the group. Sakata Gintoki, Adazuma you know, look here, girls, the most handsome and elegant man in the chat group, Jin-sen, will be serving you next. Linglong, Xiaoqi, do you know this guy? Zhu Zhuqing, be more self-aware. Takisaki Kurumi, otherwise, you'll face the consequences. Xiaoqi, I don't know what to say. Takisaki Kurumi, it's not another one of those types, is it? Himejima Akino, Adazuma you know, keep your mouth shut. Takisaki Kurumi, I didn't say anything about you, why are you so anxious? Xiaoqi, stop arguing, you two. This one situation is very special. I'll ask first. Xiaoqi, Adazuma you know, are you there? Agatsuma you know, who are you? And where is this place? Xiaoqi, forget about who I am. Can you tell me first, are you currently participating in a game called Future Diary? Agatsuma you know, are you one of us? Xiaoqi, no. Agatsuma you know, I see. You're here to kill Aksu, right? If you dare to hurt Aksu, I'll kill you, and the rest of you too. If anyone dares to hurt my Aksu, I'll kill you all. Linglong, what the hell? Kashiwazaki Hona, who is Aksu? We don't even know him, why would we kill him? Zhu Zhuqing, Xiaoqi, what's going on with this person? Xiaoqi, Sakata Gintoki, Jin-sen, if you can handle her, from now on I'll call you big brother, and I'll give you the transparent fruit for free. Sakata Gintoki, that's what you said. As long as I, Jin-sen, get serious, there's no girl I can't handle. Sakata Gintoki, Adazuma you know, girl, do you want to talk to Jin-sen about life? Agatsuma you know, where are you? Come out if you dare, I'll kill you. Sakata Gintoki? Namikaze Minato, she's so murderous, it seems like she must have been through something in the past. Nami, Xiaoqi, you better tell me what kind of person she is. Xiaoqi, while it's not good to reveal her personal details without her permission, this person's situation is a little different. For your safety, let me briefly explain. Xiaoqi, Don't be fooled by her having the same hair color as Linglong and looking harmless. She's actually a complete yandere. Xiaoqi, her yandereness has even reached a paranoid level. For the sake of the male protagonist of this anime, she's willing to kill anyone. Takesaki Kurumi, oh, I could do that for darling, too. Xiaoqi, don't be ridiculous. Your yandere demeanor is nothing compared to hers. Xiaoqi, before introducing this character, I need to first talk about her childhood. Her childhood was extremely miserable. She suffered inhumane treatment from her adoptive mother, which led to serious psychological distortion. After she killed her own adoptive parents, her mind completely collapsed. Xiaoqi, later, she met the male protagonist at school and took him as her spiritual support, which made things a little more normal. Do you all think this is a happy ending? Xiaoqi, unfortunately, this is just the beginning. After that, she will kill anyone who approaches the male protagonist, regardless of whether they are male or female, his parents, or even herself. Xiaoqi, because of her morbid love for the male protagonist, she is afraid of losing him. She would put sleeping pills in his drink and imprison him. She would go to the male protagonist's house for dinner and bring a sack of knives with her, ready to kill anyone on the spot if his mother disagreed. Xiaoqi, at Takesaki Kurumi. If your yandere and dark side can be considered cute, then this Agatsuma Yuno is a complete psychopath. Takesaki Kurumi, Kurobakato, damn, what kind of a ridiculous development is this? This is too terrifying, Nami, this is too. I don't know how to describe it. Zhu Zhuqing, although her experience is sympathetic, it is also very sad. Namikaze Minato, I'm very glad that my Naruto didn't become like her, otherwise I would have directly destroyed Konoha. Linglong, at Xiaoqi, can I go dye my hair now? I don't want to have the same hair color as her, it's too scary. Xiaoqi, at Linglong, I like your pink hair now, it's cute. Agatsuma Yuno, if you want to hurt Aksu, I will kill you. Kashiwazaki Sina, woo woo woo, I'm scared of the administrator brother, Sakuragi Hanamichi, big bro, can you kick her out of the group? Sakata Gintoki, Jin-san suddenly feels a little unwell, and I'm afraid I can't lead this new guy. Xiaoqi, as a rule, I won't kick her out of the group until she does something malicious. If you're afraid of her, just communicate less with her in the future. Aizen Sosuke, at Xiaoqi, I'm more curious about what game you mentioned earlier. Xiaoqi, this is a life and death game initiated by the god of time and space, and the winner will become its heir, thus gaining the throne of god that controls time and space. Aizen Sosuke, the god of time and space? Interesting. I'll go check out this anime now. Linglong, idol, how did you know the name of this anime? Aizen Sosuke, haha, your boyfriend just mentioned it. You can go and take a closer look. Xiaoqi, at Linglong, I advise you not to watch this anime. Besides being quite gory, you might not understand it after watching it. Linglong, humph, you underestimate me again. Your goddess Linglong is quite smart. Xiaoqi, there probably aren't many people in the group who can truly understand this anime. Putting aside those gory scenes, it's truly a good anime. It's not an exaggeration to say it's a masterpiece. Xiaoqi, just a friendly reminder, if girls want to watch this anime, it's best to watch it with at least 2 people. Chapter 112 Takesaki Kurumi and Himejima Akino. One Piece World, Gaia Island. Xiaoqi looked at the Straw Hat Pirates members in front of him and said with a smile, everyone, we meet again. How are you? Chopper excitedly threw himself into Xiaoqi's arms and said, Xiaoqi, I missed you so much. Do you want to trick Nami together this time? Xiaoqi was stunned for a moment, then laughed. Trick, we must trick her to death. Nami's face darkened instantly. She punched Chopper on the head and said angrily, Chopper, have you forgotten that Nami is still next to you? And you too, do you think you can use the same trick on me a second time? Xiaoqi looked at Nami with a strange expression and said, Nami, when did you change your career to become a Saint Seiya? Could you be the legendary 13th Gold Saint? Nami asked with a puzzled look. What Gold Saint? Forget it, you won't understand even if I tell you. Go away, don't block me from looking at my Vivi. Xiaoqi pushed Nami aside with disgust, looked at Vivi in front of him and smiled. You seem a little fat. Let me hug you. Wei Wei, who was held high in Xiaoqi's arms, blushed and said, put me down first. There are so many people watching. I'm so embarrassed. Sanji, who was watching this scene, gritted his teeth and whispered, "Damn Saiyan, even if I'm alone this time, I will protect the other girls from your evil hands." Zoro shook his head, sighed softly and said, "Incurable idiot." After Xiaoqi put Wei Wei down, he looked at the 4 big dark circles under the eyes of Zhu Zhuqing and Linglong, and asked curiously, "Hey, what's wrong with your eyes? Didn't you sleep last night?" Zhu Zhuqing and Linglong smiled awkwardly. Wei Wei whispered in his ear, "The 2 of them and Nami watched that future diary last night, and they didn't sleep well all night." Xiaoqi smiled and nodded, turned his head to look at Takesaki Kurumi and said, "Didn't you watch it? I've seen it, but I'm a little more receptive than them." At this point, Takesaki Kurumi suddenly said with a bitter face, "Now I know what it means to be on a different level. Compared to that Agatsuma, I feel like a normal person." Xiaoqi said with a smile, "In my eyes, you're a normal person. None of us would think you're less than human just because you're an elf." Takesaki Kurumi was stunned when she heard this, then gave Xiaoqi a sweet smile. "Darling, I really like you the most." Nami curled her lips and said, "Okay, stop being darling. Your mortal enemy is coming." The next second, Himejima Akino, dressed in a shrine maiden costume, appeared before everyone, instantly attracting everyone's attention. Super beautiful. Sanji saw her for only a second before he immediately fell into a state of infatuation. HMPH, Takesaki Kurumi snorted coldly, "I don't know who you are trying to seduce by coming here dressed like this. Allah, I didn't expect so many people to greet me. I'm really a little embarrassed." Himejima Akino smiled at the people in front of her, then walked straight to Xiaoqi and said with a smile, "Hello, Administrator, I am Himejima Akino. I wonder if the real me is very different from the me you saw before." Just this one sentence made the woman present instantly alert. Vivi, as the host, walked up to Himejima Akino, looked her straight in the eye and smiled, "Hello, I am Xiaoqi's future wife Vivi. On behalf of everyone here, I welcome you to the world of pirates." Himejima Akino looked at Vivi and smiled and said, "Hello, Princess of Alabasta. After seeing you in person today, I understand why the administrator likes you so much. Your temperament and cultivation are much better than some people," Takesaki Kurumi said with a cold face. "Himejima Akino, don't say so much useless things here. Since you are here, fight me now." Himejima Akino turned her head and looked at the other person, smiled and said, "Okay, I wonder if your strength is as hard as your mouth." Gurgle. The murderous aura emanating from Takesaki Kurumi and Himejima Akino scared Usopp and Chopper so much that they trembled. Luffy tilted his head, completely confused about the current situation. Sanji was smoking a cigarette at this time. He walked handsomely between the 2 of them and said lightly, "Two beauties, if you have anything to say, we can discuss it properly. I will feel bad if any of you get hurt." Takesaki Kurumi said coldly, "Get out of the way, or I will beat you too." Himejima Akino smiled and said, "Sanji-kun, thank you for your kindness. May I try the delicious food you cooked later?" Sanji said with love in his eyes, "Goddess, I am happy to serve you." At this time, a huge clock appeared behind Takesaki Kurumi. "Naughty chef, I say again, get out of the way." Lightning flashed in Himejima Akino's hands at the same time. "Sanji-kun, please get out of the way. This is a matter between me and this woman." Xiaoqi looked at this scene indifferently. He had said before that he would not interfere with the fight between the 2. Unless one of them wanted to kill the other, he would stop it. Just when everyone thought that the battle was inevitable, Nami suddenly shouted, "Stop it, both of you. If you 2 want to fight, you can fight here, but we are setting off for Sky Island now. If we miss the Sky Current, you all go back." Luffy tilted his head and said, "Huh? Didn't Nami say before that even if we missed that current, we could still ask Xiaoqi to take us to Sky Island?" Usopp punched the other on the head and said unhappily, "Luffy, shut up." Nami ignored Luffy and continued, "After we get to Sky Island, I won't care how you 2 fight, but now, as the navigator of this ship and the initiator of this mission, you must listen to me." Takesaki Kurumi put away the Emperor of Ceremonies, looked at Himejima Akino and snorted, "I'll let you live a little longer." Himejima Akino put away the lightning in her hand and sneered, "I'll return this sentence to you exactly as it was." Nami looked at Takesaki Kurumi and said, "Sanson, you get on the boat right now." Then she looked at Himejima Akino and said, "I hope you can focus on the mission and don't do messy things, especially don't use your methods of seducing men to seduce my crew members." Himejima Akino smiled and said, "Oh, I will remember these words. So, may I ask Miss Navigator, Can I get on the boat now? On the other side, Vivi took Suzuki arm and smiled. Do you think Nami is a little different from the original now? Suzuki nodded and said, it really is a little different now that you put it that way. However, just as a smile appeared on Vivi's face, Suzuki's voice came to her ears again. She is more violent now than in the original. You have to be more careful when you trick her in the future. Hey, Vivi smiled awkwardly. On the Mary, after Nami confirmed the sailing route, she hurried to the girls' cabin and complained to Takesaki Kurumi, Sanson, didn't we agree yesterday that you should be patient for a while? If you had just taken action just now, we would have been at a disadvantage, Takesaki Kurumi said unhappily. I get angry when I see her. She even dares to be sarcastic in front of me. I can't help it, Linglong said angrily, that's what I mean. She seduced my Xiaoqi as soon as she came. What do you mean she's very different from the one I'd seen before? This is clearly a slap in the face of us all. How is my figure worse than hers? We sighed and said, this is where she's good. We all underestimated her before. Zhu Zhuqing nodded and said, she must have guessed that Nami asked her to come here this time to embarrass her. Since she dared to come, she must have been prepared, we said, plus with Sanson's personality, she only needs to provoke her a little, and Sanson will definitely not be able to hold back. No, the more I think about her behavior, the angrier I get. I'm going to kill her. Zhu Zhuqing grabbed Takesaki Kurumi by the back of her collar and said angrily, have you forgotten what Xiaoqi said? You two can fight, but you can't be too radical. Or do you want to become like Yuno Agatsuma in the future? At the mention of Yuno Agatsuma, Nami and Linglong shuddered uncontrollably. Although her strength was nothing special, she could be really cruel when she was ruthless. And the sick look she had when she held a knife was scary to think about. Wei looked at Takesaki Kurumi and advised, we'll have a chance to fight you two when we get to Sky Island. Until then, just be patient. Okay, then I'll be patient for a while, but if she dares to seduce Darling, I'll strip her naked and throw her on the bed of that lecherous cook. The corners of the mouths of the women present twitched when they heard Takesaki Kurumi's words. If you really do this, we don't know what the others will do, but Sanji will definitely worship you. Nami then said, okay, it's time for us to get out. Robin's keeping an eye on that woman, but who knows if she'll turn this place into a complete mess. On the deck, Suzuki chatted with the Straw Hats for a while, asking about Luffy and the others' current strength. Luffy laughed heartily. Suzuki, I'm very strong now. Seeing Luffy's confident demeanor, Suzuki expected a surprise, but instead, he just pooped a huge load. He did use his armament haki, but failed 3 out of 5 times. However, Zoro's strength impressed him, as he succeeded 4 out of 5 times, all thanks to his intense daily training. As for Sanji, well, he was still his usual self, sneaking off to offer his attention to Akino Himejima. Suzuki walked up to Dashiki and said, Dashiki, how is the sword I gave you? Dashiki nodded and smiled. It's a very powerful sword. I like it very much. Thank you, Suzuki said with a smile. It seems that you have changed a lot now. Not bad. Keep up the good work and try to take down that green algae head as soon as possible. Dashiki blushed and glanced at Zoro and whispered, I haven't taken down anything. He and I are not that kind of relationship. At this moment, Himejima Akino walked up to Suzuki and said, Administrator, can I talk to you privately? Chapter 113, Hyaodaise is gone. What a mess this plot is. At the stern of the Mary. Tell me, what do you want to talk to me about? Suzuki feigned a calm demeanor, but inside he was panicking. After all, the person standing across from him was a character from a book he'd read before, and it felt a bit strange no matter how he thought about it. Himejima Akino smiled and said, it's nothing serious, I just wanted you to see something about me, I'll go. Hearing such explicit words, Suzuki felt like he was about to burst. If it had been anyone else, he might have thought it was a serious matter, but since it was Himejima Akino, and they had chosen a place where no one was around, it was easy for him to imagine things. Suzuki quickly put those chaotic thoughts aside and looked at Himejima Akino in front of her with a serious face. I did read your book before, but that was in the past. I don't read it now. Hearing this, Akino was stunned for a moment, then laughed. Our administrator is thinking, what are you thinking? What I'm going to show you is also a part of my body, but it's a little different from what you imagine. What do you mean? Just as Suzuki was confused, Himejima Akino slowly lifted the loose sleeve of her Maiko costume and said with a smile, "I want to show you this. You should recognize it, this is it." Suzuki stared at the object lodged in Himejima Akino's arm with wide eyes. Shouldn't this thing be Hayao Aoise's sacred artifact, the Sakuragi gauntlet? Why was it in Himejima Akino's hand now? Himejima Akino smiled at Suzuki's surprise, then lowered her sleeves. Suddenly, a look of grief crossed her face as she declared, "Hayao Aoise is dead, and now I am the new host of the Sakuragi. What the hell?" Suzuki couldn't help but exclaim, frozen in place. After a long pause, she asked, "How did Hayao Aoise die?" Himejima Akino gave a wry smile and began to recount Hayao Aoise's story. When she finished, she jokingly said, "Perhaps my joining the chat group is what changed the plot. This outcome is truly surprising." Suzuki sighed. He hadn't expected Hayao Aoise, known as one of the four great Makoto brothers in the anime world, to disappear like this. In the original novel, Hayao Aoise awakened the Sakuragi's gauntlet to rescue Asia, whose artifact had been stolen, and defeated his deceitful first love, Amano Yuma, who was actually the fallen angel Rainer. However, Hayao Aoise, who was on Himejima Akino's side, also awakened the Sakuragi's gauntlet in order to rescue Asia, but was ultimately killed by the fallen angel Rainer. When Rias, Himejima Akino, and the others arrived at the scene, he was already a cold corpse, and the Sakuragi on his arm had been inherited by Himejima Akino. Suzuki looked at Himejima Akino in front of her and opened her mouth, which finally turned into a sigh. "Please accept my condolences." Himejima Akino shook her head and said, "His death, Rias, and even the others are indeed very sad, but unlike the original book, we have only known him for a few days, and our relationship is not as good as in the original book, although I don't know whether Rias has done that kind of thing to him, at least I haven't. To be more precise, I haven't reached the point of liking him. If you were still alive, maybe I might pursue him like in the original book and eventually marry him, but now all this is impossible." Suzuki looked at Himejima Akino with a complicated expression and said, "Then why are you telling me all this?" Himejima Akino looked directly at Suzuki and said, "Because I want to stay in the chat group. I need more powerful strength. Although Hayao Aoise is dead, I still have people I want to protect, and I don't want to encounter such a thing again. No matter how many times that elf comes to fight me in the future, I can accompany her. I don't even care if your girlfriends isolate me in the group. I just hope that as an administrator you can treat me fairly. This is why I came to you today." Suzuki nodded and said, "I understand. I have said before that no matter whether it is you or anyone else, as long as they do not do something particularly malicious, I will never abuse the authority to kick people out. Everyone who joins the chat group is his, her, opportunity, including myself, so please rest assured about this. Allah, I was right about you." Himejima Akino smiled when she heard this, and after glancing at the side with her eyes, she put her face close to Suzuki's ear and said, "Then please keep secret from me for the time being what I told you today. After all, that Yendir elf entered the group earlier than me, and her advantages are much greater than mine. In return, I can secretly take pictures of some things you'd like to see for you, whether it is Rias's or mine." As soon as Himejima Akino's voice fell, several angry voices came from not far away from them. "You two, separate now, you damned woman. You're not allowed to kiss my man, Ajuno Himejima, I'll kill you. I'll leave the rest to you, administrator," Himejima Akino said, then spread her wings and flew away. "Damn, that woman tricked me." Before Suzuki could mentally curse Himejima Akino, he was surrounded by 5 women. A drop of sweat dripped down his forehead as he faced their gazes. He quickly explained, "Nothing happened between her and me just now. What you saw was just an illusion." However, Suzuki's explanation was completely ineffective. The women continued to criticize him and Himejima Akino. Just when Suzuki felt his head was about to explode, Robin, the messenger of justice, stepped forward and told him everything she had just witnessed. This proved his innocence, allowing him to escape this crisis safely. But despite this, Takisuki Kirumi still said angrily, "When we get to Sky Island, I will kill that bitch." Boom. At this moment, a loud thunder sounded from the sky, and the next second, the originally clear sky suddenly darkened, and the waves on the sea rose sharply. "We have reached the Jitty Cloud area," Nami exclaimed at this, and hurried to the bow to command all the Straw Hat pirates to prepare for takeoff. Suzuki held Wei and Linglong in her arms, one on each side. "Leave your safety to me, Lu Linglong happily kissed Saiyan on the face. You must hold me tight later, in case I am accidentally swallowed by the waves. You will never find a lovely sister like me again. Wee leaned into Saiyan's arms, and she also liked this experience. As a massive column of water rose from the sea, soaring into the sky, Saiyan smiled and said, "Everyone, the roller coaster to Sky Island is about to depart. Please hold on to the handrails. Thank you to book friend Perfect Custard for your monthly ticket. Thank you to book friend 20240301201722139 for your monthly ticket. Thank you to book friend 1611060033013482 for your monthly ticket. Thank you to book friend Violent Dong for your monthly ticket. Thank you to book friend Aowu Gudong for your monthly ticket. Thank you to book friend The Origin of the End, Recording G, for your monthly ticket. Thank you to book friend The Sigh of the Supreme God for your monthly ticket. Thank you to book friend I'm Crazy for Books for your monthly ticket. Thank you to book friends who enjoy novels and passersby for their tips. Chapter 114 Sky Island Specialty, Spicy Express Shrimp. Above the clouds, Lu Linglong, whose face was a little flushed at the moment, shouted, "Woohoo, so this is the feeling of ascending to heaven, it's so exciting, Zhu Zhuqing, San, and Wee, let's go swimming," Saiyan said unhappily. "Why are you swimming as a devil fruit user?" Lu Linglong smiled slightly, leaned close to Saiyan's ear and said, "Don't you want to see what we look like in swimsuits?" Ahem. Saiyan cleared her throat and said, "It's not impossible to swim, but we have to wait until we actually arrive at Sky Island." At this moment, Chopper at the bow shouted, "Oh no, Usopp fell into the sea and disappeared. Oh no, he fell into the clouds and disappeared. Let's go. Let's go to the bow and take a look." When Saiyan and others came to the bow, they happened to see Himejima Akino carrying Usopp and flying onto the deck, along with several strange-shaped fish. "Oh, these fish are so special. I wonder if Chef can cook them," Sanji said flatteringly. "Hi, I'm happy to serve you." Tokisaki Kurumi gritted her teeth and said angrily, "This bitch, I'm going to kill her right now." Saiyan grabbed the back of the other person's collar and said, "Stop it, it's not time yet. An idiot is coming towards us." Everyone turned their heads and saw a man wearing a strange mask on the cloud, holding a shield in his hand and carrying a tube-mounted rocket launcher-like thing on his shoulder. He was gliding on the cloud and sliding towards them at a rapid speed. Saiyan called out, "Luffy, Zoro, I leave this thing to you. If you lose, the others will play on Sky Island later, and you two will practice with me in the gravity room." Luffy struck a pose and said with a smile, "No way. I need to have some fun on Sky Island later." Zoro drew his 3 swords from his waist and said with a smile, "While I don't mind training, I hate to lose even more." The air on Sky Island, though sparse, was no problem for the two of them, who had already trained in the gravity room. Furthermore, their current strength far surpassed that of the original story, and they easily dispatched the Shandian. "Not bad," Saiyan praised them. The next moment, she looked up at a white cloud above, smiled slightly, and raised her hand to unleash a small Kigen bomb. With 2 bangs, a figure clad in iron armor and a hideous bird plummeted from the cloud, landing on the deck of the Mary. Saiyan looked at the two of them and said, "I don't like others trying to push me around, and I won't beat around the bush with you. 1 billion berries, that's 10 trillion ikes here. What do you think about us defeating Anel for you?" Ganfer, the former god of Sky Island, as soon as Saiyan finished speaking, not to mention Ganfer who was now in panic, even the Straw Hat Pirates were shocked by the number Saiyan said. Only the money-loving Nami's eyes instantly turned into $, and she looked at the other party with a smile and said, "Saiyan, as long as you give me 1 billion berries, you can cheat me however you want this time, and I can even cooperate with you to cheat myself." Saiyan looked at Nami speechlessly and said unhappily, "Come on, you're only worth 300 million at best. This money is what I leave for Vivi and her Alabasta." Nami's expression instantly softened when she heard this, and she felt so sour in her heart. But Vivi, who was beside Saiyan, felt sweet in her heart. She kissed him on the cheek and said with a smile, "Thank you. Good husband." Saiyan smiled at Vivi, then looked at Ganfer on the ground and said again, "I know you must have a lot of problems in your mind now, but you don't need to care about these. As a token of sincerity, I can deal with Analu first, and then you just have to pay me money or something of equal value." But Saiyan's face turned cold when he said this, But if you dare to default on your debt, I can deal with Enelu, and I can also deal with you, and even your people. Of course, if I am accidentally beaten to death by Enelu, this deal will be automatically invalidated." Although it seemed like a forced sale, Xiaoqi didn't think there was anything wrong with it. He was not a philanthropist like Luffy, and what happened to Sky Island had nothing to do with him. Moreover, Sky Island possessed astonishing wealth. Putting aside the golden bell, the gold in the snake's belly alone was worth well over 1 billion berries. There was nothing wrong with him receiving some compensation for his labor. Ganfor was also calculating. If the enemy could truly defeat Enel, 10 trillion icals might be a lot, but even with the combined resources of the entire Sky Island, it wouldn't be a small sum. But if the enemy was killed by Enel, he wouldn't lose anything. This deal would be a sure win for him. "Okay, but I need time to gather the money, and you must promise me not to harm any innocent people here." "No problem," Xiaoqi nodded, smiling. "Then it's a pleasure to work with you. Now, you can leave the whistle and go." "You even know that?" Ganfor looked at Xiaoqi in astonishment, but he didn't ask any further questions. After leaving the whistle behind, he rode his ugly bird, no, now an ugly horse, out of here. Xiaoqi picked up the whistle, looked at Luffy and smiled. "Luffy, I'll leave Enel to you. He's a good experience pack, huh?" Everyone in the Straw Hat Pirates exclaimed when they heard that, and they all looked at Xiaoqi. "You just ripped off others, and now you start to trick Luffy into working for you. So you're making money by lying down, right?" Luffy laughed and said, "Don't worry, I will beat that Enel to the ground." Xiaoqi nodded with satisfaction, then looked at the other members of the Straw Hat Pirates and said, "The 4 priests under him are handed over to you. You can divide them among yourselves." Usopp raised his hand weakly and asked, "What about you?" Xiaoqi smiled and said, "We are just here for a trip this time. As long as Enel doesn't cause trouble for us, we won't take action." Himejima Akino, if you want to earn points, you can follow Luffy and the others when you get to the Sky Island above. As for your competition with Sansan, I will arrange a time for you then. Do you think this is okay? Himejima Akino smiled and said, "I will follow the administrator's arrangements." Then let's set off for the Gate of Heaven now. On the way to the Gate of Heaven, everyone else was excited and lively, only Takesaki Kirumi was always unhappy. Fuming with rage, she couldn't help but walk up to Xiaoqi and demand, "Darling, were you seduced by that bitch?" "What nonsense," Xiaoqi replied angrily, looking at Takesaki Kirumi and saying, "Samson, I'll have Zhuqing lend you some points later, and then you can go and draw the lottery." Perhaps Linglong had used up all her luck before, so when it was Takesaki Kirumi's turn to draw the lottery, her luck was as bad as it could be. The most amusing thing was that Takesaki Kirumi actually drew the same model as her own. It could be said that Takesaki Kirumi had lost everything in this lottery. Xiaoqi's words instantly reminded Takesaki Kirumi of something, and she asked in disbelief, "Darling, are you saying I can't beat that bitch now?" Xiaoqi replied seriously, "Samson, she's very strong now. If you only judge her based on her strength in the original story, you'll probably lose miserably." The Sakuragi compared to the Sakuragi. Both abilities have their own strengths and weaknesses, but compared to Takesaki Kirumi's fragile defense, the Sakuragi offers both offense and defense. Its most flawed aspect is its amplification ability. Combined with Himejima Akino's inherent abilities, Xiaoqi felt that a draw between Takesaki Kirumi and her would be a good match. Of course, this also depended on how well Himejima Akino could utilize the Sakuragi. "How is this possible?" Takesaki Kirumi was shocked. She looked at Xiaoqi and said, "I haven't seen her draw a lottery either. How did she improve her strength?" Xiaoqi shook her head. "I can't tell you these. I promised her that I would give her fair treatment. Telling you this is already partial to you." Takesaki Kirumi looked at Xiaoqi in silence for a moment, and suddenly said, "Darling, will you be sad if I die?" Xiaoqi looked at Takesaki Kirumi with a serious face, and said with a smile, "What nonsense are you talking about? You can't die with me here. When you trigger the task, I will go over and kill that initial elf." Takesaki Kirumi smiled slightly when he heard this. "Darling, I seem to really like you." Xiaoqi tapped the other person on the head lightly, and said unhappily, "The credibility of your black-bellied elf's words is too low. You have no less bad thoughts in your heart than me." Takesaki Kirumi pouted and said, "Darling, you think too badly of me. Everything I said is true, even if that bitch is a little stronger, so what? I'm not afraid of her. I will never let her seduce you away, At this moment, Vivi's teasing voice came from behind them. Sorry to interrupt your love affair, we have arrived at the entrance of the gate of heaven. Tokisaki Kirumi looked at her unhappily and said, Vivi, why are you talking like me? This is my exclusive way. Vivi smiled and said, I think it's quite interesting to talk like this occasionally. Nami didn't waste any time at the entrance of the gate of heaven. She directly told the old woman at the entrance that they were here for tourism. As for any fees, there was no fee. After experiencing the local specialty express shrimp service, everyone finally landed on the Sky Island. Just when everyone was immersed in the beautiful scenery before them, Xiaoqi, who was flying in the air, said, Sanji, I'm a little hungry. Could you please cook this crayfish for me? I want it spicy. Chapter 115 Tokisaki Kirumi, Akashima Himino. Let's put an end to this. On the merry, after Xiaoqi finished showing off her spicy express shrimp, she stood up, patted Sanji on the shoulder, and said, the flavor is okay overall. Remember to add a little more spice next time. Fuck you. Sanji gritted his teeth, his eyes gleaming with anger. He'd worked so hard to prepare such a huge shrimp, but the Straw Hat Pirates, with the exception of Chopper, didn't even get a single bite. The Saiyan in front of him practically devoured it all. What made him even more upset was that after the women had eaten their fill, they actually started peeling the shrimp for him. Zhu Zhuqing, Wei Wei, Linglong, and Tokisaki Kirumi even fed the shrimp directly to his mouth. Luffy licked his empty plate, drooling, and said, Sanji, I want some spicy shrimp too. Sanji angrily said, get lost. I really want some. Xiaoqi looked at Luffy and said, Luffy, this shrimp is too small for the two of us. I'll catch you a bigger one later so you can have as much as you want. Let's split up now. Those who want to explore, follow Luffy. Those who want to swim, follow me. In a moment, everyone except Luffy and Zoro ran to Xiaoqi's side. Luffy was confused and asked, why are even you, who have eaten devil fruits, going swimming? Xiaoqi, not expecting this, shook her head and smiled bitterly. Forget it, let's go together after the merry docks. When the merry docked, the boys eagerly jumped onto the island to play, while the girls went to their rooms to change into their swimsuits. Soon, beautiful girls in colorful swimsuits appeared before the boys. Luffy remained carefree. Zoro's gaze was fixed on Tashigi, while Usopp looked at Kaya. As for Sanji, his nose bled the moment he saw these beauties. He fell to the ground, muttering, Heaven, this is my heaven. Xiaoqi noticed the uneasy expressions on the women's faces and stepped forward, asking, what's wrong with you? Linglong glanced at Akashima Himejima and said with a sullen face, Xiaoqi, Takakyo and I are completely defeated. Tokisaki Kirumi, standing by, said unhappily, it's just a bunch of useless fat. Himejima Akashima smiled and said, this swimsuit seems a little small. Gulp. Xiaoqi swallowed, looking at Himejima Akashima in a purple swimsuit. The question of why she carried a swimsuit with her was now completely unimportant. The important thing was that he had seen Himejima Akashima in a swimsuit before. Zhu Zhuqing looked at her husband's lackluster expression and said angrily, what are you looking at? You can't swim, right? Go learn now. You can't swim, Nami exclaimed, then looked at Xiaoqi with a teasing look and said, no wonder you didn't go kill Blackbeard back then. It turns out you can't swim. Tisk tisk tisk, I never thought the omnipotent Saiyans couldn't even swim. Do you want Goddess Nami to teach you for free? Xiaoqi said angrily, I don't care. Take care of yourself first, you little idiot. You? Nami was furious as she looked at Xiaoqi. She couldn't compare to Himejima Akino, Linglong, and Zhu Zhuqing right now. If they had the guts, let's see in 2 years. Zhu Zhuqing and Wei Wei were in charge of Xiaoqi's swimming lessons. He knew Wei Wei could swim, but Zhu Zhuqing surprised him. Zhu Zhuqing said with amusement, why, are you surprised that I can swim? Don't forget, I'm a big cat. Xiaoqi rolled her eyes at Zhu Zhuqing. You only have a cat spirit, but you really think you're a cat. But having said that, learning to swim with beautiful women was a truly joyful experience, especially with two beautiful women teaching you so closely. It was beyond words. If Xiaoqi still couldn't learn to swim under these circumstances, he might as well just buy a piece of tofu and kill himself. Just as everyone, tired from playing, lay down on the clouds to rest, beautiful music drifted in from the distance. Xiaoqi glanced at Canis in the distance and said, Kia, this is your long-lost sister. Go say hello to her. Huh? Kia carefully examined Kinis in the distance. While she did bear some resemblance to herself, the two of them, one with wings and the other without, were completely unrelated. Zhu Zhuqing, Wei Wei, and Lu Linglong covered their mouths and laughed. This bad guy was at it again. The last person he fooled had successfully fallen from a righteous marine to a pirate. After the Straw Hat Pirates became acquainted with Kinis and her father, Kinis's father warmly invited them all to his home. After enjoying the delicious food on Sky Island, Xiaoqi looked at the Straw Hat Pirates in front of her and said, "Luffy, you Straw Hat Pirates will go to the Island of Gods to explore and play. The few of us and Vivi will play here." "Yoshi," Luffy responded, stood up and said, "Everyone, let's go exploring together." Kinis said anxiously, "It's very dangerous there. You will be punished by God if you trespass without permission." Luffy smiled and said, "I will defeat the god you mentioned." Lu Linglong waved her hand and said, "Nami, Robin, Kaya and Tashigi, you guys should be careful. We will continue to play together when you come back." After Luffy and the others left, Xiaoqi looked at Kinis, who was standing at the door with a worried look on her face, and said, "Don't worry about them. They are very strong. Now, can you please find a place for us to stay?" Kinis smiled and said, "If you don't mind, you can stay at my house. I also want to talk to you about Shanghai." Xiaoqi nodded and said, "Sorry to bother you." At this time, Tokisaki Kirumi looked at Himejima Akino and said coldly, "What are you doing here? Can't you see that it's time for our family gathering next?" Himejima Akino sneered and said, "Alice, as far as I know, the administrator's girlfriend doesn't seem to include you, so what are you doing here, being a light bulb, even though you are very young?" A black aura suddenly emanated from Tokisaki Kirumi. "Himejima Akino, I think you are looking for death. Do you dare to fight with me now?" Himejima Akino smiled and said, "Okay, I couldn't ask for it. Both of you shut up." Xiaoqi scolded, then turned her head to look at Kinis and said, "Sorry, I made a fool of myself. I'll go and deal with it first." After Xiaoqi called everyone aside, she looked at Tokisaki Kirumi and Himejima Akino and said, "You two can fight, but you must wait until I come back, otherwise I will ban you two from speaking for a year." Tokisaki Kirumi looked at Xiaoqi and said, "Darling, where are you going?" Xiaoqi looked at everyone and said, "I'll go to Sakuragi's place later. The game is tomorrow, so I have to go over and say hello to everyone today. Zhuqing, Wei Wei and Linglong, the three of you keep an eye on them while I'm away. You must not let them fight. Sanson, if you don't want to make me angry, just behave yourself." Tokisaki Kirumi nodded and said, "Darling, I'll listen to you. Will you come back tonight?" Xiaoqi smiled and said, "Of course I'll come back. What's the point of living with a bunch of grown men? Let Kinis take you for a walk around Sky Island now. If you meet someone who doesn't have long eyes and comes to cause trouble, just kill them. I'll go to Sakuragi first. Contact me in time if there is any situation." After Xiaoqi left, Tokisaki Kirumi suddenly looked at Himejima Akino and said, "Darling is not here now, and it's time to put an end to what happened between the two of us." Upon hearing this, Zhu Zhuqing, Lu Linglong and Wei Wei's faces changed. Lu Linglong said anxiously, "Sanson, have you forgotten what Xiaoqi said before she left?" Wei Wei nodded and said, "If you act like this, Xiaoqi will be angry when he finds out." Zhu Zhuqing looked at Himejima Akino and said, "I'll say sorry to you on behalf of Sanson. Could you please leave here for a while?" "Zhuqing, no need to apologize to this bitch," Tokisaki Kirumi shouted, then looked at Zhu Zhuqing, Lu Linglong and Wei Wei and smiled, unconsciously. "I have regarded you three as my best friends. If you are willing to regard me as your friend, please don't stop me, I beg you. As for Darling, no matter how he punishes me later, I will accept it." After saying this, Tokisaki Kirumi turned her head, looked at Himejima Akino with cold eyes and said coldly, "I don't know what you said to Darling, and no matter what your current strength is, I only know that I hate you, and I hate you getting close to Darling even more." Himejima Akino said, "What a coincidence, I also hate you, and rude elf. Let's go to another place. I don't want to affect other people." "Okay." Tokisaki Kirumi nodded and said, "Don't worry, I won't kill you, because Darling will be angry if I do, but I will torture you." Himejima Akino sneered and said, "I will return this sentence to you intactly." Lu Linglong looked at the two people flying away and said anxiously, "Zhuqing, Wei Wei, what should we do now? Should we tell Xiaoqi to let him come back?" Wei Wei sighed and said, "Let the two of them fight. Even if we stop them this time, there will be a next time. We can't let Xiaoqi stare at these two people every day. Zhu Zhuqing nodded and said, let's follow them first. If the situation is not right, we will work together to stop them. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 116 Slam Dunk, My Youth Returns. In the world of Slam Dunk, Kanagawa Prefectural Shohoku High School, on the rooftop. Xiaoqi looked at Hanamichi Sakuragi and Haruko Akagi beside him and said with a smile, Sakuragi, who are you two? Hanamichi Sakuragi touched the back of his head and said a little embarrassedly, brother, let me introduce you, this is Gorilla's sister, Haruko Akagi. Xiaoqi said unhappily, it's not like I don't know Haruko Akagi, do I need you to introduce her? Get to the point, Hanamichi Sakuragi said with a puzzled look on his face, brother, when did you know Haruko? How come I didn't know? Sakuragi? Haruko Akagi angrily pulled Hanamichi Sakuragi beside her, looked at Xiaoqi shyly and said, hello, brother, I am Haruko Akagi, Sakuragi's current girlfriend. Sakuragi mentions you in front of me every day. Thank you for taking care of him all the time. Hey, Hanamichi Sakuragi giggled and said with a blushing face, brother, Haruko is my girlfriend now, look at you, you're so silly. Xiaoqi cursed at Sakuragi with a smile, then looked at Akagi Haruko and said, hello, I'm Xiaoqi. Sakuragi didn't tell me before, so I didn't prepare any suitable gifts. I'll make it up to you later. Akagi Haruko waved his hand and said, no need to spend so much money. Xiaoqi smiled and said, since you call me brother, it's as you should. If Sakuragi dares to bully you in the future, I'll beat him for you, then thank you, brother. Akagi Haruko smiled, glanced at Sakuragi Hanamichi, blushed and whispered, Sakuragi treats me very well, brother, just don't blame him for telling me about the chat group. Of course not. Xiaoqi shook her head and looked at Sakuragi Hanamichi, Sakuragi, treat Haruko well in the future, otherwise I'll be the first one to not let you go. Sakuragi Hanamichi saluted Xiaoqi and said loudly, brother, don't worry, I will never let Haruko get hurt. Xiaoqi was filled with emotion as she watched the loving couple before her. This couple had once been a source of regret for so many, and now seeing them together was a perfect reconciliation. Sakuragi, when will the others be here? Sakuragi Hanamichi smiled, brother, the supporting cast can just come tomorrow. With me and I here, it doesn't matter whether they come or not. Upon hearing this, Akagi Haruko chided her, Sakuragi, how can you say that about your group members? Never do that again. Okay, Haruko, I got it, Haruko. Xiaoqi looked at Sakuragi Hanamichi with amusement, his face obedient in front of Akagi Haruko. It's said that most men, no matter how they behave in front of others, will behave obediently in front of their wives, even him. Brother, let me introduce you to my best friends, Sakuragi Hanamichi said, turning and shouting towards the rooftop gate, you idiots can come in. The next second, the Sakuragi army appeared before Xiaoqi, accompanied by their cursing. Sakuragi, who are you calling an idiot? That's right, you are the dumbest idiot. Don't think you're great now that you have Haruko. We will still make fun of you. Mito Yohei walked up to Xiaoqi and stretched out his hand and said, hello, I'm Mito Yohei. Since Sakuragi recognizes you as the eldest brother, you will also be the eldest brother of our group in the future. Xiaoqi smiled, stretched out his hand and said, you're welcome. At this time, Takemiya Nozomi came to Xiaoqi and said, brother, do you know my name? Akusu Yuji said. And me too, Noma Tadachiro said, and me. Xiaoqi looked at the three people in front of him and smiled, of course I know. You are the legendary wait trio of the Sakuragi Legion. Sakuragi Hanamichi and Mito Yohei laughed when they heard this. Akagi Haruko covered her mouth and laughed, and the wait trio angrily vented all their anger on Sakuragi. Brother, let's go to the basketball hall. I'll show you how this genius plays basketball, okay? You always refused to tell me when I asked you before. Today, let me see what you have learned. On the way to the basketball hall, Xiaoqi looked at the students who were respectful to Sakuragi Hanamichi and couldn't help asking, Sakuragi, why are these people so respectful to you? Mito Yohei smiled and said, because Sakuragi beat up all the bad guys around here, making our Xiangbei the most peaceful school in the entire Kanagawa prefecture. Of course, his academic performance is still the last. and this will probably never change, Sakuragi Hanamichi said angrily. Yahing, your last sentence was redundant. For this genius, studying is not important at all. Akagi Haruko smiled and said, Sakuragi, studying is also important. Don't you want to go to the same university with me in the future? Sakuragi Hanamichi grabbed Akagi Haruko's hand and said, Haruko, I will never separate from you. It's just studying. For this genius, I can do it with a little effort. Akagi Haruko blushed and whispered, I know. Let me go first. There are so many people watching us. In front of the basketball hall, Sakuragi Hanamichi looked at Xiaoqi and said, Brother, I have prepared your sportswear and sneakers for you. I will take you to change. Xiaoqi smiled and said, Okay, I haven't played basketball for a long time. Let's go and play with you. When Sakuragi and Xiaoqi appeared in the basketball hall, they attracted everyone's attention. Xiaoqi also looked at Ruka Kid, Akagi Takanori, Mitsui Hisashi and Miyagi Ryota. Ahem. Sakuragi Hanamichi cleared his throat and shouted, Listen to me, everyone. The person next to me is my big brother, Xiaoqi. Miyagi Ryota whispered, Mitsui, that guy really has a tail behind him. Mitsui nodded, I saw it, but he looks a little different than I expected. Miyagi Ryota asked curiously, Then what did you imagine him to look like? Mitsui pinched his chin and said, A monkey. Miyagi Ryota walked away from him calmly. If Sakuragi heard this, he would probably be beaten up and he wouldn't be able to escape. If the person himself heard this, he would probably be killed on the spot. Akagi Takanori walked up to Xiaoqi and said, Hello, I'm Akagi Takanori, the captain of the Xiangbai basketball team. Although you and your friends are just here to play, I'm very happy that you can join our basketball team. Hello, I'm going to bother you for a while. Xiaoqi looked at Sakuragi Hanamichi with a strange expression after saying this. Did you say that you are the captain of Xiangbai? Sakuragi Hanamichi smiled awkwardly and whispered, Brother, Gorilla is Haruko's brother after all. Formally he's the captain, but in reality, I'm the boss of Shohoku. However, the next second, Akagi Takanori punched Sakuragi Hanamichi hard on the head and shouted, Stinky boy, didn't I tell you before that Haruko must be home before 8 o'clock every night? Why was you 3 minutes late yesterday? Sakuragi Hanamichi covered his head and cursed, Damn gorilla, you hit me on the head again? It's just 3 minutes late. Next time I'll let Haruko live directly at my house. Akagi Takanori roared, Asshole, if you have the guts, say it louder. This scene stunned Xiaoqi. Is this the boss of Shohoku you mentioned? At this moment, Ruka Kid walked up to Xiaoqi with a basketball and said, Can you show me your skills? Huh? Xiaoqi was stunned, and so were the others, who immediately hid in the corner. After a brief moment of daze, Sakuragi Hanamichi stood up and shouted at the other party, Stinky fox, are you crazy? You want to challenge my big brother? You have to get past this genius first. Bang! Akagi Takanori punched Sakuragi Hanamichi on the head again, then looked at Xiaoqi and said, I'm sorry, Ruka Kid just wants to see more basketball skills and doesn't have any malicious intent. Please show mercy. Akagi Takanori's words and the strange behavior of others made Xiaoqi understand something in an instant. He looked at Sakuragi Hanamichi on the ground with a dark face. Sakuragi, I think you need to explain to me now. How do you usually describe me in front of other people? 10 minutes later, Xiaoqi carried Sakuragi Hanamichi, who was covered in bags on his head, and looked at everyone and said, I'm sorry, I didn't know this idiot was swindling here under my name. If he dares to do this again in the future, just beat him up. Sakuragi Hanamichi said in tears, Woo-woo, big brother, I've lost all my face. This scene made the Sakuragi army burst into laughter, while Akagi Haruko covered her face, afraid to face anyone. It was truly humiliating. Xiaoqi looked at Ruka and said, My basketball skills are far inferior to yours. It's just that my physical fitness is a tiny bit better than yours. Ruka nodded, and just as he turned to leave, Xiaoqi's voice came from behind him again. Ruka, do you like basketball? Ruka turned around and said without hesitation, Basketball is everything to me. Xiaoqi smiled, took out a card, and said, This card is for you. Make yourself stronger. Xiaoqi felt that no matter what basketball skills Sakuragi Hanamichi had learned from Kurako's basketball, his strength was definitely far superior to Ruka's by now. Instead of letting Sakuragi Hanamichi be so powerful that he had no rivals in this world, it would be better to let Ruka become stronger as well. and then let the two continue their love-hate relationship. This is the real highlight of Slam Dunk. Rukalki stared at the Aomideki skill card in his hand for a moment. After a long silence, he looked at Suzuki and said, "Thank you. I will become stronger. Thanks to book friend Zio for the monthly ticket. Thanks to book friend 201912101050391159 for the monthly ticket." Chapter 117, Sakuragi Hanamichi opens the zone. Inside the basketball arena, everyone's attention was riveted by Rukal's dazzling dribbling and erratic shooting. For those who only knew traditional basketball, it was their first real glimpse into the real world. "Damn you stinking fox, you only know how to show off," Sakuragi Hanamichi cursed angrily, then looked at Suzuki and said aggrievedly, "Brother, why did you give that stinking fox a skill card, Sakuragi? Sometimes being invincible isn't a good thing. Only with an equal opponent can you become stronger." Suzuki patted Sakuragi's shoulder and smiled. "You're not scared, are you?" "How could I be scared of that stinking fox?" Sakuragi exclaimed, his expression suddenly becoming incredibly serious. "The only one who can defeat me is myself, Suzuki." However, before Suzuki could even begin to complain about Sakuragi's misspoken line, something even more shocking happened. Sakuragi simply closed his eyes. When he opened them again, red electric currents appeared around them. "Brother, I'm going to beat that stinky fox right now to prove to you that I'm the absolute best." "Wow," Suzuki exclaimed. "You even used the zone, didn't you? And how many Choni lines did you learn from Kurako's basketball?" Sakuragi Hanamichi, who activated the zone, didn't use any basketball skills, but in terms of strength, jumping ability, speed, vision, and reaction, he completely outclassed Rukalki, who had just learned Aomideki's skill card. "What a terrifying talent," Suzuki muttered to himself as he watched Sakuragi Hanamichi, his hands on his hips, gloating. At this time, Miyagi Ryota secretly walked to the side of Suzuki and said with a smile, "Brother, do you still have that card you just had? Can you give me one too, Miyagi? Can you please not be so embarrassing?" Mitsui looked at Miyagi Ryota with disdain. The next second, he grabbed Suzuki's hand and licked his face and said, "Brother, I also like basketball. Although I have neglected it for 2 years, I will keep going down the path of basketball in the future, so can you give me one first, preferably the one with the super long-range shooting skill?" Miyagi Ryota grabbed Suzuki's other hand and said anxiously, "Brother, me too." Bang bang, Akagi Takanori punched them both on the head with a dark face and roared, "You two bastards, stop embarrassing yourself here." "Sorry, I made a fool of myself." Akagi Takanori bowed slightly to Suzuki. Suzuki smiled and said, "It's okay, they are quite interesting." After looking at these problem children, Akagi Takanori sighed and said, "My goal in the past was to dominate the country, but since I have seen the skills of that idiot Sakuragi, my goal has changed. Now I want to dominate the world with this group of idiots." So, Akagi Takanori turned into a gorilla in an instant, grabbed Suzuki's hands and said, "Brother, can you give me a skill card first? Otherwise these idiots are stronger than me, and I will be very embarrassed." Hearing this, Miyagi Ryota and Mitsui Hisashi jumped up from the ground at the same time, pointing at the gorilla and roaring, "You bastard gorilla, how dare you say that about us? You are the same." "That's right, I really misjudged you. You are the most despicable one," Akagi Takanori roared at the two of them. "How am I despicable? I am Sakuragi's brother-in-law, and it will be my turn first." "Brother," Akagi Haruko covered her face with her hands. Afraid to face anyone. How could her brother become like this? How embarrassing. Suzuki looked at the three people fighting and laughed. As expected, none of the Xiangba E5 tigers were serious. "Three idiots," Rukal complained silently, then looked at Suzuki and said, "What's the name of the skill that idiot used just now? Can I learn it in the future?" Suzuki nodded and said, "Your qualifications and love for basketball have met the conditions for activation. Once you practice that skill card more maturely, the zone will naturally be activated, but I want to remind you, don't think about activating it deliberately. It will naturally be activated when you encounter a suitable opportunity in the future. Also, you have to practice your physical strength more first." Rukal nodded and bowed to Suzuki. "Thank you." Suzuki smiled, looking at the three people who were still wrestling together, and said with a smile, "Akagi, Mitsui and Miyagi, the same goes for you three. Hone your basketball skills first. When I have the skill card, I will give it to you. I hope that the 5 of you can start your own age of miracles in this world in the future." Sakuragi Hanamichi laughed. "This genius will be the captain of the age of miracles in the future." Sakuragi Suguro, "Ha ha ha ha." Xiaoqi smiled and said, "Sakuragi, why didn't you see Coach Xiaoqi and Ayako?" "Brother, I let Dad stay at home and recuperate. He only needs to come to watch our games occasionally in the future. As for Ayako, she should be busy with something in the class." Sakuragi Hanamichi said here and whispered, "Brother, you don't like Ayako, do you? What are you thinking about?" Xiaoqi knocked on Sakuragi's head in annoyance and said, "I just want to see your Xiangbi's family portrait, but you are really much more sensible now. As the eldest brother, I am very pleased." At this moment, a female voice suddenly came from the basketball hall. "Wow, the basketball club is really lively today." Miyagi Ryota immediately came up to Ayako after seeing her appear and introduced Xiaoqi to her. Kazi walked up to Xiaoqi and said with a smile, "So you are the big brother that Sakuragi Hanamichi mentioned. I'm glad to meet you. I didn't expect you to be so handsome." Xiaoqi smiled and said, "Hello, although it may be a bit sudden and presumptuous to say this, could you please use your paper fan to perform a paper fan hit someone?" Kazi was stunned for a moment, and then burst into laughter. She pulled out a paper fan from behind and hit Sakuragi Hanamichi on the head, then said with a smile, "Is that so?" Xiaoqi laughed and said, Yes, that's it." Sakuragi Hanamichi squatted on the ground, covering his head and said unwillingly, "Damn it, why do you have to hit me when there are so many people to hit?" Kazi smiled, clapped her hands at the crowd, and said loudly, "Come and gather together, I have 2 things to announce." Just when Xiaoqi didn't know where to stand, Kazi pulled him to her side and said with a smile, "You are different from them, just stand next to me." Ayako looked at everyone and said, "Before I announce the next 2 important matters, I have a suggestion. From today on, let Sakuragi's older brother Xiaoqi be our Xiangbi's temporary coach, okay?" Xiaoqi was dumbfounded. He could fight, but he couldn't be a basketball coach at all. Sakuragi Hanamichi shouted at this time, "I agree. I'm the first to agree to let the older brother be our coach." Xiaoqi said anxiously, "Sakuragi, stop it. I'm not as good as you in basketball." Ayako looked at Xiaoqi and smiled and said, "I let you be the temporary coach not to let you teach these people how to play basketball, but to let you take care of them. Ever since Coach Xiaoqi semi-retired, these problem children have given me a lot of headaches. In the future, when they are disobedient, you just need to help me beat them. How about it? This should not be difficult for you." "That's fine." Xiaoqi smiled. He was very happy to be able to beat these people openly. Ayako looked at the others and said, "Do you have any objections?" "No." As Xiaoqi's number 1 younger brother, Sakuragi Hanamichi was naturally the first to express his opinion. Then Ruka Kid, Miyagi Ryota, Mitsui Hisashi, Akagi Takanori and others also agreed one after another. Apart from this person, there was probably no one else who could shock this group of people. Ayako nodded with satisfaction and said with a smile, "Then I will continue to announce the next 2 things. The first thing is that our team will have an additional team manager from today. I believe you all know her." Ayako turned her head and looked at Akagi Haruko and smiled. "Haruko, come over and say a few words to them." Akagi Haruko nodded, walked to Ayako's side and said shyly, "Hello everyone, I am Akagi Haruko. Please take care of me in the future." "Woohoo!" Sakuragi Hanamichi shouted, rushed to Akagi Haruko and said happily, "Haruko, why didn't you tell me in advance?" Akagi Haruko blushed and whispered, "I wanted to give you a surprise." Sakuragi Hanamichi grabbed the other's hand and cried, "Haruko, you are so nice. I am really touched. I will treat you better in the future." Ahem. Xiaoqi cleared her throat and said inappropriately, "Sakuragi, it's team meeting time now. Put your personal feelings aside. Stand back now, or I will serve you with an iron fist." Sakuragi Hanamichi said with a sad face, "Brother, I was the first one to support you to be a coach. How could you do this to your dearest little brother?" "Ha ha ha." Sakuragi Hanamichi's funny look attracted laughter from everyone. He was used to being arrogant, and now there was finally someone to discipline him. Ayako smiled and continued, "The second thing is that due to our outstanding performance in the previous practice match, the school attaches great importance to our county competition this time. Therefore, today they specially sent Kawai from the news department to interview our basketball team. This is a chance for each of you to become famous, so perform well later, Oh, upon hearing the news, the entire Xiangbei team let out a wolf howl and began to tidy up their appearance one by one. Xiaoqi smiled at the group of boys, their hormones overflowing. She turned to Ayako and asked curiously, how many points did this group beat Ryanen in the previous practice match? Sakuragi's been teasing me, Ayako smiled. We beat Ryanen by 50 points, and the other teams all won by over 100 points. And that was even after we let them win in the final stages. Of course, you probably know who the most impressive player in all the matches was, right? This kid. Xiaoqi smiled as Sakuragi Hanamichi ran back to Akagi Haruko's side. Just then, an unfamiliar female voice rang out from behind him. Hello, I'm Kawai Mari from the news department. Before we interview the players on the Xiaoqi basketball team, can we first interview you, the temporary coach? Xiaoqi turned to look at Kawai Mari. He only remembered her from an appearance in Slam Dunk, but he didn't have a deep impression of her. If it's just a few questions, of course you can. Mari Kawai nodded and asked, where are you from? How old are you this year? Are you single now, Xiaoqi? Ayako? Ayako was stunned for a moment, and quickly pulled Mari Kawai aside and whispered, Mari, what kind of messed up questions are you asking? Mari Kawai blushed and said, Ayako, you should know his information, can you tell me? This man is the type I like, and I think the tale behind him is super cool. Ayako covered her forehead and said speechlessly, Mari, I advise you to give up this idea now. He is a man you will never get. As soon as she finished speaking, there was a cry of surprise in the basketball hall, and Xiaoqi, who was in front of everyone just now, suddenly disappeared. Akagi Haruko whispered, Sakuragi, why did Big Brother leave so suddenly? Sakuragi Hanamichi's face no longer had the playful expression from before. His brows were furrowed, and he said with an extremely serious expression, Haruko, something happened to my sisters-in-law. Chapter 118 The Birth of a Super Saiyan. In the pirate world, Sky Island, Xiaoqi returned and appeared beside Nami without saying hello to anyone. She flew away in anger. Luffy, who was a bit nervous, said, oh, why is Xiaoqi here again, and his expression is so serious? The careful Robin noticed the unnatural expression on Nami's face and said, did something happen? Nami nodded and said in a deep voice, I just found out that Samson and the Temejima Akino have started fighting, and the situation seems to be out of control. Zoro looked at the place where Xiaoqi left and said, these two women are fighting again. This is trouble, Sanji said anxiously, then what are we waiting for? Let's go over there quickly. Nami shook her head, it's too late. They are on the other side of us now. Kaya held Nami's hand and comforted her, with Xiaoqi here, nothing will happen. Tashigi nodded and said, yeah, there's no point in us getting anxious here. Let's go to them first, Luffy shouted. Yoshi, go to Xiaoqi's side. Nami, who was walking at the end, looked at Robin and said, I have been feeling uneasy since a while ago. I always feel that something is going to happen. Robin patted her on the back and said, Nami, all you can do now is trust him. Xiaoqi, now hurtling towards Zhu Zhuqing at full speed, was seething with rage. He had clearly instructed Zhu Zhuqing and the other two to keep an eye on Takisaki Kirumi and Himejima Akino before leaving, but they had ignored his words. Not only had the two of them started fighting, but it was now a fight to the death, so intense that even if Zhu Zhuqing and the other three wanted to intervene, they were powerless. Damn it! What's going on with this vague feeling of unease? Xiaoqi, feeling increasingly uneasy, immediately activated his 10x Kaioken and sped towards them. At Takisaki Kirumi and Himejima Akino, Zhu Zhuqing, Wei Wei, and Lu Linglong looked up at the battered women, their faces filled with anxiety. The three of them had just tried to stop it, but it turned into a three-way melee. Takisaki Kirumi and Himejima Akino had gone completely crazy, and if anyone tried to stop them, they would spontaneously unite to deal with them, and then continue fighting. The three of them had no choice but to tell Xiaoqi about this matter. It was impossible to hide it, and they just hoped that no one would really die. Lu Linglong said anxiously, why hasn't Xiaoqi come yet? If the two of them fight for a while, I think someone will really die. Wei Wei said, Zhuqing, is the magic bean ready? Zhu Zhuqing nodded and said, I have broken it in two. As long as they are still breathing, they will not die. At this moment, the sky suddenly became gloomy, and then there was a roar of thunder and lightning. Not good. Lu Linglong, who was most familiar with this power, paled. She shouted to the two above, Samson, Himejima Akino, you two, stop fighting. Anel has spotted us. However, Tokisaki Kirumi and Himejima Akino continue their battle, seemingly oblivious. Boom, a flash of lightning streaked across the sky, and the next second, 5 bolts of lightning descended from the sky, striking Tokisaki Kirumi and Himejima Akino in the sky, and Zhu Zhuqing, Linglong, and Wei Wei on the ground. At the exact moment the lightning struck, Xiaoqi appeared, witnessing the entire scene. Zhuqing, Wei Wei, Linglong, Sanson, Akino, Xiaoqi muttered, his hands clenched into fists, his fury raging. After the smoke cleared, Linglong saw Xiaoqi in the air and shouted, "Xiaoqi, the 3 of us are fine." Xiaoqi glanced at where Linglong and the other 2 were, and the next second, she appeared in front of Tokisaki Kirumi, picked her up from the ground, and whispered, "Sanson." Tokisaki Kirumi slowly opened her eyes and looked at Xiaoqi, forcing a sad smile. "Darling, I'm sorry, I didn't listen to you." Xiaoqi suddenly remembered Tokisaki Kirumi's previous question to him. "Darling, if I died, would you be sad?" Zhuqing, Sanson is in your hands. Xiaoqi handed Tokisaki Kirumi to Zhu Zhuqing, who had arrived. After that, he disappeared again and reappeared in front of Himejima Akino. Himejima Akino wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth and smiled at Xiaoqi. "Administrator, I'm sorry." Xiaoqi squatted down and gently picked her up, then disappeared. "Linglong, I'll leave Akino to you." Just as Zhu Zhuqing and Linglong fed half a senzu bean to Tokisaki Kirumi and Himejima Akino, respectively, thunder roared again. "The rest of you, stand back a little. Linglong, protect the others." But Linglong hadn't finished her words when Xiaoqi's voice boomed, "Do as I say." Zhu Zhuqing, Wei Wei, Linglong, Tokisaki Kirumi, and Akino retreated 10 meters, their gaze fixed on the trembling Xiaoqi in front of them. At that moment, a single thought crossed their minds: Xiaoqi was going Super Saiyan. Lightning and thunder roared in the sky, but without fail, the lightning struck Xiaoqi's body. The ground beneath their feet began to shake and shatter, countless pieces of rubble rising from around Xiaoqi, finally crumbling under the overwhelming aura surrounding him. With an angry roar, Xiaoqi's hair began to stand on end, alternating between black and gold. Xiaoqi's entire body emanated a dazzling golden aura, his hair and eyebrows turning completely golden, while his pupils turned green. At that moment, the heavens and the earth shook. Fueled by extreme anger, Super Saiyan Xiaoqi was born. Zhu Zhuqing, Wei Wei, and Linglong smiled at Xiaoqi, who was surrounded by golden aura. Their men were truly so cool now. Seeing Tokisaki Kirumi with tears in her eyes, Linglong asked in confusion, "Sanson, why are you crying for such a happy thing?" Tokisaki Kirumi wiped her tears and said proudly, "I'm touched. Darling became a Super Saiyan for me. This alone will be enough for me to brag about in the chat group for the rest of my life. I have to think about how to repay Darling, otherwise I'll just raid tonight." Just as she finished speaking, an inappropriate voice came to her ears. "Oh, maybe the administrator transformed because of me, and he was so gentle when he hugged me just now." Tokisaki Kirumi immediately said angrily, "Bitch, can you have some shame? Believe it or not, I will kill you now." Himejima Akino sneered, "Just you? I don't know who was beaten so badly by me just now. Have you two quarreled enough? Do you need me to let you fight again?" The sudden voice behind them startled Tokisaki Kirumi and Himejima Akino. Tokisaki Kirumi turned her head and looked at the handsome and indifferent face in front of her, and said timidly, "Darling, I will listen to you in the future and never fight." Himejima Akino said cautiously, "Me too." Linglong looked at Xiaoqi and smiled, "Xiaoqi, you look super handsome now, I just love you to death." Xiaoqi looked at the few people with a cold expression and said, "I will settle the matter with you 5 people after I have dealt with Anel." The next second, Xiaoqi appeared in the sky in an instant and looked at the figure in front of him coldly and said, "I wanted to find you, but I didn't expect you to come to my door yourself. Mortal, I am very curious about what ability you used to avoid my lightning, but it doesn't matter now, since I came here in person. All of you will die here." Anel never thought that these words would become his last words, and what made him unable to understand until his death was why his Thunder Fruit ability had no effect in front of the other party. Linglong looked at Anel, who was being used as a punching bag by Xiaoqi, and said with some fear, "Although I know that his personality will become more brutal after becoming a Super Saiyan, this is too brutal." Zhuqing, Wei Wei, We made him so angry this time. Do you think Xiaoqi will beat us like this later? Yes, I don't think so. The three of us are his wives after all. As for the other two, we looked at Takesaki Kurumi and Himejima Akino when she said this, and she was worried about them. Takesaki Kurumi said in a panic, Zhuqing, Wei, Linglong, the four of us are good sisters. You will definitely not watch me die, right? Zhu Zhuqing said unhappily. Why didn't you treat us as good sisters when we came to persuade them to stop fighting just now? You even beat us up. You'll just have to fend for yourself later. Takesaki Kurumi suddenly had an idea and said, why don't we put all the blame on that woman later? Himejima Akino sneered and said, I believe the administrator will impose the most fair punishment. Even if he has to beat you, you will not be able to escape. Boom, accompanied by a huge explosion. When they looked up at the sky again, Anel had been blown to ashes. Lu Linglong sighed and said, poor Anel has shown us what the saying sending someone's head 1,000 miles away means. What a fool, Wei said worriedly. Anel has been dealt with, and it's our turn next. Zhu Zhuqing looked at them and said, Xiaoqi is usually easy to coax. If we are sincere later, there shouldn't be any big problems. Just as the five women were preparing their apology and review in their hearts, Xiaoqi's figure suddenly disappeared from their sight. Chapter 119, Yuno Agatsuma, do you want to come and play the killing game with me? Zhu Zhuqing, at Xiaoqi, where are you? Xiaoqi, exploding the mountain, thanks for the invitation. Lu Linglong, which mountain? I'll accompany you. Xiaoqi, in my own world, come on. Lu Linglong, then come over here first, okay? Xiaoqi, are you here to watch those two women fight? Takesaki Kurumi, darling, I know I was wrong. Can you please come back first? Himejima Akino, I was wrong too. I won't do it again. Xiaoqi, oh, what did I tell you before I left? Did you hear me? If Zhuqing hadn't got the last senzu bean, you two would be dead now. Sakata Gintoki, bridge bean sack, what's with the death thing? Xiaoqi, it's not Jin-san's fault, but you're just too careless. Lu Linglong, you damn white-haired bastard, don't mess with us here. If my husband gets away, I'll hack you to death. Yuno Agami, at Xiaoqi, do you want to join us in killing people? You'll feel good after killing someone. Takesaki Kurumi, at Azuma Yuno, you lunatic, get out of here. If you keep pushing me, I'll kill you right now. Nami, so what on earth did you guys do just now to make him so angry? Lu Linglong, actually, it wasn't a big deal. Samson and Himejima Akino had a friendly sparring match, and then that idiot Anel attacked them both, and then my handsome Xiaoqi showed up, transformed into Super Saiyan, and killed Anel. Namikaze Minato, Kuroba Kato, you call that a small deal? Nami, wait, that's not the point. At Xiaoqi, did you transform? Xiaoqi, thanks to all of them. Nami, no wonder I felt the earthquake just now. So, what's going on with you guys now? Xiaoqi, at Takesaki Kurumi, at Himejima Akino, you two keep fighting. I'll come over after you decide the winner. Remember to start a live stream before the fight so I can see how powerful you are. Xiaoqi, at Zhu Zhuqing, at Lu Linglong, you two and Wei will continue to be the referees. Takesaki Kurumi, darling, what's the point of fighting? I'm on good terms with this stinky, no, this Himejima Akino now. Himejima Akino, oh, that's right. Lu Linglong, Zhuqing, Wei, and I can testify to that. Xiaoqi, he. Aizen Sosuke, at Xiaoqi, how does it feel to become a Super Saiyan? Xiaoqi, well, mentally, it's quite exciting, and I want to kill more. Agatsuma Yuno, at Xiaoqi, then do you want to come over? I can trigger the quest, and we can team up and kill people together. Lu Linglong, at Azuma Yuno, are you sick? No, you're already sick. Just shut up. Zhu Zhuqing, Linglong, I beg you to stop talking. Zhu Zhuqing, at Xiaoqi, how are you doing now? Have you come down? Xiaoqi, not bad. I wasn't used to my first transformation, but I feel much better after letting off some steam. Sakuragi Hanamichi, big brother, do you want to come over and play basketball? Takesaki Kurumi, what basketball? Darling, if you're really mad, just come and hit me. I was wrong this time, but I won't do it again. Himejima Akino, me too. I'll live in peace with Kurumi from now on. Kashiwazaki Hashina, at Xiaoqi, administrator brother, please forgive them. What do you call this a disaster? Linglong, it was a blessing in disguise. It's because of us, Xiaoqi, that we were able to become Super Saiyan so quickly, hehe. Xiaoqi, then I really have to thank you very much, Linglong, as one of your wives. This is what I should do, to Kiseki Kurumi. Linglong, I beg you to stop talking. Hint, to trigger the plot mission. Group member Agatsuma Yuno triggers the future diary survival game plot. Group member Agatsuma Yuno can change the plot according to their own needs. The greater the change, the more points they get. This mission can be completed by inviting all group members. Kuroba Kato, this really triggered it? And everyone can participate. Azuma Yuno, everyone, do you want to come and kill people with me? Chopper JPG, Kashiwazaki Sina, although I really want to participate in the mission, forget it. I don't want to die, Linglong, you're crazy. We won't play any killing games with you, Sakata Gintoki, that's right. This kind of bloody mission is not suitable for peace-loving people like us, Azoum Sosuke. Interesting, that game had 12 participants, and now our chat group also has 12 people, excluding Yuno Agatsuma herself. Does this mean something, Nami? Regardless of what it means, I won't participate in this mission, to Kiseki Kurumi. We just wasted a lot of time. I don't mind going over and killing all those people, but I listened to Darling, Himejima Akino. I listened to the administrator too, to Kiseki Kurumi, Crazy JPG, Xiaoqi. If you want to go, go ahead. I can't control you. Takisaki Kurumi looked at Himejima Akino and said coldly, I just didn't want Darling to continue to be angry, so I reluctantly pretended to reconcile with you in front of everyone. Don't push me too far, and don't seduce my darling. Himejima Akino laughed. Which eye of yours saw me seducing the administrator? Or did I just accidentally hit your head? Bitch, do you want us to fight again? The result will be the same no matter how many times we fight. Little elf, Zhu Zhuqing looked at the two of them and said unhappily, before you two fight, check the group first. Xiaoqi, at Takisaki Kurumi, at Himejima Akino, why are you not talking? Are you arguing again? Forget it, you should finish that fight and I'll come over. Takisaki Kurumi, no, we didn't argue. We were just discussing whether to do that task. Himejima Akino, that's it. I wonder if the administrator will participate in this task. Xiaoqi, not interested at Azoum Sosuke. If you're interested, you can go and have a look. Azoum Sosuke, at Azuma Yuno, I wonder if I could come join you. I want to meet that so-called god of space and time. Azuma Yuno, okay, but you can't touch my Aksu, or I'll kill you myself. Azoum Sosuke, I'll remember your advice. Kuroba Kato, Kilazan? That's the funniest joke I've heard this year, even though it's only January 1st. Xiaoqi, at Azoum Kato, it's okay. Tomorrow it might be December 31st where you are. Azoum Sosuke, come to think of it, the time over there is quite interesting. I'd love to come and experience it if I have the chance. Kuroba Kato, no, my place is small. Big boss, you should go to another world and play. Takisaki Kurumi, darling, when are you coming back? Xiaoqi, are you two really reconciled now? Takisaki Kurumi, yes, I wouldn't dare lie to you anymore. Tackle and the others can testify to that. Himejima Akino, oh, that's indeed the case. Xiaoqi, at Zhu Zhuqing, are they telling the truth? Zhu Zhuqing, yes, isn't it? Xiaoqi, okay, then I'll come right over at Sakuragi Hanamichi. I'll see you tomorrow morning. Sakuragi Hanamichi, okay, big brother, but your sudden departure just now caused a little trouble. Xiaoqi, others will know my identity once they know it. It's not a big deal. Sakuragi Hanamichi, I can handle all of them. It's that Kawaimari who keeps pestering Haruko with questions about you. Big brother, what do you think we should do? Xiaoqi, why are you asking me? Just send her away. Sakuragi Hanamichi, but she specifically asked to see you, otherwise she said she would always follow Haruko. Zhu Zhuqing, at Xiaoqi, come on, tell me who that Kawaimari is. Linglong, at Xiaoqi, you're so nice. We were all here to coax you, but you actually cheated on us. You can forget about hugging me. Linglong, one more thing, there's also Weiwei, Takisaki Kurumi, at Xiaoqi, darling, you've gone too far. I don't like you anymore. Himejima Akino, at Xiaoqi, darling, you've gone too far. I don't like you anymore. Tokisaki Kurumi, at Himejima Akino, are you sick? Why are you imitating me, Himejima Akino? Alice, aren't we good sisters now? What's the big deal about imitating you? Don't you think so, Samson? Tokisaki Kurumi, crazy JPG, crazy JPG, crazy JPG, thanks to fellow book friend Uchiha Kimimaru Gara for the monthly ticket. Thanks to fellow book friend Bingning Zijing for the monthly ticket. Thanks to fellow reader Yuzihibo Ming for the monthly ticket. Thanks to fellow reader Cross Family Crest for the monthly ticket. Thanks to fellow reader Kui for the monthly ticket. I wish all fellow readers a happy 2025, good luck, and great financial success. Chapter 120, The Yandir Tokisaki Kurumi. The Pirate World. Upon returning, Suzuki was immediately surrounded by the Straw Hat Pirates, all clamoring for him to transform into Super Saiyan right in front of them. Well, since you're so eager to see it, I'll satisfy your curiosity. Suzuki asked them to step back slightly, then clenched his fists and stretched his arms out in a stance. Haya, with a deep roar, a golden aura enveloped Suzuki, and his Super Saiyan form materialized before everyone's eyes. Is this a Super Saiyan? The Straw Hat Pirates were mesmerized by the glittering golden Suzuki. Robin looked at Nami beside her and smiled. Nami, your saliva is about to flow down. Nami blushed and whispered, no, so cool. Luffy shouted at this time, rushed to Suzuki and said excitedly, Coach, I want to learn this move, teach me. Suzuki smiled and said, Luffy, if you practice well, you will be able to develop your own white god form in the future. Zoro stepped forward and said, how strong are you in this state? Suzuki smiled and said, the simplest way to put it is that I am now 50 times stronger than before. You can calculate it yourself. Hiss. Everyone took a breath when they heard it, and Luffy, who only had a single cell, counted on his fingers how much 50 times was. Suzuki looked at everyone's surprised expressions and smiled. Okay, you guys have fun. I'm leaving first. Suzuki flew into the air and looked at Luffy and said, Luffy, I'm sorry, I accidentally killed Analu just now, but his 4 priests are still alive. If you want to play, you can find them to practice. Huh? Luffy tilted his head and looked at Suzuki, who flew away like a golden meteor for a long time before he reacted and shouted, Suzuki, you have to compensate me for Analu. On the other side, Zhu Zhuqing, Wei Wei, Lu Linglong, Tokisaki Kurumi and Himejima Akino were waiting for Suzuki's arrival outside Kanisa's house. Zhu Zhuqing looked at Tokisaki Kurumi and Himejima Akino, who were still talking nonsense, and said unhappily, you two should be careful. If Xiaoqi finds out that we are still lying to him, you will have to bear the consequences yourself. At this moment, Lu Linglong, who had been looking at the sky, shouted, Xiaoqi is here, everyone enter combat mode. Zhu Zhuqing and Wei Wei looked at Lu Linglong speechlessly, while Tokisaki Kurumi immediately put on a smiling face. Suzuki landed in front of the group, deactivating her Super Saiyan form. She looked at Tokisaki Kurumi and Himejima Akino and asked, are you two sure you don't want to fight anymore? Tokisaki Kurumi nodded sweetly. Darling, I'll be a good boy from now on. Himejima Akino smiled and said, we're good sisters now. As you say, this is like fighting, getting to know each other. Suzuki nodded, took Tokisaki Kurumi's and Himejima Akino's hands, and before everyone's bewildered gazes, folded their hands together. In that case, let's shake hands and make peace. Tokisaki Kurumi felt like she was going crazy. The thought of her hand being held by the woman she hated the most gave her goosebumps all over her body. Himejima Akino's smile faltered, and she felt no better than Tokisaki Kurumi. The other 3 women watching from the side were practically laughing their heads off. When it came to having fun, their Suzuki was the one. What's wrong? You two seem a little reluctant when you hear this. Tokisaki Kurumi immediately forced out a smile. Looked at Himejima Akino, gritted her teeth and said, please take care of me in the future. I know. Himejima Akino's mouth twitched, and she said with a forced smile, ah, me too, little elf. Well, look how harmonious this is. Suzuki nodded with satisfaction, and the moment he turned his head, Tokisaki Kurumi immediately pulled out her hand and wiped it on her clothes with disgust. Smart, Lu Linglong said with a stern face before Suzuki could speak. I know what you want to say, but listen to me first. What's the matter between you and that Kawaimari? How could you find other women behind my back? Is my goddess Linglong not cute enough? I tell you, your goddess Linglong is very angry now, unless you coax me. Suzuki glanced at Lu Linglong, then looked at Zhu Zhuqing and Wei Wei and said, "What about you two?" Wei Wei smiled and said, "Of course I believe you, and I didn't listen to you before, can you please not be angry?" Zhu Zhuqing smiled and said, "Me too. What happened today will never happen again." Lu Linglong on the side widened her eyes and looked at the two women in disbelief. "They agreed to turn the passive interactive together, but you actually stabbed me in the back." Xiaoqi looked at the two girls and smiled, then walked up to hug them respectively. "You two are sensible, unlike someone who is silly." Lu Linglong was immediately annoyed when she heard this, and she leaned into Xiaoqi's arms and said pitifully, "I was wrong too, can you forgive me?" Xiaoqi said with a smile, "You won't be naughty anymore." Lu Linglong smiled and said, "I won't be naughty today, but I will continue to be naughty in the future." As the atmosphere became more and more harmonious, Takisaki Kurumi asked the question that all of them were most concerned about. "Darling, is it because of me that you became a Super Saiyan this time?" Xiaoqi thought for a moment and said, "Both. I was very angry when I found out that you and Akino were fighting behind my back. I was even more angry that Zhuqing and the other three didn't keep an eye on you too, of course, but the angriest thing was when I saw you guys being struck by lightning. At that time, I felt that the S cells in my body were awakening." Xiaoqi paused here and looked at Takisaki Kurumi and said, "After hearing what you said to me, I felt that the Super Saiyan in my body was fully awakened, so strictly speaking, you have the greatest contribution." Takisaki Kurumi smiled, and smiled happily. "Darling, can you say it again? I want to record these words." Xiaoqi said unhappily, "Record your head. Although I did become a Super Saiyan ahead of time this time, this method is not what I want. Tell me, who won the contest between you and Akino this time?" Takisaki Kurumi, who had been so happy, lowered her head at the question. Though she hated to admit it, she knew she would be the loser if she and Himejima Akino continued their duel. She was completely outmatched in the aerial battle, relying only on her numerous clones to keep her at bay. Meanwhile, Akino Akashima, enhanced by the Sakuragi Hanamichi's power, surpassed her in both speed and attack power. Just as Takisaki Kurumi was about to speak, Himejima Akino's voice rang out, "Sansan and I are tied this time. Her Kekoketei gave me a lot of trouble." Xiaoqi nodded without further questioning. From Takisaki Kurumi's reaction, he knew the outcome. "Let's go. Let Canis take us to Sky Island. We'll have some fun from now on, and Luffy and the others will handle the rest." For the rest of the day, Xiaoqi and the others, led by Canis, explored Sky Island, buying a variety of sky shells as souvenirs. After dinner, Canis prepared 3 rooms for the 6 of them. Xiaoqi arranged the rooms and then walked into the room with Wei Wei. Takisaki Kurumi looked at the only big bed in the room and Himejima Akino beside her and said unhappily, "Damn it, why do I have to be in the same group with you?" Himejima Akino smiled and said, "Allah, this is arranged by your darling." Takisaki Kurumi was extremely crazy, and looked at the other party and said, "Can you stay away from me? We are not on such a good relationship. Also, you have to sleep on the floor tonight." "Allah, this won't do," Himejima Akino said and lay down on the bed, saying comfortably, "I didn't expect Sky Island's bed to be so comfortable. I really want to take one back." Takisaki Kurumi looked at the other party's shameless behavior and cursed, "You bastard, get up quickly." In another room, Wei Wei leaned on Xiaoqi and said, "Is it really okay for you to put them in the same room? You should be able to see that their relationship is not that good." Xiaoqi curled her lips and said, "Only a fool can't see from their performance just now, but let them be. At least it can give me peace on the surface." Wei Wei smiled at her man's cute expression, and whispered in his ear, "Honey, I miss you." The next morning, Xiaoqi looked at the dark circles around Takisaki Kurumi's eyes and said with a smile, "Oh, what's wrong with her, Sansan? Is she not used to the climate on Sky Island?" Takisaki Kurumi glanced at Himejima Akino and snorted coldly. It would be impossible for her to sleep in the same bed with this woman. At worst, she would just not sleep. Lu Linglong noticed Wei Wei's radiant face beside Xiaoqi, turned her head to look at Zhu Zhuqing, and said in a very teasing tone, "Zhuqing, I seemed to hear a cat's meow last night. How can there be a cat on Sky Island? And the meow sounded so much like one of us. It's so strange." Wei Wei blushed instantly after hearing this, and she wanted to lower her head under the table. "It's because I have the most things to do." Xiaoqi tapped Lu Linglong on the head gently, then looked at the girls and said, "I'm going to Yingmu's place first. You guys can have fun on your own in the morning." After Xiaoqi left, Tokisaki Kirumi yawned and said, Zhuqing, Wei Wei, Linglong, I'm going to catch up on some sleep. Wake me up when darling comes back. The next second, Tokisaki Kirumi rushed into Suzuki and Wei Wei's room and locked the door. Wei Wei outside the door said anxiously, Samson, can you let me in and clean up the room first? Wei Wei, I was contaminated by that big cow last night. Now I need darling's scent to recover. Don't worry, I won't dislike you. Ha ha ha. Lu Linglong laughed and looked at Wei Wei and said, Wei Wei, have you forgotten that this one is also a Yandir? You'd better honestly explain to me and Zhuqing the bad things you did last night. Chapter 121, Resurrection of Minato Namikaze. In the world of Slam Dunk, at Sakuragi Hanamichi's residence, Suzuki looked at the neatly tidied, clean room and smiled. Sakuragi, you're so lucky to have found a wife as virtuous and kind as Haruko. Unlike the cheap rental apartment Sakuragi lived in the original story, Sakuragi Hanamichi is now wealthy thanks to Suzuki's help, having generously purchased a small apartment. Hey, Sakuragi Hanamichi rubbed the back of his head and smiled, while Haruko Akagi blushed beside him. Suzuki pulled out a skill card and handed it to Haruko Akagi, saying, Sakuragi said you don't like things like superpowers, and I don't have anything particularly suitable for you. This skill card will help you improve your physical fitness. Punching a telephone pole equals improving your physical fitness, so there's nothing wrong with that. Akagi Haruko took the same karate skill card as Ranmori's and smiled, saying, Thank you, big brother. Not long after, Kuroba Kido arrived, followed by Sakata Gintoki. However, this guy was not polite at all. He directly rummaged through Sakuragi Hanamichi's room, so angry that Sakuragi Hanamichi almost kicked him out. With the appearance of Namikaze Minato, everyone turned their attention to the dead man wearing a white Hokage robe with the words Yongame Hokage written on the back. However, what no one expected was that the first thing Namikaze Minato did when he came here was to take off his white Hokage robe, cursing, Whoever wants to be this lousy Hokage can be it in the future. I don't want it. Suzuki stepped forward, patted the other's shoulder and comforted him. After you are resurrected, we will go together to vent your anger. But what is your situation now? I'll try. After trying, Namikaze Minato looked at Suzuki and said, just like your previous speculation, I am a living person here, and my body is in the state I was in when I was alive, but after returning to my own world, my soul is still in the belly of the god of death, so, strictly speaking, I am still a dead person now. Suzuki nodded and said, do you want to be resurrected now? Originally, Namikaze Minato wanted to use the impure world reincarnation technique to resurrect this time, and then find a way to completely resurrect when he returned to the Naruto world, but now there is no need to be so troublesome. Namikaze Minato produced a bottle inscribed with resurrection water and handed it to Suzuki. Thank you for your help. This bottle of resurrection water was won by Minato last night after using up all his points. Unfortunately, Suzuki was too busy with work to witness it. However, judging from the chat logs she reviewed this morning, Minato was as happy as a 24-year-old last night. While the resurrection water Minato had won could indeed revive the dead, it had a significant flaw. It only worked if applied to a recently deceased individual within an hour of death. Suzuki took the bottle, looked at Sakuragi Hanamichi, and smiled. Sakuragi, take us to a secluded spot. I'm going to go see Minato. Everyone present, including Namikaze Minato, twitched their lips at this. While that was the meaning, it felt strange coming from his mouth. Sakuragi Hanamichi led the group into a secluded alley. Suzuki had the others guard outside while he and Minato Namikaze walked deeper into the alley. Minato, are you ready to die? Minato looked at Suzuki, who wore a wicked smile, and gave her a wry smile. Please give me a quick death. Don't torture me too much, and don't blow me to pieces. Suzuki smiled and said, don't worry. Today I'll let you experience Vegeta's death. The next second, Suzuki concentrated her energy into her index finger, and a death beam pierced Minato Namikaze's heart. Suzuki looked at the fallen Minato Namikaze and asked, Minato, are you dead? Ahem. Minato Namikaze spat out a mouthful of blood. Sorry, I'm not dead yet. Suzuki nodded and said, how about I give you another shot? No need. I feel like I'm going to die soon. As Minato Namikaze's head tilted and he finally died, Suzuki took out the resurrection water and poured it directly over him. He had originally wanted to save some for future use, but it was stated on the bottle that only one bottle could be resurrected. 10 seconds later, The lifeless Minato Namikaze opened his eyes and looked at Xiaoqi. I'm alive now. Xiaoqi looked at the adorable Minato Namikaze and said with amusement, you're alive here, but you'll have to try it yourself to see if you're fully resurrected. Minato Namikaze nodded and disappeared. Not long after, Minato Namikaze announced his resurrection in the chat group. Namikaze Minato, everyone, I'm resurrected. I've finally been resurrected. Kashiwazaki Hona, congratulations. 4th Hokage, Linglong, on behalf of Xiaoqi's entire family, I congratulate you on your resurrection. Kuroba Kato, congratulations. Sakuragi Hanamichi, congratulations. Namikaze Minato, thank you everyone, and thank you even more. At Xiaoqi, why thank me? I feel quite accomplished just killing you once. By the way, where are you now? Namikaze Minato, in Konoha, the place where I died after using the Shiki Fuijin. Xiaoqi, so what era is Konoha in now? Namikaze Minato, I haven't had time to investigate yet. Aizen Sosuke, it looks like we're about to begin the Naruto storyline. I wonder if you can take me with you this time. Sakata Gintoki, Aizen Sosuke, what's wrong? Is there something wrong with what I said? Jin-san, Sakata Gintoki, no, it's not what you said that's wrong, Landa, but the number of people. Sakata Gintoki, at Nami, at Takesaki Kurumi, at Imejima Akino, why aren't you three talking? Nami, what are you talking about? Did it Linglong just say it for me? Himejima Akino, Allah, me too. Sakata Gintoki, at Xiaoqi, bastard, what the hell did you do in the pirate world this time? Where's San-san? Where's Jin-san? San-san, Lu Linglong, San-san was so exhausted last night that she's still catching up on some sleep. Sakata Gintoki, damn it, at Xiaoqi, do you dare to fight Jin-san head-on? Don't think that Jin-san is afraid of you just because you became a Super Saiyan. Xiaoqi, I'm right in front of you. Sakata Gintoki, okay, you and Jin-san are playing this game, right? You just wait for me, Jin-san. Xiaoqi, what's wrong with me? And you just believe everything they say? Sakata Gintoki, that's right, Jin-san. My motto has always been to believe what all beautiful girls say. Xiaoqi, I don't want to bother with you. At Namikaze Minato, are you coming over now? Namikaze Minato, of course, since I've been resurrected, there's no rush. Besides, I'm probably the poorest one in the group right now. I need to earn more points to improve my son Naruto's strength in the future. Xiaoqi. Okay, then after you come over, we'll set off for Shihoku to meet up with the others, at the gate of Shihoku School. Xiaoqi felt a headache when she saw the group of little fans following behind Minato Namikaze. These people were attracted by Minato Namikaze's sunny appearance and followed him all the way here. Minato, I know you are very happy and excited now, but can you restrain yourself a little? At least refuse. Ahoha, I didn't expect things to turn out like this. Namikaze Minato touched the back of his head and smiled awkwardly. Xiaoqi sighed, then turned his head and looked at Sakata Gintoki with a look that wanted to stab him, and said unhappily, I told you that I have nothing to do with those three women, but you don't believe it yourself. Sakata Gintoki cursed, asshole, do you think Jin-san will believe you? You have a criminal record. Just as he finished speaking, an angry female voice came from behind them. Xiaoqi, I won't let you get away this time. Huh? Xiaoqi turned her head and took a closer look. Wasn't the person in front of her the woman named Mare from the news department yesterday? Before he could say anything, however, Sakata Gintoki, standing beside him, flew into a rage. He drew his wooden sword from his waist and pointed it at Xiaoqi. Come on, explain to Jin-san what's going on with this girl. Xiaoqi sighed heavily. If I said I didn't even know her, would you believe me? Sakata Gintoki roared, you don't believe me. She even called you by your name. She might even be pregnant with your child. Sakata Gintoki's outburst startled everyone around him, and Xiaoqi instantly became the focus of everyone's attention. Everyone stood there whispering to him. Xiaoqi flexed her wrists a few times, then looked at Sakata Gintoki and said coldly, Duel, you bastard. I'll grant you that request, thanks to fellow reader Cheyenne Greek letter Psy Wong Yin for voting. Thanks to fellow reader 20220628185912952 for the monthly ticket. Thanks to fellow reader Lu Ren for the monthly ticket. Thanks to fellow reader Dark Eagle Beast for the monthly ticket. Thanks to book friend 20211215045631488 for the monthly ticket. Thanks to book friend Big Brother for the monthly ticket. Thanks to book friend 20240829124526975 for the monthly ticket. Thanks to book friend Wu Newell for the monthly ticket. Chapter 122 Xiaoqi, Slam Dunk? I'll dunk the hoop. At the entrance of the Xiangbai basketball hall, Xiaoqi looked at Kawai Mari who had been following her and said with a headache, "Can you please stop following me?" Kawai Mari raised her head and said, "Today I am representing the school and your basketball team to participate in the first game of the county competition. If you have any opinions, you can go to the principal." "What a bullshit principal," Xiaoqi cursed inwardly, looked at Kawai Mari and said, "If you want to follow, but I will not accept any interviews from you." Sakata Gintoki covered the bag on his head and said, "Xiaoqi, it's not easy for me, how can you be so mean to me?" Xiaoqi roared, "Shut up, you fucking bastard, if you keep talking nonsense to me, you will sit on the bench all day." Sakuragi Hanamichi on the side advised, "Brother, don't be angry first, Haruko and I have already explained it clearly for you, and no one will say anything nonsense anymore." "Well, thank you." Xiaoqi nodded to Sakuragi Hanamichi, then looked at everyone and said, "Do you have any other questions? If not, let's set off." On the way to the gym, Xiaoqi pulled Sakuragi Hanamichi aside and whispered, "Sakuragi, are our identities alright?" Sakuragi Hanamichi whispered, "Don't worry, brother. I used my Sharingan to cast an illusion on the principal. You all are now Shihoku students, but for various reasons, you haven't been to school." Xiaoqi smiled, "That's impressive, but I guess this must be something Haruko came up with for you." Sakuragi Hanamichi smiled and said, "Hey, it's all the same." In the gymnasium, in the locker room, Xiaoqi looked at the red number 9 jersey in his hand with a serious expression. He hadn't expected Sakuragi Hanamichi to choose the jersey number for him, the Emperor Kadota from the original novel. Legend has it that Shihoku never loses a game where Emperor Kadota plays. More importantly, he's the only person in the entire series who can play basketball with his eyes closed. Of course, with the addition of Xiaoqi and the other 4, the 4 bench players would inevitably be eliminated. But Xiaoqi didn't have to worry about these things, because before this, Akagi Takanori had already done ideological work on the 4 of them. Xiaoqi looked at Minato Namikaze, who was wearing the number 12 jersey, and said with a smile, "Minato, I'm not used to seeing you wearing a jersey." Minato Namikaze smiled and said, "It's quite interesting to experience it occasionally." Kato Kuroba, who was wearing number 15, said, "I still prefer the white jersey of Xiangbai. The red one doesn't suit me very well." Red-haired monkey, "Why did you pick this number for Jin-san?" "Jin-san, I don't like this number. Jin-san wants number 1. Sakuragi Hanamichi said angrily, "Idiot, we don't have number 13 here, and I think the number 13 suits you better." Gintoki Sakata said unwillingly, "How can you repair it? Jin-san wants to change his number." "Shut up, you won't be allowed to play if you make any more noise." After scolding Gintoki Sakata, Xiaoqi looked at the people in front of him and said, "Now let me announce the starting lineup for the first half. Akagi, Miyagi, Mitsui, Rukoda and Murasakibara. The first half is up to you. I don't know anything about basketball tactics. Once you go on the court, everything will depend on yourselves." Xiaoqi paused here, took out a few skill cards and said with a smile, "Minato drew a few skill cards yesterday. In the following games, whoever's performance satisfies me, I will give it to him first. Then, do you have the confidence to beat Miurade within 20 minutes? "Yes." Akagi, Miyagi and Mitsui roared to the sky. Xiaoqi nodded with satisfaction. "Okay, let's go." In the Xiangbai rest area, Xiaoqi looked at Marikawai, who was sitting there, and said speechlessly, "How did you get here, Ayako, Haruko? How did you two let outsiders in?" Akagi, Haruko and Ayako looked at Xiaoqi and smiled awkwardly. Marikawai walked up to Xiaoqi and said with a smile, "I forgot to tell you just now that I am also a special consultant for the Xiangbai basketball team. I will record your performance in every game in the future and report it to the school. If you..." Stop. Xiaoqi interrupted the other party directly. "Is this also the task assigned to you by the principal?" Kawai Mari shook her head. "This is what I asked the chairman for." "Fuck." Xiaoqi cursed inwardly and walked to Ayako and said, "What's the background of this woman?" Ayako smiled and said, I don't know the details. I heard that her family has some background. Haruko and I tried our best yesterday, but judging from her current appearance, she doesn't intend to give up. Why don't you just give in? I give in to shit, Xiaoqi cursed angrily, then looked at Haruko and said, didn't you tell her that I already have a girlfriend? Akagi Haruko said, brother, I told her that you have a girlfriend, but she said she wouldn't believe it unless she saw it with her own eyes. Why don't you go and talk to her yourself? Xiaoqi felt like he was going crazy. Only male members could participate in the missions in this world. Where would he get a girlfriend? Just when Xiaoqi was feeling upset, there was a commotion in the audience above. The people from Ryanan High School are here. I heard that they lost to Xiangbei by 50 points in the practice match. Look over there, they are from the Zhangyang team. They are in the same division as Xiangbei. Are they here to get information about the opponent in advance? Oh my god, even the champion Hainan is here. Is the Xiangbei team so famous now? Xiangbei is nothing. The sudden voice made the entire gymnasium quiet in an instant, and everyone's eyes instantly looked at the rest area of Migrate. Listen to me, we at Migrate don't take Xiangbei seriously at all. We only have one opponent. Migrate's number 4 pointed to Maki Shinichi in the audience. Our goal this year is to reach Hainan and become the champion. After a brief silence, a commotion even louder than before was heard in the gymnasium. Sakuragi Hanamichi walked up to Xiaoqi with an angry face and said, brother, I'm going to beat up that idiot. Sakata Gintoki nodded and said, that's right, Jin-san will not allow anyone who is more pretentious than me. Jin-san will go and beat up all the people in Migrate right now. What do you want to beat up? Xiaoqi shouted angrily, looking at everyone and said, since this is a basketball court, let's beat them up according to the rules of the basketball court. The 5 of you, win them by at least 50 points in the first half. If you can't do it, don't expect any skill cards in the future. As for now, Xiaoqi grabbed a basketball with one hand and ran quickly towards the basket in the Sanpurte half court. Just when everyone didn't know what he was going to do, Xiaoqi jumped up one step in front of the free throw line. If he was not afraid of scaring the people here, Xiaoqi could slam dunk directly no matter where he was here. But even though he had deliberately restrained his strength, accompanied by a loud noise, a scene that stunned everyone happened. The man not only successfully completed a slam dunk from the free throw line, but also pulled the basket down. Xiaoqi, holding the basketball with one hand, looked expressionlessly at the rest area of Sanpurte and said coldly, a bunch of trash, you are not worthy of pretending in front of me. Gurgle. Everyone at the scene swallowed their saliva as they looked at the basketball hoop that fell behind the man. Also handsome, Xiaoqi, I love you. With Kawai-mari's shout, the entire gymnasium was completely boiling, and everyone was shouting Xiangbei's name in unison. As for me, you're a die? Now he's just a clown in their eyes. If you have the guts, try to dunk one of the basketball hoops. Sakuragi Hanamichi said with a smile, when it comes to pretending, my eldest brother is the best. I'm going to teach those idiots a lesson later. Sakata Gintoki gritted his teeth and said, damn Xiaoqi, he pretended again. Jin-san will kick all the idiots' balls in a while. Wave Minato smiled, then I'll use the Rasengan to deal with them. Kuroba Kato on the side said speechlessly, please, we are here to play basketball, not to kill people, okay? If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 123, Serious people are seizing the opportunity to show off. Xiaoqi's dunk not only delayed the start of the game, but also made Kawai-mari, who was standing beside him, even more obsessed with him. Kawai-mari, can you please stay away from me? I've told you 30 times, I have a girlfriend. Xiaoqi was almost annoyed by this clinky dog skin plaster. How could he have forgotten that the female characters in Slam Dunk all have an infomaniac attribute? In the original novel, from Akagi Haruko to Rukaki's cheerleading team and the female reporter who had a crush on Sendo, they all shared this trait. Mari Kawai said, then I'll answer you for the 31st time. If you bring your girlfriend here to show me, I'll believe you. Xiaoqi, clutching her forehead, said despairingly, Haruko, Ayako, please help me move her aside. Thank you, Mari Kawai said, I'm a consultant. I have the right to sit next to you. Seeing she couldn't get rid of her, Xiaoqi said helplessly, "How about this? You keep quiet now. After the game, you can interview me anytime you want. How about that?" Marikuai's face lit up, and she smiled. "You said it yourself. I have the final say on the interview time," Xiaoqi said impatiently. Okay, I'll do as you say." Xiaoqi had already decided to leave as soon as the game was over. He couldn't stay in this world much longer. Over an hour later, the staff had urgently installed a new basketball hoop, and the game was about to begin in 10 minutes. Of course, all expenses would be borne by Xiaoqi, the person responsible, but that amount was nothing to Sakuragi Hanamichi. "Remember, we have to beat those idiots by at least 50 points in the first half." As the two teams entered the court, the audience, silent for an hour, erupted in cheers. However, when they didn't see Xiaoqi among the Shohoku starters, they all began chanting his name in unison. This was all thanks to the Wait trio, who had skipped class to watch the game. They hadn't revealed Xiaoqi's otherworldly identity, but they had thoroughly exposed her. Under everyone's gaze, the Shohoku and migrate players approached the midfield circle. After Xiaoqi's slam dunk, the migrate players calmed down considerably, though a sinister glint flickered in their eyes. Beep! With a whistle, the referee tossed the ball into the air, officially beginning the game. The energized Shohoku players went into mad dog mode from the start. They wanted to play migrate, and they wanted skill cards too. However, after only 5 minutes of the game, everyone in the stands, including those from Ryanen, Shoyo, and Kanan, was stunned. What kind of basketball was Shohoku's player, number 11, even playing? On the Ryanen side, Aida Koichi looked at Ruka, who was making another irregular shot on the court, and asked with his mouth wide open, "Coach, did Ruka let the C out during the practice match with us?" Taneoka Shigichi roared with a sullen face. "How should I know? Shohoku was already invincible with Sakuragi Hanamichi, and now they had the unstoppable Ruka, plus that most mysterious player and coach, Xiaoqi. There was no point in fighting, just surrender." Every Shoyo player wore a solemn expression. Maki Shinichi, who was standing with them watching the game, patted Fujima's shoulder affectionately. "Keep going, guys." Fujima looked at Maki Shinichi and opened his mouth, but couldn't help asking, "Can you defend him?" Maki Shinichi let out a wry smile. "Do you think I can pull off those ridiculous moves?" As the first half wore on, no one cared about the score anymore. Everyone knew that, trailing by over 30 points, migrate couldn't win. More interesting than the outcome of the game was the scene unfolding on the court. The trailing migrate players were furious and hurled curses on the court. The leading Shohoku players were also hurling curses, each targeting Ruka, the game's leading scorer. Migrate requests a substitution. Xiaoqi looked at migrate's secret weapon, Nato Tetsuya, ready to enter the game, with a strange expression on her face. The original novel describes him as 196 centimeters tall, 155 kilograms, and running 100 meters in 11 seconds, arguably the biggest flaw in the show Slam Dunk. But now, having seen Nato Iron Man with her own eyes, Xiaoqi can be certain that his current physique is definitely not 155 kilograms. Kawai Mari, who had been keeping her eyes on Xiaoqi, glanced at migrate and couldn't help but ask, "What's wrong with you? Is there something wrong with that guy?" "Nothing." Xiaoqi shook her head, stood up, and walked towards the technical table. If his prediction was correct, the frustrated migrate team would soon start using underhanded tactics. Xiangbai requests a timeout. Xiaoqi looked at Akagi Takanori, Miyagi Ryauta and Mitsui Hisashi, who were walking back cursing all the way with amusement, turned around and asked, "Ayako, how many points have the others scored now except Ruka?" Ayako looked at the table in her hand and said somewhat embarrassedly, "Senior Akagi 4 points, Senior Mitsui 3 points, Senior Miyagi and Senior Murasakibara 0 points." Xiaoqi nodded, walked up to the 5 people and said with a smile, "Not bad. I called you back to tell you that migrate should have some small moves in the next game, so you better pay attention. By the way, let me remind you again, Ruka has already scored 42 points, and the rest of you should hurry up and perform." Miyagi Ryauta raised his head and said, "Coach, Ruka has a cheat, which is unfair to us." Xiaoqi said with a smile, "Then let me ask you, if you had a cheat, would you perform more prominently than Ruka?" And Akagi, Mitsui, you too, you can ask Ruka if you relaxed his basketball training after getting these, and as far as I know, he didn't give up after losing to Sakuragi. Why is it that you guys can't do that, or is it that your love for basketball is just this much? Upon hearing this, Miyagi, Ryota, Mitsui and Akagi lowered their heads and fell silent. They didn't look up at Xiaoqi until the end of the timeout, and they all said that they would prove it to him with their performance in the next period of time. Xiaoqi nodded with satisfaction, looked at Ruko and said, "Those idiots will definitely do something bad to you soon. Just play ordinary basketball from now on. You need to practice more in the future with this body." Ruko nodded at Xiaoqi. "I understand." Miyagi Ryota walked to Mitsui and whispered, "Mitsui, I will pass the ball to you later. You score and I will assist." "How about it?" Mitsui asked puzzledly. "Of course you can, but why don't you find Akagi?" Miyagi Ryota said unhappily. "You are stupid. The captain has Sakuragi as his backing and he will get the skill card sooner or later. The two of us are different. We must work together now." "That makes sense." Mitsui nodded and said, "Just pass it to me later. There are still 10 minutes anyway. Even if I use up all my strength, I will shoot all the balls in." At this time, Sakuragi Hanamichi walked to Xiaoqi and said, "Brother, why are you making so much trouble?" Xiaoqi smiled and said, "Of course, I'm training you for future opponents. Otherwise, you'd be so bored. Then you can just beat them down one by one. Would that be more fun?" After the timeout, Nato Tetsujin's appearance did indeed cause some minor trouble for Shohoku. As Xiaoqi had predicted, the other players from Migrate also attacked Shohoku. Mari Kawai, observing the shameless behavior of the Migrate players on the court, said angrily, "That group of people is despicable. I'm going to file a complaint against them." Xiaoqi, looking at Kawai Mari as she stood up, said angrily, "Just sit down. I'm not even excited, so why should you be? Just watch the game quietly." "Oh," Mari Kawai, furious one moment, instantly transformed into a docile kitten, sitting obediently beside Xiaoqi. Although Migrate had used every trick in their arsenal and successfully constrained Rukaki's performance, the gap between them and Shohoku continued to widen. In the final 10 minutes of the first half, the tandem of Miyagi and Mitsui completely destroyed Migrate's perimeter. Once they concentrated their efforts on the perimeter, the tandem of Kajura and Akagi destroyed their inside defense. Add to that the occasional stabs from Ruka, and Migrate's players became increasingly frustrated, committing increasingly heavy fouls and drawing boos from the crowd. Ruka's buzzer-beating two-pointer went in, and the final score at halftime was a yawning 82-24, giving Shohoku a 58-point lead. "Coach, we've completed our mission." Xiaoqi smiled at the 5 players, all covered in bruises. "Overall, your performance was good, but there were also quite a few shortcomings. Mitsui, Ruka, you two are so weak. You're so exhausted after just half a game. How are you ever going to find a girlfriend?" Akagi, Murasaki, you two play too softly. A real man should be tough. As for Miyagi, there's nothing serious wrong with you, but you peeked at Ayako 27 times in the first half. If you do that again, I'll tie her up in front of you and make you puke. Ha ha ha. Xiaoqi's words drew laughter from the other members of the Shohoku team. Ayako, who had been singled out, blushed and glared at Miyagi. "Alright, the 5 of you go take care of your injuries. In the second half, we'll avenge you. If any of those players leave the court standing today, I lose." Hiss. Everyone glanced at the Migrate dugout area after hearing Xiaoqi's words, and a moment of silence began to mourn for them. At this moment, the playful Sakuragi Hanamichi came up to Xiaoqi and said, "Coach, I'm reporting that Baimeo is sleeping. Should we beat him up first?" Xiaoqi was almost mad at the sound asleep Sakata Gintoki. He rushed forward and kicked him off the stool to the ground, roaring, "Where the hell did you get a pillow and a quilt?" Sakata Gintoki opened his eyes, looked at Xiaoqi dazedly and said, "Xiaoqi, when are we going to eat?" "Fuck you, Sakuragi, help me beat this damn Baimeo to death." Chapter 124, Unruly people are also showing off. The first half had shown everyone the strength of the Shohoku basketball team. They were eager for the second half to begin, and even more eager for Xiaoqi, the basketball dunking Xiaoqi, to appear. In the audience, Hainan's Makishin looked at Fujima Kenji with a heavy expression and said, "Although I'd love to compete with you again this year, given the current situation, that wish may be difficult to fulfill." Fujima smiled wryly. While the other 4 Shohoku players, aside from Rukakid, had performed well in the first half, they were still manageable. But how could he defend Ruka? Furthermore, Xiaoqi wasn't their strongest team in the first half. The much-hyped Hanamichi Sakuragi hadn't even played yet, not to mention the addition of a formidable player capable of dunking through the basket. Although he knew their chances of victory were slim, Fujima remained steadfast, saying, "I won't give up." Halftime passed quickly, and the Xiaoqi team's return to the arena was met with cheers. When everyone noticed that the Xiangbei team had made a major lineup change in the second half, the cheers at the scene reached a crescendo, because that man was finally going to play. In addition to Xiaoqi, several other people around him also attracted the attention of the crowd. "Look at that red-haired bald guy. I heard from my friends that some people have compared him to the best man in Kanagawa. I've heard the news too. I originally came to see him today, but I didn't expect to see someone even more powerful. Sisters, that yellow-haired man looks so sunny. No matter how he plays basketball later, let's cheer for him together. Hey, why does the Xiangbei team have a white-haired guy? Looking at his nonchalant look, can he play basketball?" In the Xiangbei rest area, Xiaoqi looked at the ignored Kuroba Kato and smiled. "Why don't you dye your hair too?" Kuroba Kato smiled and said, "I think black hair is good, and it always looks weird if Kato kid dyes his hair." Xiaoqi smiled, then said to the people in front of him, "This is Sakuragi's home court. We will give our first ball to him later, and then each of you can show off." Sakuragi Hanamichi laughed and said, "Brother, I will definitely set the whole court on fire later." Under the attention of everyone present, the players from both sides walked into the court again. Standing at the jump ball, Nato Tetsuya looked across at Xiaoqi and said coldly, "Shorty, don't think dunking through the basket is such a big deal. I'll make you leave here lying here." Xiaoqi didn't bother to argue with such a jerk. Just as he was about to jump ball, the referee's whistle suddenly blew. Red number 13 charges, Xiaoqi. Everyone from Xiaoqi. When Xiaoqi and the others looked towards Sakata Gintoki's position, they saw a migrate player lying on the ground clutching his crotch in pain. Oh my god, Xiaoqi knew what Sakata Gintoki had just done, but he was puzzled. Shouldn't this have been called a flagrant foul? At this moment, Gintoki began his star-level performance. Sakata Gintoki put his head in his hands and said innocently, "Referee, this is a collision. Jin-san didn't even touch him. If he did, do you think he'd still be alive?" The referee looked at him speechlessly. If he had seen clearly, he wouldn't have called a collision, but would have sent him off. But now, Red 13, please raise your hands, or a technical foul will be called. Hearing the referee's warning, Sakata Gintoki reluctantly raised his hands, but he continued to curse at the migrate player on the ground. Ha ha ha, this scene made the audience laugh. Some of them actually saw the white-haired man commit the foul, but they kept silent. Migurate's little tricks in the first half were so annoying. And so, before the second half even started, a migrate player was forced off due to injury. Sakata Gintoki's little antics had the migrate players irritated, but what irritated them even more was that, aside from the red-haired individual, the other four members of the Xiaoqi team were standing under their basket, chatting. Just as the migrate player had passed the ball, Sakuragi Hanamichi's incredibly arrogant voice echoed throughout the arena. "Come on, you migrate idiots. This genius is going to go 1-on-5. The next second, Sakuragi Hanamichi was in action, charging like a flash of red lightning towards the dribbling migrate player. Wow! Amidst the crowd's gasps and the bewildered look of the migrate player, Sakuragi stole the ball. He dribbled the ball a few times and shouted, "Brother, I'm going to show off my skills." For the next few seconds, Sakuragi gave everyone a visual feast of spectacular dribbling moves. This kid actually used that move? He really loves to show off. Xiaoqi looked at the 5 migrate players kneeling on the ground and shook his head with a smile. He had always expected Sakuragi Hanamichi to use some more violent tactics, but he didn't expect him to use Akashi Sugiuro's ankle killer. However, just when he thought Sakuragi Hanamichi would end the game with a dunk, Sakuragi's next move shocked him again. Sakuragi Hanamichi waited for the 5 migrate players to stand up, then made them kneel again. With only 3 seconds left on the shot clock, Sakuragi Hanamichi, standing in the midfield circle, showed everyone a midfield logo three-pointer. Sakuragi Hanamichi ran slowly in front of Xiaoqi and laughed. "Brother, this move is awesome." Xiaoqi smiled and said, "It's indeed awesome. Just listen to the cheers from the audience and you'll know. So cool. One more. Sakuragi, 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 Xiaoqi, you guys are awesome. From now on I'll be your die-hard fan." Xiaoqi must be the champion this year. Even if Hainan comes, he has to kneel. Sakuragi Hanamichi, I love you, huh? Hearing this, Sakuragi Hanamichi turned his head and looked somewhere in the audience. He took a breath and shouted, asshole, I don't need you. I just need Haruko. Sakuragi, Haruko Akagi in the Xiaoqi rest area looked at Sakuragi Hanamichi on the court with affection. She was very sweet and happy at this moment. Kuroba Kato then chuckled, can I have my turn next? Suzuki nodded and smiled. Sakuragi, grabbing the ball is up to you. Sakuragi Hanamichi patted his chest and laughed, leave it to me. This time, Sakuragi waited until the opponent had dribbled the ball across half-court before snatching it away. Kato, I'll leave it to you, thanks, Sakuragi. Kuroba Kato took the ball, patted it a few times, looked at the audience, gestured for silence, and said with a smile, ladies and gentlemen, showtime, begin. Kuroba Kato's dribbling was ordinary, even amateurish in the eyes of some experts, but strangely, the basketball suddenly disappeared from his hands. Where's the ball? The opposing migrate players watched in bewilderment as Kuroba Kato strolled past them. Just as Kuroba Kato reached the opponent's basket, he pointed to the sky above the basketball hoop and said, everyone, the ball is about to drop. As everyone looked up, they saw the red basketball slowly falling, directly into the net. Kuroba Kato looked toward the audience and smiled, everyone, did you enjoy this magic trick, kid, kid, kid? A uniform chorus of voices echoed throughout the arena. As for why they knew the name Kid, just look at the wait trio, now counting their money in the audience. Beep, just then, the referee's whistle blew, followed by a gesture to disallow the goal. In reality, the referee and the staff at the technical desk didn't know if the play was a foul or not. Like everyone else, they hadn't seen how Kuroba Kato dribbled the ball, and since high school basketball games don't have replays, they called it a foul out of fairness. But to everyone, whether the play counted or not was irrelevant, what mattered was that they had witnessed a fantastic magic show. Chapter 125 Only Jin-sang is injured. Namikaze Minato smiled and said, it's my turn next. It was the same old routine. Sakuragi Hanamichi, who was in charge of the ball, waited until the opponent crossed half court before snatching the ball and passing it to Namikaze Minato. The moment he took the ball, every girl in the gym screamed. A second later, a golden flash streaked across the court, and before anyone could react, Namikaze Minato's hand was already hanging over Miyure's basket. Suzuki said amusedly, you truly are the fastest man in the ninja world. Beep. At that moment, the referee's whistle blew again, once again disallowing the goal. The girls in the audience were immediately displeased, shouting, Yondame, you were too fast just now. One more, Yondame, Yondame, Yondame. Namikaze Minato shook his head and smiled, it's someone else's turn next. I'll slow down a bit later. Seeing Namikaze Minato's sunny smile, every girl in the room erupted in high-pitched screams. Suzuki looked at Sakata Gintoki and said, it's you or me next. Sakata Gintoki said angrily, Jin-sen, I won't let you steal the show this time. Jin-sen, I'm going to be the last one to go. Suzuki nodded and looked at Sakuragi Hana and said, I'll grab it myself. At this moment, the migrate players, who were almost exhausted, saw a new man standing before them, the man who had started their nightmare of the game, and they all glared at him fiercely. Migrate number 4 passed the ball to Nato Tetsuya and said fiercely, Nato, go knock him over for me, even if you get ejected. Nato Tetsuya nodded and dribbled the ball straight towards Suzuki. Seeing Nato Tetsuya's aggressive approach, Suzuki smiled slightly and crouched at the free throw line, adopting a defensive stance. Nato Tetsuya, watching Suzuki approaching, directly charged at her with a rugby-style stance. Go to hell. In the audience, the timid ones closed their eyes as the two No 9s were about to collide. While Xiaoqi's number 9 could dunk through the hoop, the physical disparity between the two was too great. In the Xiaoqi dugout, Miyagi Ryota and Mitsui muttered, don't get killed, don't get killed. Mari Kawai frantically yelled, Suzuki, get out of the way. Akagi Haruko, observing her anxious expression, said with amusement, don't worry, big brother will be fine. The number 9 on the other side is going to die. Bang! With a loud crash, everyone looked to see Xiaoqi's number 9 standing unharmed. As for Miyure's number 9, where was Miyure's number 9? Everyone scanned the basketball court below, finally finding him. He lay beneath the Miyure hoop, foaming at the mouth, his life or death unknown. Beep! Just then, The referee blew the whistle, announcing, Black 9, flagrant foul, dismissed. The call drew applause from the crowd. Miyurate's number 9 had deserved it. Nato Tetsuya's flagrant foul awarded Xiaoqi 2 free throws and 1. Xiaoqi, undefeated in her second free throw, then, on the subsequent possession, unleashed a tomahawk dunk for everyone. Xiaoqi, we want to see you slam the rim, even the backboard is fine, don't worry about the compensation, we'll pay for it. Xiaoqi, I love you. The group of girls who had just been clamoring about their love for Minato Namikaze now set their sights on Xiaoqi again. They liked sunny, handsome men, but they also liked powerful, handsome men. Hearing this, Mari Kawai couldn't stand it anymore. She stood up and yelled at the group of girls, stop dreaming. Xiaoqi is mine, quiet down, Sakata Gintoki shouted, looking towards the audience. Next, it's Jin-san's turn to play. Jin-san, today I'll show you all what real basketball is. However, before Sakuragi Hanamichi could snatch the ball and hand it to Sakata Gintoki for more than 3 seconds, the referee's whistle blew again. Red number 13, traveling with the ball, bang, everyone in the arena, except Sakata Gintoki and the referee, fell to the ground. An angry Gintoki Sakata rushed to the referee with a basketball in his arms, cursing, Jin-san, where did you take a step just now? Don't you walk when playing basketball, Jin-san, I felt like you were targeting me from the beginning. Did you accept favors from the group of people on the opposite side? The referee, unable to bear it any longer, blew the whistle again. Red number 13, technical foul. What? Gintoki Sakata was completely furious. He threw the basketball in his hand and pointed at the referee and cursed, come on, if you have the guts, try to blow it again. Jin-san, I'll dig out your eyes and stuff them in your balls. Red number 13, get out, fuck you, Jin-san, I'm going to kill you. The black whistle. Today, just as Gintoki Sakata was about to make a big move, Xiaoqi, who had come to his senses, came behind him in an instant and knocked him unconscious with a knife. Then he looked at the referee and said with an apologetic smile, referee, ignore him. This man was bitten by a wild dog on the way here. He should have rabies now. I'm going to have someone take him to the hospital now. What are you guys still standing there for? Take this idiot to the hospital for a rabies shot. After the Xiangbai bench scrambled to carry Sakata Gintoki out of the arena, Xiaoqi looked at the referee again and said with an apologetic smile, referee, I've already sent him off. How about we continue the game? The referee looked at Xiaoqi and said after a moment, if this happens again, your Xiangbai basketball team will be disqualified from this tournament. Don't worry, it won't happen again. Xiaoqi nodded quickly. After Sakata Gintoki left the court, Xiaoqi called a timeout and had Emperor Kakuta, wearing the number 8 jersey, take his place. This was partly as compensation for stealing his jersey number, but also to continue his undefeated legacy. Sakuragi, Minato, you two, hold back for a moment. Even if we're going to do something bad, we'll have to do it secretly. Sakuragi Hanamichi smiled, brother, I understand. Namikaze Minato smiled, no problem. Kawai-mari then held up a towel and said, Xiaoqi, are you tired? Let me wipe your sweat off. Xiaoqi said speechlessly, do I look sweaty? Kawai-mari then took a bottle of water and said, are you thirsty? I'll give you some water. Xiaoqi, covering her forehead, said, Haruko, Ayako, you two take this person to get a vaccine too. As play resumed, Miyurate scored their first and only point of the second half via free throws. For the remainder of the game, Xiaoqi and the others ceded most of the time to Sakuragi Hanamichi, who showcased every special move from the Generation of Miracles, much to the delight of the audience. Xiaoqi certainly hadn't forgotten about Kadota the Great, occasionally scoring a few points for him, though it was a shame she never got to see him open his eyes and play. As for Miyurate, they felt the game was already lost, so they played with a goal of crippling whoever they could. Unfortunately, they chose the wrong players. With the combined efforts of Xiaoqi, Sakuragi Hanamichi, and Namikaze Minato, only 5 of Miyurate's 12 players remained standing in the final 30 seconds. Xiaoqi walked over to Sakuragi and whispered, Sakuragi, give me a high pass for the last ball. I'll take them all 5 at once. Sakuragi smiled and said, okay. As Sakuragi tossed the basketball into the air, Xiaoqi, seizing the perfect moment, leaped lightly, caught the ball with both hands, and slammed it into the net. Xiaoqi's dunk shattered the hoop once again. sending the last 5 migrate players flying. At that moment, the roar in the arena reached its climax, and the final score of the game was fixed at 175 hours and 25 minutes. The Xiaoqi basketball team became a legend in this one battle, while migrate became the laughingstock of the entire Kanagawa prefecture. Back at Ryanen, Shijika Takataka looked at the Ryanen players and said slowly, "Our goal this year is to qualify as second place." A similar situation occurred at Hainan. Shinichi Maki looked at Kenji Fujima and said, "Our goal for Hainan this year is to qualify as second place. You guys should just try to lose as little as possible." In the Xiaoqi rest area, after searching for Xiaoqi but failing to find her, Mariko angrily approached Hanamichi Sakuragi and demanded, "Where's Xiaoqi?" Hanamichi Sakuragi laughed and said, "Big brother said his cat is about to give birth, so he went back home." "Damn Xiaoqi, how dare you lie to me?" Mariko stamped her foot in anger, looking at the spot where Xiaoqi had sat before and muttering, "I won't give up. Mariko will definitely pursue you." Thanks to my fellow reader Perfect Casita for the monthly ticket. Thanks to my fellow reader Alex Sia for the monthly ticket. Thanks to my fellow reader Aowu Gudong for the monthly ticket. Your support is my greatest motivation. Here are 4 more chapters to keep you entertained. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.